Thank you, Erin. Oh my god. Let's zoom in on this guy's face as she says that. What?
He's or whoever pays you. Sure.
Where if you're
This is like not even. It's like not even fun. It's just like too easy for them. Cinema. Pisco 1. Mind of Lion. Soul of Ape. We really. Pisco is a demon, bro. This guy is insane. So it just doesn't seem like sending all these people home. That's just not the solution. And it's insane power to give the government. It's just like, how can I be based on right wing while still claiming to be a liberal on Twitter?
By the way, this is Aaron.
Hello, Aaron. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you, Drew.
She knows you.
I'm very excited.
She follows you on Twitter.
Conversation.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Huge fan.
We're both big fans.
Okay. Yeah, of course. Just trying to.
Don't worry. We're cool. We're chilling.
Yeah. Cool.
This is
Thank
right
you,
now.
guys.
This
I'm
is
just
live.
trying to simulcast it to my.
Your channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
How's the weather down there in Melbourne?
No, Brisbane. It's
Brisbane.
good. We've got Yeah, no, it's actually quite good. It's a nice. It's winter, but it's quite temperate.
Aaron is here for a scalp. I believe it. Aaron will succeed where Stardust totally failed a couple weeks ago. I believe Aaron is here for a scalp. Aaron is here to take Drew's soul and entrap it in a plushie, which will add to her collection on those shelves.
It's like 20 degrees. Hang on, I'm just. Okay.
Everyone's with tech stuff.
It's 20 degrees cold. That's not 20 degrees. How much is 20 degrees in Fahrenheit? 68. Wow, I was kind of close.
Let me just quickly ask my guys. Guys, can you hear on my end, please? Let me know. Please let me know.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
All right, give me 1 second. I'm just gonna
take your time.
I'm just gonna change something up. Okay.
Is that a corduroy jacket? What do you think, Aaron? Oh, you're muted, Aaron.
Okay.
You have a question while we wait. Zero cool. What's your question? Australians have the best English accent. I won't hear it. It's all right. What animal was on his lap? I think that's a dog.
What on your upper lip?
Sorry.
Okay.
Don't act like you don't like the mustache, right? Like, you brought it up multiple times. You like it.
I love the mustache. It's an amazing conversation topic.
Don't act like you don't find it aesthetically
pleasing. It's a good
icebreaker. You don't just like it as an icebreaker. You think it's a good look.
Okay.
Drew is to Aaron what Brett Cooper is to Ben Shapiro. Yo, what up?
Okay, I just want to quickly one last thing, guys. Can you hear me on my end, please? Please let me know if it's working.
Is that a dog?
Yeah, I'm dog sitting at the moment.
Oh, sick.
Oh, for f***'s sake, there's something wrong with my end. Okay, one last thing. Okay.
Yeah, take your time, man. We got the audio all here. Someone said Groucho Marx looking ass. You guys, Aaron has perms to make fun of it. That doesn't apply to you guys.
Yeah, this stupid pig, every time he's on stream, has issues with his fucking tech. Bro, sort it out before you go live, you fat fucking idiot.
Apply to the chat.
Yeah, stay in your lane or pay him money. For money, he'll be a little pain piggy.
Tollybot says, I'm gay, and even I know the mustache is a bad look. Oh my god. What would you know,
It's
Tolly?
bad?
Yeah, she said it's bad. Tolly said it's bad.
Ooh.
Look at what you started.
I think you started it when you made that grooming choice. It's just me, though.
Don't talk about grooming, all right?
Not around Drew.
Owned. Fucking owned. Well done. I'm so upset that he wasn't here to hear it.
And obviously, I'm talking about his obsession with grooming gangs
Of course.
in the UK. That's all I mean.
Yeah.
Don't want to get into a very long discussion on that.
I wish you were here to hear that.
Do you hear that feedback?
Yeah. He's like listening to our stream. It's like oh, there we go. Maybe he's fixed it now.
You figured it out?
Yo, what up?
All
What
right,
now?
I think I fixed it. I think I fixed it. Give me 1 second to
They
quickly
ready
ask
to go
my cat
yet?
if it worked.
Sure.
They're
Man,
not.
I'm so bad at technology.
You're in the twilight of your life, dude.
Yeah, exactly. It's already over. It's already over.
It's all ogre.
Yeah, exactly. 1 second. I'm just gonna make sure that it's streaming on my end. Fuck, it's just. Oh my god, man. I'm not good with tech. Okay. Okay, yeah, it's working. It's working. Okay, cool. All right.
Sick. And
All right,
hey, Drew, and if you need audio from like one of our streams, I'm giving you permission to take it from either my stream or
Okay.
or
okay.
Aaron's stream.
I've just opened up like your stream on YouTube and I'm just putting it on my YouTube. Okay. I don't know how to use the Discord server yet, unfortunately. Fuck's sake, but it's okay.
Sorry about that, man.
That's okay.
Oh, you're like sharing the browser source of the stream.
This guy's like
Yeah,
legit retarded.
fucking
that's
legendary.
good.
No, I mean,
Okay,
I think
okay.
it's not
Alright,
optimal,
alright.
but I think it might work.
It's obviously not optimal. I haven't worked out how to use like Discord yet or any of this stuff. I'm dog sitting for 3 dogs, but thank you.
Three
I'm sorry that it
dogs?
took so long. Yes, 3 dogs in my. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you for your patience, guys.
No, of course. Listen, I've been wanting to talk to you, have another conversation with you for a while now. And I thought that
Yes, there's a number of things we've got to discuss. Obviously, want to discuss Superman.
yeah,
There's 2 other things I think we should discuss as well.
Zoran.
though. One being Zoran, of course, and then the
Please don't do Superman first. Please don't do Superman
other one
first.
being
Ethan.
when it came to the grooming gangs in Ethan as well. We'll talk about Ethan, but when it came to the grooming gangs in January, you were telling me you had all these arguments saying like, oh no, this is actually sort of like a right-wing beat up. There's no actual real evidence of any disproportionate effect and stuff like that. There's now been an independent government report that's come out in June, and the government report that came out in June that's independent said that it actually was disproportionately Pakistani men who involved in the grooming gangs, and also that it was genuinely that all levels of the British state failed to address that thing because they didn't want to be seen to be racist. So I would
have you rewatch that debate and pay close attention to the claims that I was making, and I think that it would.
Yeah, I don't think Pisco ever argued that there was no evidence that it was disproportionately Pakistani backgrounds. I don't think Pisco argued that.
It would benefit us to look at the video and what the claims were, because I think the question was basically, do we attribute this to Islamic culture, and do we think that there's a basis because
I don't think it's Islamic culture. I don't think it's Islamic culture. I think it's like rural Pakistani culture.
Yeah, like, I know, but your claim was a little bit broader than that, because you said something like Islamic culture, and then you were talking about other kinds of, non-Pakistani Muslims and how it affects other societies in the West. And so I think it was a little bit broader than that, Drew. I think that when you talk about grooming gangs in general,
Dude, no way Drew actually just tried to relitigate that. He tried to just try and get one over on Pisco. Bro, don't even try. Do not even fucking try it, piggy. Know your fucking place.
and I think you were kind of, I don't know, on your stump a little bit about grooming gangs and implying that I didn't care about grooming gangs, and we got into it. So I really think that people should watch that original debate.
We can watch it back. I think we should have a proper debate on
100%.
Europe and Islamic extremism and mass migration, all these sorts of things. But we can just put that to the side for now. Let's talk about what's the first topic you want to discuss? Superman, I suppose.
I think the first thing we should discuss is Zoran. I think that we should discuss that first.
Thank God.
Because I think it will play in, and I think it has to do a little bit with anti-Semitism in general.
So this is good, because this is what Stardust tried to confront Drew on the other week. Stardust tried to confront him on Zoran, and it was fucking awful. She did a shit job of it, as you'd expect. So I'm hoping Pisco manages to deliver. Surely.
And allegations of anti-Semitism, and that might actually like bring in and bring in like other issues related to the Superman and actually what's going on in Australia as well. So yeah, I'm like, what's your fucking beef with Zoran? I think you're going unhinged on Twitter.
I'm gonna try and
you're like going after his wife. You're like saying all this unhinged shit.
I didn't go after his wife. I didn't go after his wife. I actually said his wife was beautiful. I actually was complimenting her, if anything.
You said, wait, can I quote it?
I don't think
can I quote it?
What did you say?
All right, quote.
Yeah,
this
sure.
is,
I actually said it's difficult for me because I hate Zoran, but at the end of the day, I'm a Greek Cypriot Levantine man, and she's a Levantine beauty. And listen, I was actually saying it in a positive sense. I was saying it pained me the fact that I did find his wife to be a lovely woman, despite the fact that I hate him. It's a difficult thing for me, but that's it.
Isn't that a bit? So you said, quote, two wolves battle within me when I see Zoran's wife. Part of me instinctually wants to call her mid, purely despite the Twitter leftists who hate me. But another part of me is beholden to my ancestral Levantine memory from Cyprus. Thousands of years of
best ever shitpost. That was one of my best ever shitposts.
Thousands of years of evolution. Thousands of years of evolution.
Aaron is 100% thinking about killing dogs right now. Absolutely. It's rare that Aaron isn't thinking about killing dogs, I think, personally. But seeing Drew with these dogs, she is absolutely.
To appreciate profound aristocratic Levantine beauty. Fucking dilemma I would not wish on my worst enemies.
Yeah, that was actually that was literally one of the best tweets I've ever came up with. I'm very proud of myself for coming up with that one. I actually laughed at it for so long.
Okay,
I think people don't realize that. I think people don't realize that I have a lot of. Look, my Twitter's like 80% serious and then 20% shit posting, and I laugh at my own jokes all the time. And I thought that was a very funny joke. There is a grain of truth there in the sense that like I hate the sort of Zoran personality call, and everyone was going like, "Oh my god, they're the hottest couple in history." Like part of me just wanted to be like, "No, I fucking hate you guys." But then I had to admit there's a sort of dilemma within me in the sense that, you know, I'm a Greek Cypriot bloke. She's this Syrian beauty, and you know. Lovely.
I cannot stand it.
Okay,
we can move on to let's get back to the substance here.
Yeah,
because,
we'll move on.
So
the actual substantive disagreements. We can go to the substantive disagreements.
Yeah, because so obviously, you obviously don't support Zoran's campaign.
No, I'm obviously strongly against him.
Yeah, and you would if you were here and if you were an eligible voter in New York City, you would vote for Mayor Adams. Is that right?
Look. I freely acknowledge that Eric Adams is retarded. He's not exactly a good politician.
Video. This guy is unhinged. Drew, where can people find you?
Just my name, Drew Pavlou. I'm on Twitter.
We're totally bragging about breaking copyright.
Okay, slight W, Nick the Oreo. He was watching the Willie Mac video and he just skipped Drew's self promo. He just started fast forwarding.
Video. This guy is unhinged. Drew, where can people find you?
Just my name, Drew Pavlou. I'm on Twitter.
We're totally bragging about breaking copyright law or promoting one of the most.
Okay.
The Turkish corruption thing is bad, but I did say this is maybe this is a bit of a shit post on my end, but I did say, listen, my family are Greek Cypriot of origin. We lived under the Turkish hegemony for 400, 500 years. They probably had to bribe the Turks.
What is all this ancestral memory shit? Why is that like influencing your modern opinions? Like the evolutionary track and the Turkish connection to Cyprus.
I'm a little bit shitposting. I freely acknowledge that Eric Adams is retarded. He's pretty stupid.
He's an anti-Semite.
I don't know if he's actually an anti-Semite, but he's pretty retarded.
He defended Louis Farrakhan. That was one of like the main things.
Oh yeah, that's obviously that's retarded. I'm not gonna come
out here and say. He talked to Sneeko. Wait, he was with Sneeko.
That was bad. I criticized him for talking to Sneeko.
So if Zoran Mamdani defended Louis Farrakhan and hung out with Sneeko,
you wouldn't be posting about it?
I would. Yeah, I'd be against that, and obviously I'm against Eric Adams for doing that. I don't look. The truth is, I don't know who I would vote for if I was in America. Every option's pretty shit in the New York City mayoral race, unfortunately. Maybe like Thomas Wilder or something like that. I don't know. It's a shame. It's a shame. Like I obviously think Cuomo is a sex pest and an idiot.
I was going to say grooming gangs.
Wait. But Drew doesn't have any issue with sex pests because he's on Destiny stream all the time. Being a sex pest is disqualifying for you, Drew? Since when? That's a new development. That's a new opinion. Being a sex pest is bad. Sudden change of tune.
Cuomo's a no-go, right?
Cuomo's a sex pest, and he ran literally the shittest campaign in history. And Eric Adams... Like, I find Eric Adams really funny. Like, I kind of support him as a meme because he's just so fucking funny. Like, I love that video where he's going like around that teenager's room and is like, check your teenager's pillows for like hollow point bullets and fucking AK-47s.
You thought that was
he's a
cool?
Funny guy, but he's funny. He's funny as fuck. Like, I think Eric Adams is like probably one of the funniest politicians in America, probably just as funny as Trump. But I freely admit that he's like objectively pretty bad. And he's working with Trump on ice and stuff is very bad, of course. I think Zoran is bad because I think at the end of the day, Zoran is essentially like his political outlook is very much shaped by like kind of like third worldist, anti-imperialist kind of hard left wing politics. And that's what I don't like, and I don't want that to be the future of the Democratic Party, because if that's the future of the Democratic Party, I would feel extremely politically homeless when it came to American politics, because I'm obviously not somebody who likes third worldist politics where you think America is like Turtle Island.
Can you explain a little bit what do you mean by third worldist politics?
Yeah, like it's basically the worldview that America
it's anything
is...
where you believe that it's actually not okay to just wantonly slaughter brown people for economic gains or political gains. That's what he means by third worldist.
At the end of the day, an inherently racist and terrible settler colonial power. It's shaped by 400 years of white supremacy and racism, and white Americans are like pretty much innately racist, and if they're not racist, they have to struggle not to be racist, and it's just all this poisonous, toxic race communist stuff. Like, and like he said that he doesn't like capitalism. I believe in free markets at the end of the day, and he's somebody who believes that America should kind of have, I guess, Peronist type economic policies where you have state subsidies for all these different various parts of the economy, and
they're quite mild, aren't they? I mean, you say Peronist style politics, but he's talking about like 5 grocery stores.
I mean, listen, I've got no problem necessarily with the 5 grocery stores in itself. When he talked about it as a policy experiment, sure, I'm open to policy experimentation. I like that Lee Kuan Yew style approach where it's very much full political pragmatism. Try what works. I don't think that the nationalized bodega policy is going to work well, because look, at the end of the day, what are they going to be doing? They're going to be probably undercutting local family-owned grocery stores.
He's running for mayor.
Well, I'm obviously when I say nationalized bodegas, it's a bit of a joke, but what he's talking about is essentially, publicly owned grocery stores. We know that grocery stores do have very low profit margins, like something along the lines of like 2%. And so if you're talking about like undercutting other grocery stores and stuff like that when it comes to their profit margins, like I would feel bad for the local family-owned bodegas and stuff like that in New York City if they're close to one of these publicly owned grocery stores.
It's one per borough. I mean, like I live in the city.
5 total in New York City.
Yeah, and like I have to tell you, like the notion that this would be.
But I want to say I'm not one of those people who thinks that the 5 grocery stores are going to implement full-blown communism.
I know, but your rhetoric. I mean, like,
he just said nationalized. He just said he wants to do a national policy.
Yeah. I was when I said nationalized bodegas. Obviously, he's not nationalizing bodegas. That's a bit of a joke, hyperbole. But I don't think it's necessarily going to work well. I'm open to it as a policy experiment for a limited amount of time. But it's not even the grocery store thing that I'm mad about.
What policy of his is like
making you
it's not even. Honestly, I think the worst one is rent control, and I'm not even saying that's necessarily. I'm not saying that's a third worldist policy itself. Yeah, rent freeze. I don't think that's a good idea, because I'm very much coming from the abundant school of thought where it's like you want to try and incentivize people to construct new housing if you put rent controls in place.
He's abundance built
during housing shortages.
He's abundance built. I mean, I don't agree with the rent freeze either, but I think. He's talking about development and solving housing by shoring up supply. That's very abundance built. He had a conversation with Derek Thompson.
I think that is honestly. I think that's a bit of a political tactic on his end to reach out to moderate.
Drew has debated Pisco before, but this is live right now.
And look, honestly, he was very masterful. It's the first time I've seen a DSA actually. It's the first time I've ever seen a DSA type politician ever actually try to reach out to moderate. So good on him for that. That said, though, I don't think he really does believe in the abundance stuff, because if you look at his stuff,
what does that have to do with third worldism, though? Because Bill de Blasio did rent freezes.
Yeah, true. Good point, Aaron.
I didn't say that rent freezes equals third worldism necessarily. I'm talking about.
But you said his policies are informed by this worldview, and you can't think of even like a single policy that actually is.
I'll tell you the ones that actually are reminiscent of third worldism. It's the general tolerance of low level disorder and crime and decay.
No,
which is like
was that a policy? That's not a policy.
No, it's not a policy. It's not a policy, but it's an approach he takes, and I'll explain that. Let me explain that. He has literally 5 years of posts talking about defunding the police. He literally says, no, defunding the police isn't just rhetoric. We want to literally take money away from the NYPD. He said that for 5 years. I know that during the campaign, he walked away from that slightly. But, you know, that's in his heart of hearts. If he's gone on about that as his central issue for so many years, that's his heart of hearts. His heart of hearts is he wants to defund the police. He had a tweet from 2020 where somebody was laughing about seeing a police officer cry in their car, and he was like, "Ah, ha, ha, nature's healing," and stuff like that. And
tweets aren't policies.
I know that. Dude.
And
if
he updated it, doesn't that show you he obviously understands that it's important to like moderate his message?
But I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. That's it. I just don't believe it. I think at the end of the day, he's going to be beholden to a general left-wing outlook.
So this is it. This is his big issue with Zoran. The number one thing that's like third worldist is he probably thinks there should be leniency for like crimes that arise out of mental health problems or like low-level shoplifting. And this is the big third worldist. He's trying to destroy the West position that he has. Okay, man.
That is far more left-wing than I am in a whole range of different policy areas. And that's
why into a left-wing outlook, even though he moderated to appeal to more centrist voters and abundance liberals.
Okay. But dude, everybody knows that during elections, politicians moderate and stuff like that. But what's in their heart of hearts? I honestly think in his heart of hearts, he's very much anti-police. He's very much anti-establishment. He's very much against the concept of America being a nation state. And
what?
So
where are you getting that from? He's against America as a nation state?
I've got lots of evidence for that. I mean, you've got tweets. 5 years. Yeah, but that is okay. What if? Okay, do you think that my tweets reflect my opinions? Like
they can, yeah.
When people
sometimes, but you already admitted that you're shitposting half the time, bro.
Yeah, exactly. So
you will walk off of them the moment you're confronted. So what do you mean?
Or whoever pays you. Sure.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to?
Dude, I knew Aaron. Dude, what did I say? What did I say? What did I say? Aaron's here for a scalp. Aaron's putting this guy's soul in a fucking plushie. Aaron's here for blood. Dude.
For that, I mean,
Lots
you've got
tweets.
5 years. Yeah, but that is okay. What if? Okay, do you think that my tweets reflect my opinions? Like
they can, yeah.
When people tweet, yeah, exactly. So he's
or whoever pays you. Sure.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to explain that to me, Aaron?
Dude, and he's. Thank you, Aaron. Oh my god. Let's zoom in on this guy's face as she says that. What? Trackpad, please work. Let me zoom in on this guy. Trackpad, please work so I can zoom in on this fat fox face. There we go.
See,
I've got lots of evidence for that. I mean, you've got tweets. 5 years. Yeah, but that is okay. What if? Okay, do you think that my tweets reflect my opinions? Like
they can, yeah.
When people tweet, yeah, exactly. So he's
or whoever pays you. Sure.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dude, the way his face drops.
Yeah, exactly. So he's
or whoever pays you. Sure.
If only you knew how bad things really are.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to explain that to me, Aaron? Whoever pays me.
No, it's okay. Continue.
No.
I didn't mean to.
Oh my god. Dude, let's go, man. Let's go. Total Drew crash out. Total Drew crash out.
No, that's a obviously very serious.
It's inflammatory. It's serious, yes.
You're claiming
a little joke.
He's such a prick.
I know, but you're accusing him of being a shell.
You're accusing me of, I don't know, being paid by Mossad or something like that.
I was joking about him being a shell.
Okay.
So you can't substantiate it.
Of that joke?
So you can't.
Do you want to substantiate that? Or
yeah, share it, Aaron.
No, I just was joking around.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll go on then.
Wait, but hang on a second. But are you saying that you're not paid by a foreign country? Are you? I mean, you're not.
Of course not. Okay. I wish I was. I wish I was getting paid by Mossad. My life would be so much better.
I didn't say Mossad. Any foreign country. I mean, like, because you're very anti-China too.
I wish I was getting CIA funding. I wish I was getting Mossad funding. It'd be my life would be awesome. I'd be balling. Instead, I'm fucking living on Twitter ad revenue. Okay, so
wait. I get like $20 off Twitter ad revenue. You must be your tweets do go more viral though, so I'll give you that. All right, so you were talking about
dude, there's no way bro is living off Twitter ad revenue.
The tweets that indicate that he's against America as a nation state, and that means like he wants to make America go away, or he wants to make
no. obviously he's not going to, like, he's the mayor of New York City. I'm aware that he can't, like, I don't know, dissolve America as a nation state unilaterally. I just think it's interesting if you look at his political perspective over 5+ years. It's very much obvious that he doesn't have much affection for America as a nation state. So if you look at, for example, his previous July 4 tweets, he was shouting out the diplomats, and he particularly used an image of the diplomats from a song where they were joking about flying planes into 9/11. Shout out to Muhammad Atta. If you look at
wait, he shouted out Muhammad Atta.
Yeah.
In a serious way, as opposed to like a joking way. He shouted out Muhammad Atta.
Can you type in Zaran the diplomats and, I don't know, Google it, find it on my Twitter or something like that, because like this is pretty bad. So the diplomats are like a famous American New York City rap group. They like were very famous, I guess, for like mocking.
All right, I'm just gonna
American
pause.
nationalism.
Are you accusing Zoran of shouting out Muhammad Atta in a serious way?
No.
Okay.
I'm not saying Zoran did that. I'm saying it's an interesting choice that on July 4th, America's national holiday, he shouts out the diplomats who are most famous. Like the one line that they're most famous for is "Shout out to Muhammad Atta, we're flying the planes."
And I find it interesting.
Like,
I find it interesting, and I also find it interesting that Eric Adams hung out with Sneeko, who's most famous for being
I'm not going to defend
hanging out with Nick Fuentes. Okay,
but if you look at my Twitter history, I've got like 100 tweets attacking Sneeko very viciously.
I'm not saying you're not attacking Sneeko. I'm saying,
but you would say that people should vote for him over Zoran and Cuomo, right? Based
on this association and the.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure necessarily who I'm not sure necessarily. I would have to say perhaps people need to hold their nose. I'm not sure.
This guy's a total pussy,
it's Eric Adams is bad. I fully admit that Eric Adams is bad, but I think somebody who doesn't believe that America should exist as a country is probably.
Find me the quote where he says America shouldn't exist as a country.
It's just there throughout his rhetoric for 5.
No,
dude, this is so lame. All right, build the case then. Explain it. Get him to explain it, please. I would love to hear it.
Oh, fucking wait, where?
It is, dude.
You have nothing. If you actually had something like that, you would show it. You're just extrapolating that from what he said.
You can actually extrapolate things from what people have said.
Okay, so get him to lay out the case. That's true. You can extrapolate things. Aaron should probably let him have a space to explain it. But I want to hear it.
For 5+ years.
You can, but you need to have the evidence.
Yeah. You've got all these things. Like, here's a great one, right? Here's a great one. 2020, he's got his gloves on for COVID. He's putting the ups up to the Statue of Columbus, saying, tear it down. Like, why does he want to do that? Because he doesn't like the idea of Christopher Columbus coming to America.
I don't like
people criticizing Christopher.
So, because he wants to take down statues of people like Christopher Columbus, who obviously committed or were partly or whatever responsible for atrocities that happened in America's history. That means you don't think the country should exist as a nation state. How does that follow?
Christopher Columbus means they don't think that the
America
United States
should exist as a nation state.
But that's a good. It's. I don't like Christopher Columbus, but let me ask you this, right?
Yeah.
If you think that the person who discovered, I don't know, like the New World is inherently evil, then why should America exist?
It's not inherently evil. No, it's not because he's inherently evil. First of all, I want to tear down statues of Christopher Columbus. You think that makes me? I don't think that America should exist as a nation state.
Well, like
yes or no to that. Yes or no.
Right?
So I want to tear. I'm telling you, I want to take down statues of Christopher Columbus. Does that mean that I don't think America should exist as a nation state?
Well, look, in the past, Pisco, I know you're not exactly somebody who believes very much in borders. I don't know really what you believe.
Bro, what are we saying? Pisco is about to end this guy. This guy is not equipped for this. You are not equipped for this, Drew Pavlou. This is terrible. Like, even Aaron can see it. Look at Aaron's face right now, dude.
I know you're not exactly somebody who believes very much in borders. I don't know really what you believe
the fuck?
America as a nation.
Are you serious? I mean, I'm the most America-pilled guy there is.
Let me ask you this, right? Okay. If you believe that the people who discovered America are inherently evil...
Not inherently.
Why does he keep throwing the inherently part in? They're not evil for discovering America. People have issues with the other things they did.
then it must follow logically that you think the foundation of America is an evil thing that happened in history.
First of all, no, that doesn't follow at all. So
It does.
So countries can be founded on things that are like wrong, or they can have some sort of negative thing in their foundation. For example, the Americans did do a genocide on Native Americans. Yes or no?
Yes,
Okay.
I think they did that. And
Right,
it's horrible. It's horrible.
Another example,
But I'm not-
Australia,
but I-
right?
but I reject
Australia committed a genocide on the natives in Australia, correct?
There were certainly acts of genocide against indigenous
Correct.
Australians,
Okay,
but
perfect.
I reject the
So-
idea. But can I explain what I reject? What I reject is the idea that inherently America or Australia are stolen land, and that the foundation of it is an inherently evil.
What do you
thing.
mean by inherently
Because this
stolen land? I mean, in some sense, it is stolen, right?
Okay.
Also,
Okay, but
Columbus
here's
wasn't a founder.
He wasn't. Yeah, he
I know that- I
landed.
know that
He landed
Columbus-
in. He
I
landed in
know
his.
that Columbus
He
was
landed
a
in.
founder.
He landed
I
in
know Columbus was
Hispaniola. He landed in
He was in
Hispaniola.
Hispaniola. I know,
Yeah,
I know.
and he was
He was
commissioned by the
Dominica. I know,
Spanish.
I know.
Okay, so then
I know. I know that he never went to the United States. The reason why they put up the statues in New York City, it was an Italian American lobbying thing, because they wanted to basically say it was actually like a wholesome thing from the Italian Americans. They basically wanted to say, listen, we were part of the American story from the start because Christopher Columbus was Italian and he founded the New World. They didn't put up these statues to be like, oh, we love genociding indigenous peoples. And Zoraida is like, okay, I hate the idea that we.
Yeah, but okay, it doesn't matter whether they put it up because they love the idea of genociding indigenous people or not. The fact is, it celebrates someone who did that. Dude.
Have a statue for somebody who founded who discovered
who
the
did
New World,
horrible
therefore tear it
shit?
down.
Aaron, tell him what he did. Or do you
I
not
know,
know?
I know what Christopher Columbus did.
Genocidal
I know that
maniac, dude.
I know,
Even
I
at
know.
his time, he was rebuked by other explorers and people
I know.
of his
He was
era for being
recalled. I know.
particularly.
Okay, I've done
Okay.
essays. I've literally written historical essays on this. I'm fully aware of the fact that Christopher Columbus did a lot of evil shit. I'm just saying, what is the actual? It's like the Churchill statues in Britain, right? When people put up the Churchill statues in Britain, do you think people were putting up the statues because they were like, "Oh, we love the Bengal genocide"? No, the statues represent this is the man who defended. British.
Yeah, wait, he's called... Dude, sorry, what? We're calling the Bengal famine genocide, but you won't say that about Israel-Palestine. As far as I'm aware, the Bengal famine was not like, we're going to wipe out Indian people. It was like the empire was strained, and they had to use resources in like limited ways, and the Indians were the first to go. Like, okay, yeah, it was like a definitely like kind of racist, dismissive, like dehumanizing, all that shit. But it wasn't like, we're going to wipe out the Indians. Well, listen, I'm pliable to the arguments about the Holodomor, okay? I'm totally pliable to that. I'm not necessarily totally sold on Voldemort being a genocide. I haven't looked into shit like that heavily. So I wouldn't stake a strong position on that. But generally the Bengal famine does not get referred to as a genocide as far as I'm aware. So it's crazy that Drew is jumping to genocide for this, but not for like anything else. I suppose he probably says about Uyghurs too, right?
No. Listen, you can have a disagreement. So you can have a disagreement on Christopher Columbus. You can say that the important thing to commemorate and like there's not perfect people, and that the founding is something that you should still. No. Here's where I disagree. This is where I differ. I want you to respond to. That's a legitimate political debate, and it doesn't mean you hate Britain if you want to take down Churchill statues. It doesn't mean you hate America if you want to take down Christopher Columbus statues.
Okay, I know. But can I just want to point you to a whole pattern of communication by Zoran over many years. I mean, for many years, if you look past you looked at his previous, if you went through his Twitter, like 2017 to 2020, he never referred to himself as American. He always referred to himself as Ugandan first, and also as Indian. He never did any July 4 posts. His one July 4 post was shouting out the diplomats, which is like the group that said, shout out to Muhammad Atta, blow up the planes. He has all these posts where he basically said, surveilling anybody involved in Islamic extremist groups in America is fundamentally evil. He was basically like dissembling when it came to Anwar and Anwar al-Awlaki, who was one of the worst Al-Qaeda propagandists, probably the worst homegrown terrorist America ever produced. He was basically complaining that
on due process.
Is this a H3 podcast subreddit post? I feel like I'm going crazy. This should be a career-ending anti-Semitic tweet, no? It's someone calling Nux a pedophile. He's pushing the Jews are pedophile shit. I have no one to talk about this with, like, crying face. Like, he's pushing the Nux as a pedophile shit. Fucking what?
grounds, on due process grounds, and on rights grounds.
Who gives a fuck?
No, wait. I actually give a fuck because
Americans,
in my country,
Americans care about due process.
the thing that makes America America. Wait, the thing that makes America America is actually our Constitution and our rights. That's what makes Americans Americas. It's upholding the ideal of America to say, hey, even when we hate these people, we give them rights and we protect them. That's the most American you can do.
Okay, so you think it was bad when Obama assassinated him?
I'm not saying that, no, because I don't necessarily agree on the legal argument. I think that even though I would prefer... Wait, hang on a second.
Then what are we disagreeing on?
Hang on a second. Whoa. Hang on a second. I have a different legal perspective on what's required constitutionally for us to, to do a drone strike on an individual who's engaged in a war with the United States outside of the country, even a U.S. citizen. And I happen to have the belief that that strike was probably constitutional. But I respect people who want to put additional checks and additional due process steps before the use of lethal, weapons and the use against the American citizens. And that's not anti-American to want that. In fact, if I could pass a legislation, I would want that legislation passed, that there's some checks.
Okay. Could you explain to me, Pisco, what makes Anwar al-Awlaki an American, especially at the point at which he's literally declared war on America?
So he's a U.S. citizen. He's defined as an American.
Okay. But at the point at which he'd literally traveled to Yemen, become part of Al Qaeda over there, and literally was every single day.
So the Confederates were still Americans when they declared war or when they engaged in a war against America. Agreed? Yes or no?
I don't think no, they weren't. They
were. America considered America pardoned them all. America considered them part of the fold, and they were just in rebellion, even though they were engaged in a war against America. They weren't a separate country.
Can I ask you, why should Anwar be a citizen?
What do you mean? Why should? I don't understand. He is.
Why should? Yeah. Okay. But why should you not strip? Why should you not strip citizenship from literally?
Because I don't want to. This is why the Constitution grants Congress the power of naturalization, not the power of denaturalization. And this is evident in the case law that just because Congress can grant citizenship doesn't mean that they can take it away. And the only exceptions for that are when you commit fraud in obtaining citizenship. That's a historical exception. And when you voluntarily renunciate your citizenship. Other than that, I don't want to give Congress more authority to deprive people of citizenship, but it's a moot point anyway, because it's not about the actual legal issue here. It's about whether or not you're anti-American for wanting more procedural guardrails before you use lethal weapons on other Americans. I think that's fine.
Okay, yeah, definitely the case that Zaram was just concerned about procedural guardrails when he literally just said basically all post 9/11 terrorist surveillance was wrong. He actually had a post where he said 50% of people who've been arrested for terror-related incidents post 9/11 have been caught up in FBI stings.
Wait, have you heard?
This is horrible.
Wait. Have you heard the crazy shit? Wait, no, because you don't care about freedom and you don't care about rights. So there's crazy shit, crazy profile. Wait, no, it's true. Like
that's so dumb, man.
That is true. That's facts. What's so dumb? No, Pisco spitting. Dude, mind of lion, soul of ape. Okay, this guy, he throws that out. Drew's getting triggered, and he's ready to defend it immediately. And it's obviously true.
About that,
I believe in the Karl Popper, the idea that to have a tolerant society, you must be intolerant of the intolerant. So I don't believe in freedom and rights. For
you don't care about freedom of speech, right? In America, I do care about freedom of speech and association.
Not for Al Qaeda members. Not for Al Qaeda members.
Yeah, okay, but the thing, that's not the point, right? Like the point is,
this is actually a good question. This is actually a good question because you want to talk about it from a legal procedural grounds.
I don't.
But when Anwar was literally putting out these broadcasts, literally declaring jihad on America, declaring war on America, encouraging people to carry out terrorist attacks in America, do you think that's covered by free speech?
Some of them, yes. Not all.
Really?
Not all. Depends. Really? Yeah. So
I actually want to say this is actually. I'll just explain my perspective really quickly, right? If you're a first generation migrant to an English speaking country, a Western country, right, and then you actually end up declaring war on that country. I don't care if you were born in that country. If you declare war on the country and literally encourage terrorist attacks, I don't think you should be a citizen. I think it should be stripped of you.
Yeah, because you're a government bootlicking shill, and you want to give the government the power.
Okay, how's that bootlicking?
It is.
Can you explain how that's bootlicking?
Because are you American?
Are
you American?
No, I'll give you an example. Right?
Yeah.
There were about 400 Australian citizens from Western Sydney, mostly Western Sydney, who went over and fought for ISIS in Syria and Iraq. There was a big debate in America. There was a big debate in Australia over whether these people should be stripped of citizenship. And there are all these people on civil libertarian grounds going, no, you can never do it. You can never do it. And I'm like, no, if you join ISIS, you fundamentally breach the citizenship contract.
I don't want. This is why I'm going to explain. I'm going to explain. I don't trust the government to have the general power to decide denaturalization questions, because when you grant them that, wait, let me finish that. No, only in the exceptions that I provided, which is fraud in obtaining the citizenship and voluntary renunciation. Because once you grant the government, just like Trump, right, where he's doing all of these bad faith emergency declarations and trying to claim crazy power, once you grant the government the power of denaturalization, what are they going to do? They're going to do what fucking Hitler did, which is denaturalize all the Jews. That's the first step. That's the first step. That's what they do. That's what they fucking do.
Dude. What I'm talking about is denaturalizing like 50 of the worst jihadists.
You're saying only. You're saying
we're just gonna do a little bit of denaturalization.
Only in extreme circumstances. And what I'm telling you is, once you grant that authority to the government, they're gonna define their emergencies the way they want.
Singapore does this. Singapore does this. Singapore carrying out a Holocaust.
So I'm an American. I'm an American. I'm an American. I don't trust. So Trump right now is declaring all sorts of emergencies. He's claiming the right, and one of the key things that he's trying to do is trying to claim that the citizenship clause doesn't apply to people, because what he wants to do, Drew, is send them to fucking foreign gulags in El Salvador and take away their citizenship and take away their rights. But that's what happens when you give this power of denaturalization to the government and just say only for emergencies, only for emergencies. That's why the power to naturalize. That's why in the American Constitution. Under the American Constitution, the power to naturalize is given to the Congress, but not the power to denaturalize.
Can I ask you a question, though? Just as a philosophical, let's talk about this from a philosophical idealist perspective, right? Why would it be good for a country let's just talk about a very limited circumstance, right? Very limited circumstance. Two parents from Yemen move to America. They hate America. They've got Islamic extremist views.
Dude, the answer is obvious. You can stack this hypothetical as much as you want. The answer is because you shouldn't give the government that power. You should not trust the government with that power, because the moment you start trusting them with that power, they can run wild with it. Once that is taken out of your hands, you can't bring it back.
Literally support terrorism. And in this thought experiment, right, they have a child on American soil. That child then becomes a citizen. 20 years later,
it's already too late. They can just start stripping citizenships.
Is literally advocating jihad, total warfare against America, literally advocating terrorist attacks against America. At what point does that actually benefit America as a country?
I don't know that it
would. It just be considered like a criminal act of incitement.
It's criminal.
Why would it necessarily lead to something that means that they have to be stripped of their citizenship?
But it is a question, though. Like, it is an actual question. Like, what makes them part of the country? What makes them part of the nation?
The fact that we had a civil war.
The fact that they were born on magic, but was it the fact that they were born on magic soil?
No, it's the fact that I'm going to tell you, we had a civil war over these questions of citizenship. You're laughing, but like Dred Scott was fundamentally a decision about whether black people are considered citizens. It's
and
interpreted.
They should be considered citizens, of course.
I know, and so we had a war, and so what we resolved we resolved as a country is that these issues of citizenship were dividing the country, and we said this is a hard, fast rule. We are going to adopt the English Common Rule.
Okay, look. We'll give Drew the bare fucking minimum here. He is actually saying that the attacks on Syria today are wrong. Bare fucking minimum here from Drew. Maybe don't strike the very quickly liberalizing, westernizing Syrian government that has like played ball the entire fucking time and signaled nothing but playing ball. Maybe don't like strike them. Thanks.
Rule of birth by territory, citizenship via territory, and at the time, then existing at the time, and if you're born on the territory of the United States, you are a citizen. We had to fight a whole civil war over that issue, and we said persons born in the country get that citizenship right.
Dude, Israel have done nothing but benefit from the fall of Assad. So the idea they strike the new fucking government is so gay. They were only able to strike Iran because they went and fucking cleared out a bunch of anti-air shit in Syria. They have done nothing but benefit from this change, and then they go and fucking strike the government forces. Fuck you. Fuck you.
I think when it comes to the fact that African Americans are citizen, of course, that's a great principle because they were in America for 400 plus years, 500 plus years in many such cases. So of course they're citizens. But if you're somebody who's turned up yesterday, you hate the country, and then you have a child, and then that child grows up to hate America, I don't understand what actually links you to America as a country, as a nation.
Well, listen, the implication is that we should decide these citizenship questions on like individual bases, and like what the rule is should be dictated by like the. Let me fucking finish the point. Like you're implying that the general rule we should establish for how you obtain citizenship should be based on this hypothetical, and that's such a preposterous thing to say. Like because I can conjure up some hypothetical, we should base the general rule on this hypothetical you created.
No, I'm not even asking you to base it on this general hypothetical. All I wanted to ask, the reason I raised that hypothetical was I wanted you to think through the implications of every single person who has ever existed who just gets the citizenship becomes part of the American nation, even if they hate the country and they're actually advocating.
That's true for
like
what does their like ancestry have to do with it? Why are you more American because you have like third, fourth, fifth generation ancestors from America versus ones that are like newer?
I think that is part of that. African Americans have 500, because 400 plus years. If you got 400 plus years of ancestry in America, of course you're more American than Anwar al-Awlaki.
Well, I have to say, in what sense, right? Because in what sense? Because I'm going to tell you. Wait. Let me explain. No, I'm going to respond to what you just said, right? You just said, well, how are you more American? I think in some cases the biggest threat to America right now are from American citizens, multiple generations who voted for Trump. The threat to America and Americanism is Trump and MAGA, and these people have bloodlines going back, many decades, oftentimes. So there's no like. So when you say they're more American because they've been here longer, it sounds like you're implying that there's something inherent to their ethnicity or their lineage. That's what makes them more American, but that's not at all true.
I think a country is not necessarily just an economic zone. I do think that there's a whole different range of things that go into it. Part of it is history, culture, language, and ancestry. So I don't think that someone.
What is this?
Someone like Anwar al-Awlaki, who is the paradigmatic case for me, right? Literally a guy who had his family had less than 20, 30 years of history in America, and he literally ends up declaring war on America. I don't see how he's as American as somebody who went on the Mayflower.
What about someone on Jan 6? What about on Jan 6? What about Jan 6?
Or somebody who went back 400 years in terms of African American.
So I think it's really un-American to attack the Congress to try to overturn a presidential election. And there are many.
I think that is. Yeah. I think that's fundamentally
so would you denaturalize everyone who did that?
If they were a migrant, they were migrants. At that rally, of course. If they were migrants,
wait. No. First of all, when you say if they're a migrant, you mean to say if they weren't born with citizenship? Is that what you mean? That they're citizens? So because denaturalization only applies to citizens. So as a default, they're citizens. You're saying you would only support denaturalization if they weren't natural born citizens. But like, why?
Well, if you were a migrant who came to America 20 years ago and then you went participate in January 6th, why would you be still allowed to be a citizen? You literally tried to overthrow the government.
Wait, but why isn't that true of someone who was a natural born citizen? Why shouldn't you be denaturalized?
I think. Look, I'm literally the descendant of migrants to Australia.
I didn't ask that.
My family's got about. I'm trying to explain my point of view, right? I'm actually trying to outline and expose my.
Yeah, but no one gives a fuck about your. I'm a migrant to Australia. That's why I feel so strongly about this. No one cares. Engage with the argument, you fucking idiot.
I'm trying to outline and elucidate my views. My family, right, has 60 years of history in Australia. I don't think I'm as Australian as somebody who's an Indigenous Australian who goes back 40,000 years, or somebody who goes back to the founding of European Australia 300 years ago. I think I am more Australian than somebody who came yesterday, but I'm not more Australian than somebody who literally has 40,000 years of Indigenous history in the country, or somebody who has, 300 years of European Australian ancestry as well. So I think that's pretty rare.
I think your analysis of being the amount of years is fucking stupid.
It's just a binary. Either you are or you aren't. What is it? Why don't I understand factoring in all of these other things,
great question.
Nonsense.
This is a great question.
Things.
Great question. Okay, great question. This is a great theoretical question for you, Pisco and Aaron. Say a Native American person who has 1,000+ years of ancestry in what is now the modern day United States. Do you think that they are more American than Anwar al-Awlaki, the guy who came over to he naturalized it?
No less. No more, no less. No.
No, that's wrong. That's so wrong.
They're both Americans.
Of course,
do you think that this sort of like
Native American with thousands
this sort of understanding of citizenship should be applied like with every nation? Any developed nation would look at it this way.
I think that people's history, ancestry should come into it. I don't think it should be. I'm not advocating. I'm not one of those retarded heritage American type people. Who think that,
you sure?
You know, like when you have Jenny Vance, people going like, "Oh no,
yeah,
you're
no, you are
to be in the country if you got like fucking great grandparents buried in the gravestone." No, that's not what I'm saying. But
I think if you don't, it should make you vulnerable to being denaturalized.
Well, no, only in circumstances where you actually want to try and overthrow the country. So if you were somebody who has 20 years of history in America and you go to January 6th and you try to overthrow the government,
you sound like a wokey, Drew. You sound like a woke scold because you're basically doing this oppression Olympics and you're doing this kind of ranking of oppressor oppressee.
It's actually true though.
No, dude, it sounds like you're trying to take a view of it where you're going to apply this harsh sanction to people based on like the amount of years they've been here. Where if you're
this is like not even fun. It's just like too easy for them. Like Drew is actually just beyond fucking retarded and past being retarded. Actually, he's like a complete bitch, coward, fucking rat, man. Like at least a fucking groper or some shit is just gonna say, just come out and say what they think. You know, ultimately they're saying they want an ethno-state. That's really what they want. Yeah, they'll say Christian. They'll walk back to that. They'll settle for Christian. But really, they want an ethno-state. And they'll say that. They'll say as much. Drew does this, like, absolute bitch shit where he wants to play the moderate lib. He wants to play, like, neocon anti-terrorism shit. And he wants to have, like, an ethnic element to it. Like, an almost explicit ethnic element to it. It's like fucking absurd. It's like such a disgusting chimera of thoughts here. It's just so gross, and it's so just like it does just come off like this is a position he takes so that he can farm Twitter engagement.
Ask me subjectively what's more or less American, whatever that means. I would say that for anybody, like regardless of how many years their family have been in the country, to attack the Capitol and to try to prevent the peaceful transfer of power, if anything is un-American that should undo whatever amount of like years calculation you're doing, it should be that. But,
I agree.
But you're making a distinction. But you're making a distinction. You're like, well, if you are a Jan 6er who's a citizen who has family going back 200-300 years, don't denaturalize. But if you're a Jan 6er who is a citizen who doesn't have that same lineage and maybe was originally a migrant, you should denaturalize. And that seems to be and the difference there seems to be like inherently tied to ethnicity or race or something.
I think you can't be. I think you couldn't be deported if your family has more than 50+ years of history in the country.
Okay. I think it's fucking stupid. I think it's dumb as fuck.
What just like retarded arbitrary line to draw? If your family has more than 50+ years in the country, bro.
And also deported where though? Like, have you thought through the logistics of this? If we were to denaturalize all of these people, where are they going to go? You're going to obligate other countries to take citizens that are not theirs because the United States doesn't want to take responsibility for their own citizens.
Yes. So, for example, Britain should deport the Pakistani gang rapists to Pakistan.
Even if they're
and
not
when
Pakistani
they denaturalize
citizens?
British-born citizens, what about the white ones that have been there?
Where are
they going?
I think if you're a Pakistani migrant to Britain,
that's not what you were asked. That's not what you were asked.
Not those.
The white.
I don't care if you're born in Britain. If you are a Pakistani gang rapist, you have to be.
No. If you're a white person of Anglo heritage, white groomer, where are you?
Of course you can't be deported because you've got 1,000 years of history in the country. Because they've got 1,000. Because England is.
So you're basically saying that you're applying a different lens based on race and ethnicity and heritage.
Well, not necessarily based on race. It's just that England is historically an English country. So
but for your Palestinian ethnicity, but for your and all else equal, right? They're both British citizens. Yeah. The but-for difference in how you would treat them is
it really is just crazy. Drew is just like a total incoherent retard getting slapped around. It is like embarrassing that he even agreed to do this.
Pakistani heritage.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah, absolutely. Dude, do you think Pakistani people were in England 1,000 years ago? They didn't sign the Magna Carta. So why would they take in new migrants who have carried out rape gangs? I don't understand.
The people in modern era didn't sign the Magna Carta either.
Well, they descend for the people who did.
Dude. You have a lineage obligation to the Magna Carta. Bro. You ask anyone on the street in Britain, what's the Magna Carta? They'll have no fucking idea. Doesn't matter how white they are. You'd have to ask like 10, 15 people before you got a decent answer.
England is a country for English people. I don't care. England is a country for English people.
Okay, so now when you say it's a country for English people,
you said
the whole question is
ethno-states.
Yeah, you said you didn't want
ethno-states.
And I'll explain. I don't want full ethno-states. I think migrants can come to England and assimilate into English culture. But if you carry out a rape gang, you've clearly.
But this is circular, right? So we're talking about what makes someone an English person, right? So we're trying to define what is an English person.
It's multiple different things. It's culture, history, language, ancestry. Multiple different things.
But part of that is your blood, right? If you're an Anglo.
Yeah, part of it is ancestry, of course. And if you are a new migrant to the country and you carry out rape gangs or you carry out terrorist attacks, you've basically declared war on the host population.
Why not just deal with
that?
British person who does all the same things, you think they should not be denaturalized?
Well, of course they can't be denaturalized because England, at the end of the day, is ultimately a country for English people.
That's not of course. That's not an of course. It's a completely arbitrary distinction that you're making based off ethnicity, and you're appealing to where blood and soil, where they happen to have been born, or their ancestors are from.
Explain to us, what do you think Britain is as a country? What do you think England is as a country?
Britain is a... Wait, what do you mean what it is as a country? What do you mean by that?
I actually want to I want to draw a distinction. You know Paul Scalise, Lindy, man.
Yeah, literally, just like, why is he being such a bitch? Say it. Just start drawing racial lines, bro. You wanna be like a Nazi. You do. You do fundamentally, really. Well, let's be serious. Like, you obviously think you're leaning that way. You're like, damn, it's kind of fucking awesome to have like an enforced ethnic majority. Damn, it's kind of like fucking awesome to just be able to exact punishment without the restrictions of like due process against foreigners, against people that look different to me. That's actually fucking awesome, actually. Israel's got the right idea, actually. You should just blow them up. That's like where you're... That's like how you think.
Paul Scalise, Lindy, man, actually has a really good distinction.
Wait, I ask you a question. I ask you a question. What do you mean by what is...
I'm actually explaining to you.
Okay.
I'm explaining to you. I'm trying to explain. Paul Scalise, Lindy, man, he had a great distinction where he said there are thick cultures and there are thin cultures. America, Australia, the settler countries, right? They have more of a thin culture. They have much more history of migration. Whereas something like England or Poland, they have 1,000 years of history as terms of like a coherent nation state. So it's very much different. I think America and Australia and stuff like that, much more open to migrants, and it's much less tied to ancestry.
I asked you a question. What do you mean by what makes Britain Britain? I don't know what you mean by that.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
I don't think England is just an airport waiting lounge. So
I'm asking you a question. What do you mean when you say the term ask the question? What makes Britain a country?
Yeah,
or
what it is, not what it's not.
So I'm asking you, what do you mean by that? I'm asking you what you mean.
What actually is it? I'm asking you what you mean. What do you think England is?
I don't know what that question means.
You're the one coming up with this conception of a British identity or an American identity or an Australian identity. So define what that means or how you even come to the definition.
You have to make a positive case why somebody who is a Pakistani migrant to Britain, who's been in the country for 30 years and carries out a rape gang, you have to make a positive case why they are as British as somebody who's found.
I think the default is
okay.
The game.
So they've already said their position on that. They've said because they both have British citizenship. That's their position.
Game of nations, in general, that citizens, that if you're a citizen of a country, unless you're an ethno-state, you're an equal member of that citizen, and the way that you're dealt with in the course of criminal justice is the normal criminal justice system. And you don't deport.
Why should citizenship be given to people who then carry out rape gangs?
When you say why should it be given to people? This is people who assumedly already are citizens before, because the question is about denaturalization.
Whoa. This is the question. Why should they be citizens?
Yeah. So presumably you're giving them citizenship before they do the grooming gang, right? Because otherwise you wouldn't be talking about denaturalization. Yes. Okay. Yes. So you're giving it citizenship before, right?
They then carry that out. The fact that they then carry it out means that they were never assimilated in the first place. So why are they getting citizenship?
It would also mean they weren't really granted citizenship in the first place. If it could be revoked this easily, if they commit an act of like a criminality.
Like what makes somebody I'll give you a great example, right? So literally the ringleader of the Rochdale grooming gangs, he said in court he said in court, the white girls are all sluts raised by the white people. The white people raised.
You can find a lot of people saying bad shit. You can find a lot of natives saying bad things too.
Okay. But he's making comments there that are basically.
You can find natives doing. Wait, you can do. You can find natives.
But it's race hate. But dude, it's race hate. It's race hate against.
British you can find natives. Guess what? In the United States, the natives, like the white nationalists, are some of the biggest terrorist threats in the entire country, and that's been consistent across. Okay. But so you just pointing to some immigrant who says some fucked up shit. We got tons of citizens in this country who have lineage who say fucked up shit. So it doesn't really move me. Yeah, deal with them in the criminal justice system. What's wrong with that?
Sure, but I don't think people should have citizenship if they have never assimilated and they don't want to assimilate.
Okay, no, but you, after having given them citizenship, right? Because we're not talking about anything like we're talking at the point of doing the act. They're citizens.
Make a puzzle case.
Okay, yeah.
So this is a good question.
Yeah, we don't have banishment, so we don't have banishment for citizens anymore. That's not the normal rule.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that migration should benefit the original?
Wait. We're talking.
Bro, he literally can't do it. He can't stay on track. It's so fucking annoying. What a total bitch this guy is. Seriously, total bitch. And so dumb too. It's so annoying that people like this actually like manage to coast for so long.
I'm completely different.
But this is a good question. This is a good question.
I know, but it's not what we're talking about, Drew. So we were just talking about denaturalization, and now you're having a broad conversation about immigration. We're talking about denaturalization.
You have to answer that though. You have to answer that.
Wait. We were talking about denaturalization.
Because I'm trying to explain to you, your view only makes sense if you think that the purpose of migration is not to benefit the host country.
I think that immigration should benefit the country of origin. I do think that your immigration. But stop. We are talking about denaturalization. Don't try to blow up the conversation, dipshit.
Yes. But that's what I'm linking those two things. So if you accept that migration should be inherently something that should benefit the host country, right? Then if some of the immigrants who've come in then carry out absolutely heinous, essentially war crimes, like rape gangs against people that are based on race.
But at that point, they're not immigrants anymore.
We're gonna have a definitional question, right? So,
but they are still immigrants. They are still immigrants. Yes, they are.
No, but they're now citizens, correct?
Yes, but I don't think they should be citizens.
Okay, no. Okay, but before they did it, they were citizens, right?
Sure.
Okay. So
should they have
the question? Why should you not
denaturalize? Shut the fuck up for 2 seconds, man. Shut the fuck up for 2 seconds.
Therefore, the people who are on all four, the white people who do it.
Because English people, white ethnic English people, have been in England for 1,000 years.
Okay, so a white South African who's is a first generation UK person who came from South Africa. He's white.
They can be deported. Of course, they can be deported.
Okay. So you're saying it's not racial based?
It's not racial. Exactly. Dude, you made my point. Exactly. It's not racial. Thank you. That's a great example.
Dude, shut the fuck.
It's not racial based at all.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm thanking you.
Wait.
I'm thanking you.
Shut the fuck up for a second, okay? So you're saying it's not racial based because you're going to treat similarly a South African or, for example, an American who moves to the United Kingdom and who
we do that all the time in Australia. Actually,
shut the fuck up, Drew. I'm trying to. You like can't stop but interrupt.
Total coward.
Yeah.
Just chill, okay? So you're going to treat people who come into the country, become citizens of UK, or who's, just to be clear about something, someone who's born in UK, who's only known UK from, for example, an American parent, would you treat them differently than someone who's born?
No, they should be deported.
Why? He's only never known UK. He's only ever known UK. He comes from a fellow country of America, his parents come from a country that has an Anglo heritage. He is born in UK. He's only ever known UK, and you're telling me you're going to deport this kid to American parents who's only ever known UK where?
Actually,
to America?
That's an interesting edge case because I do accept your point that America is much more culturally similar to England than Pakistan. So that is a good edge point, actually. So
wait, no, I want to hear an answer. So this child, I want to hear this answer. This child who has only ever known UK, he's born to American immigrants. He's a UK citizen. You're saying that you will deport him.
I think you're right. That's a good edge case. That's something I'll definitely have to think about because obviously America is a lot more culturally compatible to Britain than Pakistan. That is a good point. I do want to say that in Australia, we deport English rapists all the time. We deport South African white rapists all the time. We deport American white rapists all the time. Like we have a really strict policy of deporting.
We're talking about citizens, Drew. Shut the Drew. We're talking about citizens. Talking about citizens.
And I've also got a great point here actually. So the Australian High Court has actually found in a case Brendan v. Love. It's a really famous case, actually. They found that Indigenous people of Indigenous heritage to Australia can never be deported, even if they're not an Australian citizen. So there were two New Zealand guys.
Am I asking you for trivia? I'm not asking for trivia, Drew. Come on, let's talk about something.
I'm giving you an example. The Australian High Court. That was basically the Australian High Court saying, okay, in some point cases, ancestry does actually influence these questions. If you've got 20,000 years of ancestry in Australia, you can't ever be deported. Of course, that makes sense to me, even if you're not a citizen.
So you said it was an interesting question, an interesting edge case. If an American immigrant has a UK child in the UK and he commits some sort of heinous act,
actually, you know what? That's Andrew Tate. That's actually literally Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate is literally the child of an American migrant in Britain. And to be honest, he actually should be deported from Britain. So that's actually a good case. I agree with you.
So you're telling me that even if a child who was never known any other country, you're going to send them to the country that their parents were from?
Well, I don't think that Andrew Tate has assimilated to English culture, so he should be kicked out. Because he did.
So this is my problem with that. This is so retarded. I'm like straight against that as well. I want Andrew Tate to be tried in the UK. I want Andrew Tate to go to a UK prison. I don't want Andrew Tate to have the chance of getting bailed out by fucking Trump or some shit like that, some fuck shit happening over in America. Fucking send him here. I don't want him get fucking bribing Romanian officials. I want that guy in prison. Fucking stupid perspective.
So in general, you're introducing such subjective criteria, in my opinion, that it is granting massive power to the state to abuse. In one case, talking about, you know, the state to determine cultural assimilation after the decision to hand over citizenship has already occurred. I don't trust the government with that power because I think it can apply it in an ad hoc way, like you just said right there. There's no really guiding
guards, dude. Oh my god, the Brazilian female guards. They're very common in UK prisons now.
So it was like, oh, is he fully assimilated? Is he not assimilated? At the point after you've given the citizenship, I think that's much too broad, and I wouldn't want to do that. Yeah.
You know what? You're right though. That the number one thing it should be making citizenship so much harder to get, so that we don't have to have these big questions. Of course.
Okay, so can we go
back
to?
Why do you think that people shouldn't just be prosecuted and jailed in the country that they commit the crime in?
Because if you're a migrant to a country and you commit a rape, that is such a heinous offense against the host country that generously welcomed you in. And I want to say this, right? My family, Greek Australian migrants to Australia. If Greek Australian migrants to Australia were doing this in Australia, I would want all of them deported, and I'd say they're not my co-ethnics. I fucking hate them. Get them out of the country.
Yeah, I don't. So for like example, you agree that the vast majority of Pakistani British citizens do not commit these heinous acts, correct?
Yeah, and so if they're not if they are patriotic and they don't carry out crimes, then they can be British citizens, of course. There's nothing wrong with it. But by virtue of the case, the very moment that you participate in a rape gang, or you literally carry out terrorist acts, or you advocate terrorism, that very moment you've literally basically spat in the country that took your family in, and therefore you should be fucked off.
What about assault?
Yep, that's bad too. Of course, should be deported.
What about theft?
I think yes, theft as well. I think if you're a migrant to the country, or your family new migrants to the country, you have a special responsibility.
So this protection of citizenship, you're basically saying like this protection of citizenship is now wafer thin. Now the government can decide for whatever class it wants.
But why do you think that citizenship should be this kind of like this? Like, okay, this guy's become a citizen. He hates the country. He's carrying out rape gangs, but we have to let him be in the country forever.
No,
why?
Because you would necessarily be obligating a bunch of other countries to deal.
It's not just that. I thought the obvious argument, I don't quite know why they're not making it, is because you just don't give that government the power as a rule. You don't want the government to have that power because Pisco's getting at it with the wafer thin part, with the wafer thin statement. But obviously, like, you know, if the government suddenly decides, okay, so the government decides that pirating movies is a crime, and you couldn't have your citizenship if you commit a crime, and then someone just like, I don't know, Like they literally just watch a movie one time, so they can just be deported for that now. That's insane. And then you can think like, okay, they can add a new crime, or they could consider a new thing a crime, and then all of a sudden they open up a bunch of people for deportation. Like there are just so many ways that power can be wielded that you obviously wouldn't be okay with. You just don't give the power over.
With the people that you're,
it's like it limits like people like the recourse of the population against the government. Like it's like totally fucked.
Expelling them too once you no longer feel like dealing with them, even though they're native-born citizens of your country.
I agree. Pakistan should deal with the Pakistani grooming.
But they're not. But they're not. They're not citizens of Pakistan.
I don't care. They should be sent back.
What? But they're not going to accept them.
They should put pressure on the Pakistani government to accept them.
But like they're stateless. They don't belong there. They don't know that country, right? They're not part of that culture. They might not even speak the fucking language. And they're going to say the same thing. So this is
thought about that. They should have thought about that.
They didn't make. Wait. The Pakistani government is going to say no. We're not going to take these people.
I don't care. Put pressure on the Pakistani government.
Wait, no. So this is an inherently, I think, chauvinist and Western centric, and frankly, no. I think it totally is. You're basically saying you're basically whoa. You basically said these are all the shithole countries that we can put our yes, that's what you're doing because you're treating them differently. You're saying UK is a very special place. Pakistan's very whoa. Pakistan's a very shitty place. Wait, Drew, listen to what I'm saying. So
he's just like spugging out so bad.
Basically saying this other country, Pakistan, which doesn't know this people, they're not citizens of Pakistan. They have to endure you sending the subset of UK citizens who have like some heritage going back there, and they have to accept the rapists, murderers, and thieves and take them back, even though they have no connection to this person other than the parent was connected to that country.
What? Okay. Let me explain. If somebody carries out rape, murder, assault, by virtue definition, they're scum. So why is it Britain's responsibility to accept criminals from other countries? It just is not their responsibility.
They accepted that responsibility once they granted them citizenship.
And that was wrong. The politicians who did that at the time were wrong.
But they were babies when they were, so no one knew in advance that this one guy was going to grow up to be a fucking rapist. He was granted citizenship, and you just agreed this is the problem, right, Drew? You agree that the vast majority of this group, call them Pakistani UK citizens, don't commit these heinous acts, and so and in general they're integrating well and they're being productive members of the society.
Wait a second. I think there's overall massive problems with integration. But at least the vast majority are fine.
Okay, you say the vast majority are fine, and so you said they shouldn't have been granted citizenship. Well, that doesn't really make sense because they wouldn't have known not to grant this. There's not like precog people who are deciding that these are the people who are going to grow up to be rapists that we can denaturalize them.
The rape gang situation has actually got 30+ years of history.
You're not listening. You just said the majority of this group is okay, and you don't in principle have a problem with them being granted citizenship.
Okay,
is that right?
Okay, but sure. Okay, let's say this then.
So they wouldn't know in advance. They wouldn't know in advance not to grant them citizenship because they didn't have precog, and they're not able to predict that this little baby is going to grow up to be a fucking grooming.
Okay, fine then. We can accept that standard. Only on the condition that if they do grow up to do those things, then they should be kicked out.
No, why?
Because why? It's not Britain's responsibility to have a Pakistani gang.
The fuck it's not. When you grant them citizenship,
they become your responsibility. Yeah, actually, no, that is the case.
Responsibility, and Pakistan has no connection to this person.
Then if it's Britain's responsibility because they gave them citizenship, then maybe it was maybe then it was a mistake to have the citizenship in the first place.
But you just said, right, like in general, right, this is going okay because the Pakistani people, you don't have a problem with them.
I'm not sure if it's going okay. I'm not sure if it's going okay. There's obviously massive problems with assimilation.
Should there be a rule that makes it harder for Muslims to get citizenship in Britain?
I wouldn't say Muslims in particular. I'd just say anyone who's coming from a non-Western country, there has to be very strong evidence of assimilation before they get citizenship.
So if you engage in this sort of behavior in Australia, and there was a government that felt you should be denaturalized and deported, where should they send you?
Well, dude, if I was waging war against Australia or I'd be deported, of course.
Answer the question.
But where to? Where are they deporting you to?
Probably.
Why?
To Cyprus. My family's. Because, if I was not Australian, if I hated the country, I was waging war against the country, either doing terrorist attacks or gang rapes, then why would I be in Australia?
No, but are you a citizen of Cyprus?
I think my parents have citizenship. My brother has citizenship.
Okay,
you might get citizenship.
No. So no.
So right now,
no, you're not.
You're not a citizen. I think you would know if you were a citizen of Cyprus.
But I actually accept. If I were to be doing what those Pakistani gang rapists were doing in Britain, then I shouldn't be in Australia. Of course.
No, but like, okay, so let's say that they decide, all right, Drew.
Dude,
like,
I got some retarded shit coming up on my Twitter right now. I just checked Twitter. I get this. Proof America is living in 2050, and it's just the most disgusting shit in the world. Like pepperoni and fucking chocolate cookie and shit. Like, what is going on? That's so gross, man. Like pepperoni? That's just insane. Proof America's living in 2050. I can't, man. Holy fuck.
I judge people based off their actions, whether it's criminality or terrorism.
So Drew, in this hypothetical, you do some heinous act, and they're like, "Okay, you're no longer Australian. We're going to deport you." And they say, "All right, let's bring him. Let's send him to Cyprus." And Cyprus says, "Wait, what the fuck? We don't want this douche. He's not a citizen. Now what?"
Well, honestly, if I was committing war crimes in Australia, of course I should be deported.
I don't know why you keep saying war crimes, by the way. Like, what war?
No. Like, if you're, I think honestly, like for example, the guys who did 7/7, the guys who did the bomb.
No, you were talking about rape. What's the war crime in like the grooming gangs?
Well, I actually think it's almost like it's almost literally like a declaration of war on the host country. If you're a migrant carrying out rape gangs against native British people, it's basically a declaration of war on the host country.
Okay. Can we go back to
one more thought? No. Wait. I have one more thought experiment on this. So let's say that the Likud party decides to, and like Ben-Gvir or Smotrich.
We should go on to Superman after this.
Well, let's go to Zoran.
The important stuff. Yeah. But after this, Superman. Okay, so in this hypothetical, the Likud party, like all of a sudden Ben-Gvir and the Smotriches are running the government even more than they already are now, right? And they decide that Mizrahi Jews in Israel are not really that Israeli compared to like Ashkenazi Jews within Israel. So if you had an example of a Mizrahi Jew that engages in this sort of criminality that you're outlining, a grooming gang within Israel or something, and Ben-Gvir says we need to deport them back to the Middle Eastern country from whence they came, you would support that?
No. You know what's actually funny? Ben-Gvir himself is Mizrahi. Honestly, the most hardcore right wingers in Israeli politics are Mizrahi.
It's always a thought experiment. I didn't ask
a hypothetical. It's a hypothetical. You're fighting the hypothetical.
Just what a fucking loser, dude.
Hypothetical. The hypothetical was presented. Answer it.
Okay. Listen, I think that is a different situation simply because
Why?
Because the Mizrahi Jews were basically subjected to ethnic cleansing across the Arab nation states. So there's no actual home to go back to. It's different. If your family migrates to Britain from Pakistan, you've legally migrated. That's different to Mizrahi Jews who are ethnically cleansed from their home state.
But okay, it's different. But why is it different that it affects the outcome here? Because in both cases, they don't have a home to go to.
No, that's where I disagree with you. So if you have legally migrated to the country and you're not facing like intense persecution or whatever, you do have a home to go to.
No, we're giving an example. I don't know why you keep fucking fighting the hypothetical. The example is you're a natural born citizen of the respective country, and you just have heritage from the place, right? That's what we're talking about. Is you're a natural born.
I'm telling you the difference between.
In both situations. So in both situations, they're both natural born citizens. So don't fight that aspect of the hypothetical. And in both situations, they don't have a home to go to. The Pakistani who was born the British citizen with heritage with heritage in from Pakistan doesn't have a home to go to, and the Mizrahi Jew doesn't have a home to go to. They're both the same, right?
I actually disagree with you there. I think Pakistani Britons who've gone to Britain as part of a legal migration.
No, they haven't.
They can go back.
Stop
to
fighting the fucking hypothetical.
So what you're saying is that basically, if there's any sort of persecution in your heritage, then that means you should be given extra special considerations. You could find examples of a migrant that becomes a citizen in the UK, starts committing these acts of grooming or whatever, these war crimes, whatever it is that makes them eligible to be denaturalized. Why can't I make the same argument that because they've historically had persecution that they shouldn't be subjected to it?
Okay,
Pakistanis aren't treated very well.
Yeah, this guy. Drew, how would you feel if you didn't have breakfast this morning? How would you feel about that, Drew? How should it make you feel? Someone needs to ask him this now. We need answers ASAP. No, I get the feeling Drew's response will be something like, I never miss breakfast. I always get a McMuffin.
Good point. I'll give you my response to that. If you are a refugee to Australia or Britain or America, you've been accepted on genuine refugee grounds, but then you start carrying out these heinous crimes or you advocate terrorist attacks or whatever. I wouldn't send you back to the original country because I think that's too cruel because you would face persecution. I would send you to a third party country.
Wait, but you would do so. But hang on a second. Wait. So you.
So
would,
now you're forcing them to take a criminal, and they're not even related to the country ethnically whatsoever. Nothing.
This
There's
is
nothing
crazy.
there.
No, that's more moral than sending them back to a home country that would persecute them. I'd just do like the Rwanda plan.
Well, none of this is moral, to be clear. If we're
The Rwanda plan.
talking about what's actually moral, it would just be that nobody has ever denaturalized their citizenship for what they do.
Because what's really immoral is people who take in.
Ethan subpoenaed Reddit and Discord for the identity of all the mods and chatters. What? Dude.
Who migrate to a country and then carry out war crimes and carry out terrorist attacks and carry out rape. That's the immoral thing, and it's immoral.
No one here argued that it's moral. No one here argued that it's moral. We just said that if you're already granted citizenship, then you have accepted the responsibility of that person, and they are now under your jurisdiction. You have to deal with them criminally.
It's a crime against the original host country that generously took them in. It's a crime against.
No, but they granted citizenship through their rules, right? So the example we're dealing with.
Obviously, it was a mistake. Obviously, in the case of the thousands of Pakistani men who involved themselves in these grooming gangs, it was a huge, major mistake. Should never have happened.
Wait. So you're telling me that they should not?
There were thousands.
So is it your position, therefore, that the acceptance of Pakistanis en masse of having citizenship was a mistake because of the grooming gang situation? That in general, we should have never granted these people citizenship because of what.
I want to explain. I'm not against Pakistani citizens becoming citizens of Britain. Full stop. Not against that at all. They should have been much more highly educated people. Unfortunately, what happened in real life was they took in the poorest, most rural, feudal elements of Pakistan. People who weren't educated, people who weren't, the best Pakistan was sending, and therefore that's why it was a mistake. It was the quality of the people who came in as migrants.
So you want the host country to extract all of the benefits, but not actually bear any of the responsibility that they've taken upon themselves once they've granted these people citizenship.
But it just makes sense. But it just makes sense. Why is it? No, it does, because migration, as Pisco said before, migration is supposed to benefit the host country. So why is it otherwise? Nicholas Decker, that utilitarian.
But it's no longer migration once they've been granted citizenship. Yeah. At that point, you're a citizen of that nation.
It's called naturalization.
No, but they only became citizens as a result of a migration process, right? And I'm saying is the quality of migrants that came from Pakistan to Britain obviously was a disaster. For
why? Wait. Well, you said the vast majority don't have this problem with the grooming gangs.
No, actually. Yes, but the problem is that even though the vast majority haven't personally involved themselves in the grooming gangs, you see the polling that a large part of this community still support.
Bro, this is just like so retarded. He's literally having to do like fucking. Like, twist himself up into knots to try and explain this. It's so dumb.
Still have views that are sympathetic to extremism, and still a large part of the community
unrelated to the grooming gangs. So now you're taking at a broad look at
No, there's two things. There's two things here. If you look at polling of the community, a vast majority of them, a huge part of them, have unfortunately regarded this issue as kind of like racist. They say that it's a beat up by British media, etc. That level of sympathy to the people who have involved themselves in British grooming gangs is a disaster. It shows that assimilation.
So by your logic, So by your logic, you would agree that the Black Americans should have never been granted citizenship, right? Because they commit much more crime on average than. Wait. Do you agree that Black Americans? Yeah, go for it.
Pisco, the difference is that African Americans have always been a part of America for 400 plus years. That's the difference.
Wait a second. They were imported. They were imported as
African Americans.
Yeah, they were imported as in chattel slavery.
They were stolen and brought here as slaves.
That's my point. Exactly my point. They can trace their history back in America for 400 plus years. So
okay, but it was a mistake, right?
Before America.
Wait, but wasn't it a mistake? We should have sent them back to Africa. Wait, shouldn't we have sent them back to Africa?
No.
Why not?
No, dude, no. Because it's 400 plus years of history. They're part of the American nation. African Americans have always been part of the American nation.
Wait. So we shouldn't have sent them back to Africa, even though the decision to naturalize, right? The decision to naturalize, that should benefit the host country, right?
But it's different. It's different.
Why?
They were brought against their will to America.
Bro, no African American right now was brought there against their will. They were born there, Drew. this heritage shit is so retarded. It's so dumb.
As slaves, they have 400 plus years of history.
So
they're part of
a child
culture and history and
yet a child who's born, right? They didn't ask to be born, right? This is a person who didn't take a volitional act to come to this country. A child born, you're going to denaturalize them, even though they
didn't ask to be born.
Come to UK, they know no other country.
They made a decision. You know what the decision they did make? The decision they made in the context of Britain is that they decided to become part of migrant grooming gangs, rape gangs against children.
Yeah, for which they should be punished. For which they should be punished in the criminal sense, just like any other.
It didn't ask to be born. Fuck. Shit, I can't even load the clip. Fuck. It's fucked up. Now we have to take a whole detour to post it on Streamable. I can get it up. Fuck. Dude, why did .mov files not play in browser? So fucked up.
Women don't like me. Nobody likes me. I'm a complete loner, completely eccentric, sort of prickly, unlikable, autistic hermit, and that's just the way I am. So I was born a loner, and that wasn't voluntary. I didn't choose to be born, so that was involuntary. So I'm an incel. Women.
So based.
White UK member.
But why? How are they just as British as somebody who traces back their history?
What do you mean? What do you mean just as British? I don't know what you mean by when you say the term British. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Answer that question specifically. Don't give me an analogy. Answer the question. What do you mean by more British?
I'm answering. Assimilated into the culture.
So British culture, and you define British culture how?
White.
Like the 1,000, no, not just white, but it's 1,000 years of British culture history, of course.
Okay, so the 1,000.
Wait, can I just ask Aaron this? But can I ask this? So if you think, okay, what is British culture if it's not the people who made up Britain for?
Sounds like you're saying it's bloodline. It sounds like you're saying it's bloodline.
A huge part of it is ancestry, of course, and not saying.
So you're saying a huge part of it is huge part of it is genetics. You sound like Nick Fuentes.
No, not genetics. I'm talking about ancestry.
That is wait, that is about genetics.
What's ancestry if not
genetics, just ancestry.
Ancestry is genetics.
Ancestry is.
Okay, can you explain, Aaron? Okay, you don't think that white English people are, I don't know, like the people who made up England for 1,000 plus years? I'm confused.
I don't.
You're the one here who has these like very, very fast terms and conceptions of.
I'm confused. What you know the Britain's for the British? What are you saying about that? But Drew, why don't you engage with the fucking line of questioning? Why don't you actually like have a back and forth instead of pivoting into the most retarded, like right-wing signaling talking points ever? Right.
What constitutes a patriotic person or an American or a British? To me, it's as simple as: were you born? Are you a natural? Are you not? Are you a citizen there? Then you are that thing. You either are or you aren't. It's not. It's not about like whether or not they adhere to certain beliefs or the types of behaviors they engage in. That's always going to be like a philosophical question.
I wanted to. I said they should assimilate into English culture. You said. And he said, "What's English culture?" And you derisively said, "White people." Of course, it's white people. Of course, white people are like the majority English culture. For
no, I said he was asking you what it means, and I was saying that I think you think it means that because you keep taking it back to genetics and ancestry and blood and soil shit. I wasn't saying that. I was saying you were saying that.
It's not blood and soil. Of course, white English.
It's not blood and soil. It's just based on ancestry and their genes and their history and like their connection to other lands that are not the country that they're currently a citizen of.
England has been a country for English people for 1,000 plus years. So I just don't understand this idea that
Dude, remember Stardust had like an incredibly amicable conversation with this guy the other week that was supposed to be a confrontation.
Today we've decided it's not longer that.
You understand
Why?
that you understand that the territory of Pakistan was part of the British Empire, correct?
Yes, sure.
So you have that history there. That's like at least 200 plus years of history connecting it to the British Empire.
Britain decolonized. Britain decolonized.
Okay, so that breaks up the history. That breaks up the history. When they became their own country, all of a sudden it's a different. Even though you were willing to grant that there was more similarity with America, even though they broke up as well. So this is part of.
Can I ask you this question, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I've got a mod, for example, who's Vietnamese. Like, do you think Vietnamese culture is predominantly Viet ethnic people? Of course it is. Of course it is. Vietnam has existed for thousands of years.
So you're biting the bullet.
In response to defining what culture is, you started to appeal to their ancestry and ethnicity.
Well, ethnicity is a big part of it.
Okay, so then
what other part of it would it be? Then
also culture. So I want to make clear.
I think that, culture is culture. Okay, what other aspect of it?
Hang on. Let me explain. I want to make clear. I think non-white people can, of course, migrate to Britain and assimilate into English culture. Rishi Sunak is a great example of that. I think Rishi Sunak is basically, by predilection, his culture, everything.
But if he does a crime, he should be denaturalized, right? Wait. If Rishi Sunak does a financial crime, he should be denaturalized and sent back to India. Fair?
I wasn't talking
yes
about
or no.
Yes or no. If Rishi Sunak did a violent crime, if he beat his wife, you would say send him to India. Rishi Sunak. Well, if he's bashing his wife,
bite the bullet.
Grooming gang.
Bite the bullet. No, hit his wife. Send him to India. Yes.
No, I think.
Why not beating your wife? Wait, why not?
Rishi Sunak is much more assimilated.
So you're going to do individual case by case to feel like, you trust the government to be like, he's more assimilated. So even though he fits every single category, he's not white, he's from India, they are their own country too.
I actually think.
So are you saying that domestic violence is part of English culture?
No, I'm not. I'm trying to explain to you.
But you said it's a reason that he should remain there.
Drew said yes to deporting someone for assault, but no for beating your wife. Bro, this guy's got way more in common with Muslims than he wants to admit. Another guy who talks crazy shit on Muslims but would love Sharia law. Yeah, another. Very common. Very common.
No,
I don't know anyone else. I like my liberal Western democracy, actually. That's me personally.
No, let me answer. If you listen to Rishi Sunak speak, he sounds like an Oxford-educated English gentleman. So I think Rishi Sunak is almost fully assimilated.
What does that mean? He barely has an Indian accent, or what?
Wait, almost fully assimilated? Did you just say the former British Prime Minister, the head of the Tories, was almost fully assimilated into British culture? In what sense was he not fully assimilated?
I said he was fully assimilated.
No, you said you said almost. You said almost. You said the word almost. You 100% said the word almost. You 100% said that.
I said he's almost exactly the same as an English white person.
What?
Obviously, he's not exactly the same because he's not ethnically English.
You're full mask off. You're full mask off, bro. You're full mask off. I don't know. This fucking
Let's go on. Cinema. Pisco 1. Mind of Lion, Soul of Ape. Please go on.
Let's get back to Zoran. Can we get back to Zoran? Another Indian leader.
I'm confused. All I said in terms of culture, he's fully English.
You said
almost.
He's not
ethnically English. Of course.
No. Let's get the actual quote. I'm actually going to bring up the actual quote. Sorry. I'm going to just get the quote.
Sorry, but let's just clarify this. Do you think
he's running the tape back?
English? Of course, not.
Hang on.
He's culturally English, 100%.
Drew,
he's 100% culturally English.
Yeah, we're just pausing real quick so I can get the quote so I don't misquote you. Hang on, let's say.
Sure.
Wait, did you just say the
Oxford-educated English gentleman? So I think Rishi Sunak is almost fully assimilated.
What is that?
You said
he did. He said it exactly. He fucking lied. He fucking lied, dude. Oh my God, what a complete piece of shit this guy is, man. Holy fuck.
I think Rishi Sunak is almost fully assimilated. That's the direct quote. I think Rishi Sunak is almost fully assimilated.
I misspoke. Okay, I misspoke. No. I was only. No, can I explain? Right? Can I explain?
Yeah.
I was saying that in the context of you saying, what if Rishi Sunak was committing all these heinous crimes, committing violent crimes? I think obviously, if he was just bashing his wife and carrying out grooming acts, of course he wouldn't be fully assimilated. That's why I said
British. And then Aaron asked you, and then Aaron said, "What, you think that beating people isn't part of British culture? Like they don't beat people? Like the fucking natives don't beat people?"
No. I'm trying to explain to you, right? I think my position, right, is I think Rishi Sunak's fully assimilated as an Englishman. I think he's not ethnically English. Of course, he's not ethnically English. He's ethnically Indian English. He's in terms of culture, he's fully English. If he was carrying out grooming gangs and rape and violence and all this stuff, then by definition he couldn't.
So this is the circular.
It's part of football culture to beat your wife. I mean, I don't have to bring up the stats, do I? I'm sure everyone knows the stats about football and beating your wife in the UK. Sure, everyone knows.
This is the circularity, right? Like you're defining the assimilation in terms of the crime, right? So in that case, anytime.
Yes, I do think. I want to make sense. I want to make this clear. If you are migrant or descendant of migrants very recently, if you commit a crime, by definition,
no. Okay, then isn't it? That's the problem, right? If the crime makes it so that you're not assimilated, a white person who has Anglo heritage and commits the crime by definition. Let me finish it, because you know what you just said. You know what you just said.
Yes. No, but the difference is that a white English person has 1,000 years of history in the country, so you can't deport them.
Yeah,
by the same metric, the Australian High Court found that Indigenous Australians could never ever be deported, even if they're not Australian citizens. They can never ever be deported.
I think there's a difference between assimilation and integration, really. And I think what you should aim for is integration, not necessarily assimilation. Like, assimilation can be good. It's fine if people want to assimilate, but it's integration, really, that I think is what matters. It's just like, you know, participating in the society, function, you know, working, being able to engage with like local authorities and shit like that, being able to cooperate with the other people in the country. Like, it's just, it's not about it doesn't have to be that, you know, everyone that moves to Britain, like, you know, drinking tea or whatever retarded shit Drew thinks it's supposed to be, you know. That's not really what you need to aim for. That's not really what anyone cares about.
Their history, their ancestry to the land. So I'm actually just clarifying. I'm actually taking the same standard of progressive indigenous thought.
So if those indigenous people started doing grooming gangs there, they should stay there.
Well, they should stay.
Well, that's
yeah. Wait. Doesn't this guy hate China? Wait, doesn't this guy hate China? Isn't his whole thing being anti-China? I'm sure he talks about the Uyghur genocide, right?
At that point, it's not even about the criminality or the conduct that they've engaged in. It's just about this arbitrary connection to the land and ancestry.
It's not okay. This is actually a good point, though.
Let British people rape. Let them rape.
No, but there is unfortunately a lot of it's really sad.
Dude, Pisco dropping a let him rape reference. Hello.
Okay, this is actually a good point, though.
Let British people rape.
Who are indigenous.
Let them rape.
No, but there is unfortunately a lot of it's really sad. It's a terrible situation. There's a lot.
We're gonna start psyoping that Pisco hates Destiny now.
In indigenous
He might not. I don't know. But
the Australian High Court has actually found, even if you're not an Australian citizen, if you're say New Zealander. So in this case, there were 2 New Zealanders who had, I think they were a quarter indigenous on their father's side or something like that. They migrated to Australia for 10 years, carried out a crime, then the government wanted to deport them. The government said, no, if you have any indigenous ancestry whatsoever, you can never be deported. Because
I don't know why you're yapping about this case, like to filibuster. I don't know why you're yapping about the case. We accept it.
I'm just giving you an example, though. I'm giving you an example. By the same metric, a white English person who has 1,000 years of history in the country can't ever be deported because they're indigenous to the country. They are indigenous to the country at the end of the day. They are indigenous to the country.
Yeah, but the whole.
So I do think indigeneity. I do think indigeneity is a big part of this, of course.
So you're basically just saying, well, because it's legal and because the law defines it as such in Australia, therefore that justifies it. But I'm telling you,
no, I'm not just referring. I'm not just referring to that law case.
It's an appeal to the law. It's an appeal to the law.
But I'm actually saying the philosophical concept, the moral argument that somebody who has indigeneity can never be deported. I actually agree with that.
Well, it's not a moral argument.
It is
appealing to a legal body.
No, I'm not appealing. I'm pointing to the Australian High Court decision, but I'm not saying it's only right
of the
because
law.
The Australian High Court said that. I'm not saying even if the Australian High Court had not said that, I would still believe this. I still think if you're indigenous, you can't ever be deported.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So let's get back to Zoran. I think we're looping a little bit. Okay. So you did seem to say that like America had a different culture, just like Australia, of immigration, where there isn't this kind of inherent connection to bloodlines as perhaps there would be in a place like Poland, a place like.
Sorry, can you say that again? I missed that.
Yeah. Sure. So while we were talking about this, it sounded like you were saying that unlike cultures like in Poland, cultures like in UK, that America, Australia, these are places where immigration is more wound up in the fabric of what makes that country the country. And so if that's the case, then what's your issue with Zoran?
And I want to make clear, I think Zoran's fully American. I think he's an assimilated American. I hate his politics. I do think he's an assimilated American. So yeah, there's no. I'm not saying I'm definitely against the MAGA people who like deport Zoran. That's not my view at all. I'm against that. I've actually got a Substack article. I know you loved smashing my Substack article. I've got a Substack article coming out in a couple of days where I'm actually going to be arguing that if you look at Zoran's politics and his personality, he's actually fully assimilated. But the culture he's assimilated to in America is a very unique culture. It's white self-hating leftism. So I think he's got toxic political.
It's just like, this is so embarrassingly retarded. It is just like, he thinks in like political memes. He's like, yeah, Zoran's assimilated into the triggered SJW culture. Bro, shut the fuck up. How about you just how about you just like retire from public life? How about you just like go live in some miserable fucking hole where I never have to hear you talk again, you fat fucking pig.
Views, and I think he's got toxic racial views, but he is assimilated.
What do you think about that, Aaron?
What's up?
Oh, never mind. Okay, well, my response to that, Drew, is let's talk about the alternative, the actual voting decision. Okay, so you've outlined, I think.
Can I just need to? Can I have 20 seconds? I got to blow my nose.
Yeah,
I've got
go
a
for it.
At the moment. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hope you feel better, man.
No, it's not cocaine. I'm blowing my nose.
When he you're proving a ton that people are not like.
Job on that, Aaron. Nice snack.
Sorry, I got a bit of a cold. Okay.
No worries.
Okay, what's the question?
Okay. Have you ever done coke? That's the question. I'm just kidding.
No, I actually haven't. No, you know what's funny? A lot of people think that based on my crazy shit posts and stuff like that like I must be some kind of.
We don't care.
Sure.
Okay, since you already said that you agree with the Australian High Court and the way that they view these things about indigeneity and like being there for 1,000 years prevents you from being denaturalized, no matter what. If you have somebody who's 1/4 white English and 3/4 Pakistani who starts engaging in this sort, and they become a naturalized citizen in the UK, and they start engaging in grooming gangs, that sort of criminality, should they be free from deportation?
Yes, I actually think that, and it's probably just the same principle of indigeneity. That's literally the principle in the Australian High Court case. So that's literally the principle in the Australian High Court case. The Australian High Court case found that even if you're like 10% Indigenous, you can never be deported from Australia because of that history you have with the country. And of course, I think
it's like a one-drop rule.
That history, the history being.
It's like a one-drop rule. Yeah, exactly like that, Pisco. Spot on.
But it's not one drop. It's just that you actually do have Indigenous ties to the land. I think that is actually the case.
Because of the one drop.
Do you think Elizabeth Warren is Indigenous?
Yeah, do you?
Sorry, what'd you say?
Do you think Elizabeth Warren is Indigenous?
I don't think Elizabeth Warren is Indigenous.
Why? She has one drop.
Why not?
I'm not doing the one drop rule.
Yes, you are.
You're like 1/4, which is still like a pretty substantial portion.
It was 10%. It was 10% where you said even if it was like 10% or something. That's what you just said.
It's like 1/14 or something.
Yeah, but
like
then
that.
you said even if it's just 10%, it's fine.
Yeah, thank God.
Someone let's look up Liz.
Dude, then you,
10%,
idiot.
it's fine.
Someone let's look up Liz Warren. Elizabeth Warren's native ancestry.
Obviously, I don't think Elizabeth Warren's Native American. I think obviously
so
I'm
obvious.
I want to clarify. I'm not saying that people should be like DNA tested for this shit. I'm not obsessed with this. Like I'm not one of those racial obsession genetic racial people. At all. I'm talking about this in terms of ancestry and.
You just said if somebody who's 3/4 Pakistani because they're 1/4 white, we need to pay attention to that.
No. If you have ancestry that is Indigenous, then of course that comes into it. That's what the Australian High Court case ruled in the Brenda v. Love case.
So this is what it says. The test results, according to factcheck.org, showed that according to the report, Warren's test results show that she's of primarily European descent, but also that she has at least 5 genetic segments that are Native American origin at a high degree of confidence. One of these segments is larger than the other, spanning about 4.7 million bases. Another analysis indicates that DNA chunk has a genetic signature one would expect from a person having European and Native American heritage. The total length of all of Warren's Native American assigned segments is about 12.3 million bases, which the report states is about 12.4 times greater than the average in the Great Britain reference population and 10.5 times greater than the average in the Utah population. Bustamante concludes that there is strong evidence for a Native American ancestor roughly 6 to 10 generations ago. What do you think about that?
Well, obviously that's too small. It's like one ancestor 20 generations ago. So I'm not one drop. I'm not one of those fucking retarded one drop people. Of course not. I'm saying you gave me a pretty concrete.
It's so shit. One drop, 10%. There's a big difference here.
Where somebody had at least one parent.
Okay.
Yeah, they had one parent who was
one grandparent
Indigenous to the country.
Yeah, a grandparent, not even a parent.
Obviously becomes a very tough thing when you start going back further and further and further. But my point, this is actually a non-racist point. I'm saying you can be, as long as you've got some indigenous to the title land. I'm not saying
you said Rishi Sunak was almost fully assimilated, bro.
That was an anti-racist point, Pisco. Come on.
I explained myself.
I'm fucking with you.
I made it worse.
My actual position, if you don't put words in my mouth, my actual position is that Rishi Sunak is fully assimilated as an English person. Of course he is.
Okay,
dude, this is just bullying.
It was just in the hypothetical version of Rishi Sunak where he beat his wife. You would assume.
You gave me a hypothetical where like Rishi Sunak was doing grooming gangs. Like
this guy is actually too retarded to fight back.
I said beating his wife. I said beating his wife.
But if you changed Rishi Sunak as a person so that he was no longer like this educated Oxford gentleman who was the Prime Minister of Britain, and instead he was doing grooming gangs, of course he's a different person. So of course in that case it's not assimilated.
I'm just adding one fact to hypothetical Rishi Sunak is that he beat his wife. In that case, he's still an Oxford gentleman.
Well, if he's viciously beating his wife, then there's a big question whether he's actually contributing to the country in a positive sense.
Do you understand?
What if he non-viciously beat his wife? Just a little smacking around.
You're basically suggesting.
Thank you, Aaron. That's great.
Wait. True. You're basically suggesting that it's like incompatible with British culture to beat your wife. I just don't understand why that you come to that conclusion.
Because I just think if you're a migrant or a new migrant to the country, you have an extra special responsibility not to ever engage in crimes because you're a guest in the country. You've been welcomed.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, isn't it fully consistent with British culture to beat your wife?
I don't think it should be. I think it should be.
But it is though. But it is.
Not to ever engage in crimes because you're a guest in the country. You've been welcomed.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, isn't it fully consistent with British culture to beat your wife?
I don't think it should be. I think it should be.
No, whether it should be, I mean, there's some bad culture that have bad things. It's just a question of what the culture is. Like, I
don't think British culture is. I think in British culture it's much less acceptable to beat your wife than say in other countries, that's a fact. That is literally a fact.
I know, but I'm saying maybe that's true, although I don't know. All I'm saying is it compatible with British culture to beat your wife?
No, I don't think it's compatible with British culture. And if you look like
I think it is. I think it's quite compatible with British culture to beat your wife and American culture for that matter.
You think that's British culture? It's not compatible with culture. There are massive public health campaigns run by the government saying never accept this ever. There are tough punishments against this. There are countries where it's legal. Obviously, would you tell me that a country that has it
just because it's illegal doesn't mean it's compatible with the culture?
Okay, but give me I'm giving you an example.
Exhausting.
Right? Hypothetical. Say there's a country where it's legal to beat your wife. Do you think that country has wife beating as a more
we got better shit coming up though
than a country like America where wife beating does still happen, but it's very much like literally illegal? I don't know. Russia, for example, Russia literally decriminalized beating your wife. I think beating your wife is much more like amenable to Russian culture.
Maybe I would grant you that comparatively, in this hypothetical, that in Russia it's more compatible. But it doesn't mean that it's incompatible in Britain and also your country where domestic violence is a huge issue.
Pisco just triggered me. I hate when Americans do that. When they say Britain, it's so
in Australia.
It is a huge issue.
The essence of your argument is that anything that doesn't carry a criminal penalty is necessarily part of the culture. But then it's like saying petty theft is part of a culture because it's not like it doesn't always have to be like this very, very severe criminal act because it's a misdemeanor or something.
There are a whole range of acts that are incompatible with, say, English culture. So, for example, like I don't think somebody like shitting on the street, openly defecating is compatible with English culture. But I don't think somebody should be immediately deported for that act. Like it's bad. It's really terrible.
So if Rishi Sunak,
we really Pisco is a demon, bro. This guy is insane. Holy fuck.
For that act. Like it's bad. It's really terrible.
So if Rishi Sunak, all else equal, he's still the suave, sophisticated Oxford gentleman, goes and drops a deuce in Trafalgar Square.
By definition, he's not going to do that. He's not going to do that, obviously, because he's an Oxford English gentleman.
Okay. So he would never. By the way,
actually,
this is actually so stupid. British culture.
Can I ask you this, Pisco?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Do you think if somebody migrates to America like 2 months ago, right, and then they're openly defecating in the street, do you think that they're compatible with American culture?
Yes.
Why? That's fucked up.
I'll tell you why. Because you want to know the amount of Americans all across the country that get pissed drunk in this country and go and pee and poo in the street, and like how many like this
Dude,
shit. Have you heard of New York? Have you heard of like like people are pooing and peeing everywhere in America? It's gross. It's disgusting.
Fentanyl addicts are literally just shitting themselves in the street all day in most American cities.
Dude, it's pretty obvious that it's very much frowned upon in American culture.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, no. I have a better one. Before the 1970s in the United States, marital rape was basically completely legal in all 50 states. So would you argue that marital rape was an integral part of American culture and continues to be because of that history? It's been illegal far longer than it was illegal.
I think it's horrible that it was part of American culture. I'm glad that American culture has changed over time. Obviously, 100 years ago, you could probably argue that 100 years ago that it was widespread in American culture for that to happen. It's obviously a horrible thing. I'm glad that American culture
it's still widespread.
It
just gets punished now. That's the only difference.
It sounds like you're grounding out culture into like what's legal sometimes, and it feels like this is a big circularity problem.
No, but would you accept that obviously in the culture it's frowned upon marital rape? Of course it's frowned upon in America.
I think now probably
but you tied it back to like
but,
criminality.
Yeah, I think that you're kind of citing the law.
But do you think are there Hollywood films where like they're just normal plot points where it's just somebody like casually rapes their wife and it's just normal in the film?
Yeah,
The Wolf of Wall Street. In The Wolf of Wall Street, right before they get divorced, he fucking holds her down and rapes her practically.
And Gone with the Wind as well.
He's presented as a disgusting person for doing that. That's my point.
Okay, and Gone with the Wind, it's like celebrated.
Okay, exactly 100 years ago, American culture was different. Okay, that's my whole point. You're actually making my point for me.
Yeah, I think you're probably right that in the modern era, we've kind of, but not fully, by the way. There's a thing called rape culture. There is such a thing as rape culture in America, but all the righties and people who I think you might associate with, they like laugh when feminists bring up rape culture in the context of like college campuses where it does occur.
There is rape culture. There is rape culture in existence. I'd still say that like the majority view in America is that rape is bad. Like there's obviously too much rape in America. There's still too much sexual assault. There's still too much discrimination against women. But I'd still say that the majority cultural view in America is that discrimination against women is bad. Violence against women is bad.
Okay, can we get back to Zoran?
Okay, let's go to Zoran.
Okay, so on Zoran, let's actually talk about the choice here, because you said that he has a bunch of third worldist policies, and you pointed to his previous tweets.
No. I want to clarify. I didn't say that he had third worldist policies.
Third worldist philosophy.
I said his political worldview for 10+ years has been third world.
And that's because he put the middle finger to the Christopher Columbus statue, because he favorably...
I think we might call this here and pick it up tomorrow or something. So how far did we get in this? I don't quite remember. We must have watched like an hour of it, right?
Any of the responsibility that they've taken upon themselves once they've granted these people citizenship.
But it just makes sense. But
it doesn't.
Why is it? No. If I hated the country, I was waging war against the country, either doing terrorist attacks
to it, and like Ben Gvir or Smotrich.
We should go becoming citizens of Britain. Full stop.
Somewhere around here. Okay, so basically to introduce you guys to what's happening here, Erin and Pisco had Drew Pavlou on their podcast last night. Okay, talk about Zoran Mamdani, to talk about Superman, all sorts of shit. And it basically gets bogged down in this argument for ages about denaturalization. Drew thinks that even if you're a naturalized citizen, if you've come from like some other country, like Pakistan or something, and then you commit a crime in the host country, only certain types of crimes, by the way, it's only crimes that he associates with Muslims, like rape. If you commit a crime in your host country, then you should be denaturalized and deported, even if you don't have a citizenship in any other country or whatever. So it's just like the most dumb position in the world. Obviously, the country would not take them back or take them at all. Obviously, it's insane power to give the government. Obviously, Pisco has argued against it, that it's a hard, insane power to give the government, and obviously they can just start creating classifications to strip people out of citizenship and pass them out of the country. Basically, just start asking for like banishments at this point. It's like absolutely like just such a retarded position to take. But Drew does this horrible bitch, coward, mealy-mouthed defense of it, where he's trying to both come off like he's a lib still, but also just argue for, like, ethno-nationalism, basically. He's just like a total retard. And he was getting absolutely mogged. So let's pick it up from roughly where we were at last night. Hopefully we're not too far back. And yeah.
Acceptance of Pakistanis en masse of having citizenship was a mistake because of the grooming gang situation. That in general, we should have never granted these people citizenship because of what...
I want to explain. I'm not against Pakistani citizens becoming citizens of Britain. Full stop. Not against that at all. They should have been much more highly educated people. Unfortunately, what happened in real life was they took in the poorest.
Yeah. Also, he doesn't engage with a single point the entire time. He just keeps pivoting and questioning. He is totally retarded and embarrassing.
Most rural, feudal elements of Pakistan, people who weren't educated, people who weren't, the best Pakistan was sending, and therefore that's why it was a mistake. It was the quality of the people who.
So you want the host country to extract all of the benefits, but not actually bear any of the responsibility that they've taken upon themselves once they've granted these people citizenship.
But it just makes sense. But it just makes sense.
But it doesn't.
Why is it? No, it does, because why migration, as Pisco said before, migration is supposed to benefit the host country. So why is it otherwise? Nicholas Decker.
But it's no longer migration once they've been granted citizenship. At that point, you're a citizen of that nation.
It's called naturalization.
Okay, but they only became citizens as a result of a migration process, right? And what I'm saying is the quality of migrants that came from Pakistan to Britain obviously was a disaster for many years in Britain.
Well, you said the vast majority don't have this problem with the grooming.
Actually, yes, but the problem is that even though the vast majority haven't personally involved themselves in the grooming gangs, you see the polling that a large part of this community still have views that are sympathetic to extremism, and still a large part of the community
unrelated to the grooming gangs. So now you're looking at a broad look at
there's two things here. If you look at polling of the community, a vast majority of them, a huge part of them, have unfortunately regarded this issue as kind of like racist. They say that it's a beat up by British media, etc. That level of sympathy to the people who have involved themselves in British grooming gangs is a disaster. It shows that assimilation is not working correctly.
So by your logic, you would agree that Black Americans should have never been granted citizenship, right? Because they commit much more crime on average.
No. It's different. The difference is that
Do you agree that Black Americans? Yeah, go for it.
Pisco, the difference is that African Americans have always been a part of America for 400 plus years. That's the difference.
Wait a second.
Always?
They were imported. They were
African Americans?
They were imported as child.
They were stolen and brought here as slaves, dude.
That's my point. Exactly my point. They can trace their history back in America for 400 plus years. So of course,
but they came from somewhere else before America.
Wait, but wasn't it a mistake? We should have sent them back to Africa. Wait, shouldn't we have sent them back to Africa?
No.
Why not?
No, dude, no. Because it's 400 plus years of history. They're part of the American nation. African Americans have always been part of the American nation.
Oh, wait. So we shouldn't have sent them back to Africa, even though the decision to naturalize, that should benefit the host country, right?
But it's different. They were brought against their will to America as slaves. They have 400 plus years of history. They're part of America's culture and history and nation.
And yet, a child who's born, right? They didn't ask to be born, right? This is a person who didn't take a volitional act to come to this country. A child born, you're going to denaturalize them, even though they didn't make the decision to come to the UK. They don't know other country.
Made the decision. You know what the decision they did make? The decision they made in the context of Britain is that they decided to become part of migrant grooming gangs, rape gangs against children of the British majority.
For which they should be punished in the criminal consent, just like any other white UK member.
But why? How are
so
they
the idea
British
is, like, dude, some of these people who are in, like, these rape gangs had, like, I think Pavlou saying this last night, had like dual citizenship and fled to Pakistan and shit. And you want to, instead of trying them in our country and imprisoning them and giving the punishment ourselves, you want to risk what? Just sending them to Pakistan to live a free life after raping people? Like, what the fuck are you even talking about?
It's back their history 1,000 years.
What do you mean just as British? I don't know what you mean by when you say the term British. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Answer that question specifically. Don't give me an analogy. Answer the question. What do you mean by more British?
I'm answering. Assimilated into the culture.
So British culture, and you define British culture how?
White.
Like the 1,000, no, not just white, but it's 1,000 years of British culture history, of course.
Okay, so the 1,000.
Wait, can I?
How do you define British culture? It's 1,000 years of British culture, of course. Oh, thank you, Drew. Oh, that makes so much sense now. Thank you, Drew.
ask Aaron this, but can I ask this? So if you think, okay, what is British?
Also, guys, now's a great time to remind you. 300 people here, 55 likes to stream, so 250 people. Please remember to a thumbs up and click it and press the thumbs up on mobile device. That'd be huge appreciated. Now, if you want to take your support one step further, you can donate directly through a stream elements link in the pinned chat message. You can also buy a membership to the channel, gift a membership to the channel, gift a whole bunch of membership joining throughout the chat, buy a super chat which will highlight a message right on TTS, or buy a super sticker which is a YouTube image or GIF that will be highlighted in chat, and I'll subscribe it to you. You can go to discord.gg/Kuihman, twitter.com/Kuihman, or reddit.com/r/Kuihman. Anything else? Oh yeah, we'll put a goal in chat, okay? Epic goal going in chat. It'll be a cool goal smile. Cool goal smile. Wow.
British culture if it's not the people who made up Britain for 1,000.
Sounds like you're saying it's bloodline. It sounds like you're saying it's bloodline.
A huge part of it is ancestry, of course. I'm not saying bloodline.
You're saying a huge part of it is huge part of it is genetics. You sound like Nick Fuentes.
No, not genetics. I'm talking about ancestry. England was a country for ancestry.
Not genetics, just ancestry. What the fuck do you think ancestry is?
Okay, can you explain, Aaron? Okay, you don't think that white English people are, I don't know, like the people who made up England for 1,000+ years? I'm confused.
You're the one here who has these like very, very fast and loose terms and conceptions of what constitutes a patriotic person or an American or a British. To me, it's as simple as were you born? Are you a natural? Are you not? Are you a citizen there? Then you are that thing. You either are or you aren't. It's not. It's not about like whether or not they adhere to certain beliefs or the types of behaviors they engage in. That's always going to be like a philosophical question.
I wanted to. I said they should assimilate into English culture. You said. And he said, "What's English culture?" And you derisively said, "White people." Of course, it's white people. Of course, white people are like the majority English.
No, I said he was asking you what it means, and I was saying that I think you think it means that because you keep taking it back to genetics and ancestry and blood and soil shit. I wasn't saying that. I was saying you were saying that.
It's not blood and soil. It's not blood and soil. Of course,
it's not blood and soil. It's just based on ancestry and their genes and their history and like their connection to other lands that are not the country that they're currently a citizen of.
But England has been a country for English people for 1,000+ years. So I just don't understand this idea that today we've decided.
Shut the fuck up, dude! I don't want to hear a fucking Greek Australian being like England's for the English. Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up!
You understand that? You understand that the territory of Pakistan was part of the British Empire, correct?
Yes, sure.
So you have that history there. That's like at least 200+ years of history connecting it to the
Britain
British
decolonized.
Empire.
Britain decolonized.
Okay, so who? Wait. So that breaks up the history. That breaks up the history.
Drew is Turkish. Drew's Turkish, and his son is going to grow up to be his firstborn son will grow up to be a fine janissary. Okay.
When they became their own country, all of a sudden it's a different. Even though you were willing to grant that there was more similarity with America, even though they broke up as well. So
okay, can I ask you this question, right? Okay. Yeah. I've got a mod, for example, who's Vietnamese. Like, do you think Vietnamese culture is predominantly Viet ethnic people? Of course it is. Of course it fucking is. Vietnam has been Vietnam has existed.
So you in response to defining what culture is, you started to appeal to their ancestry and ethnicity.
Well, ethnicity is a big part of it.
Okay.
What other part of it would it be? Then
also culture. So
culture is culture. Okay. What other aspect of it?
Hang on. Okay. Let me explain. I want to make clear. I think non-white people can, of course, migrate to Britain and assimilate into English culture. Rishi Sunak is a great example of that. I think Rishi Sunak is basically, by predilection, his culture, everything, the way he conducts himself is 100% English.
Right? Wait. If Rishi Sunak does a financial crime, he should be naturalized and sent back to India. Fair?
I wasn't talking about financial.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
No. If Rishi Sunak did a violent crime, if
he beat his wife, you would say send him to India. Rishi Sunak.
Well, if he's bashing his wife, he's doing grooming gangs.
Bite the bullet. No, hit his wife. Send him to India. Yes.
No, I think Rishi Sunak is much more assimilated.
So you're gonna do individual case by case to feel like, you trust the government to be like, he's more assimilated. So even though he fits every single category, he's not white, he's from India. You know, they are their own country too.
But he's an English. I actually think.
So are you saying that domestic violence is part of English culture?
No, I'm not. I'm trying to explain.
But you said it's a reason that he should remain there.
No. Let me answer. If you listen to Rishi Sunak speak, he sounds like an Oxford-educated English gentleman. So I think Rishi Sunak is a.
Dude. What is he even saying, man? It's like the most retarded, like, I just, this is why I hate you. It's like, what's a good comparison point? It's almost like hearing people who start talking about culture and immigration, who get too much into that, is the same as listening to, like, red pill and, like, dating advice type people, where they've devolved into this, like, total schizophrenic, abstract analysis of everything, where it's all about these collections of traits. It's all built on, like, a bunch of retarded, like, you know, confluence of, like, evo psych type talking points, and then, like points about the ethics of that a society holds, like what principles they hold and all this shit. And it's just like it devolves into just this absolutely, like, incomprehensible. You can't pin down, like, a provable through line of, like, anything. It is just all abstract, schizophrenic. Yeah, it's very Jordan Peterson. It's very very like Jung type shit, you know? That's the kind of shit Drew on right now. He's thinking of the archetype of a British person. He's like, wow, Rishi Sunak seems like a proper Oxford gentleman. It's like, dude, shut the fuck. What the fuck are you talking about? Shut the fuck up.
He's almost fully assimilated.
What does that mean? He barely has an Indian accent, or what?
Wait. Well, he's not like a roadman. He's not like a roadman. It's not like.
Wait, did you just say the former British Prime Minister, the head of the Tories, was almost?
Okay, yeah, this is crazy. Wait, this is crazy.
English gentleman. So I think Rishi Sunak is almost fully assimilated.
What does that mean? He barely has an Indian accent, or what?
Well, he's not like a roadman. He's not like a roadman. It's not like.
Wait, did you just say the former British Prime Minister, the head of the Tories, was almost fully assimilated into British culture? In what sense was he not fully assimilated?
I said he was fully assimilated.
No, you said almost. You said almost. You said almost. You said the word almost. You 100% said the word almost. You 100% said that.
I said he's almost exactly the same as an English white person. Obviously, it's not exactly the same because he's not ethnically English, but he's basically the same in terms of culture.
You're full mask off, bro. You're full mask off. Let's get back to Zoran. Can we get back to Zoran?
No, I'm confused. I'm confused. All I said in terms of culture, he's fully English. I said he's not ethnically English. Of course, he's not.
No. Let's get the actual quote. I'm actually gonna bring up the actual quote. Sorry. I'm gonna just get the quote.
No, but let's just.
No, I'm so glad Pisco went back for the quote. He almost let Drew lie about it. He almost let Drew get away there.
Rishi Sunak is ethnically English. Of course, he's not ethnically English. He's culturally English, 100%. He's 100% culturally English.
Yeah, we're just pausing real quick so I can get the quote so I don't misquote you. Hang on, it's like.
Sure, okay.
Said, I think Rishi Sunak is almost fully assimilated. That's the direct quote. I think Rishi Sunak is almost fully assimilated.
I misspoke. No. I was only. No, can I explain? Right? Can I explain? Yeah. I was saying that in the context of you saying, what if Rishi Sunak was committing all these heinous crimes, committing violent crimes? I think obviously, if he was just bashing his wife and carrying out grooming acts, of course he wouldn't be fully assimilated. That's why I said he's almost full. I said in that context he would.
You and then Aaron said, "What you think that beating people isn't part of British culture? Like they don't beat people? Like the fucking natives don't beat people?"
I'm trying to explain to you, right? I think my position, right, is I think Rishi Sunak's fully assimilated as an Englishman. I think it's culturally, he's not ethnically English. Of course, he's not ethnically English. He's ethnically Indian English. He's in terms of culture, he's fully English. If he was carrying out grooming gangs and rape and violence and all this stuff, then by definition he couldn't have been.
So this is the circularity. This is the circularity, right? Like you're defining the assimilation in terms of the crime, right? So in that case, anytime.
Yes, I do think. Okay. I do think. I want to make this clear. If you are migrant or descendant of migrants very recently, if you commit a crime, by definition you're not assimilated.
No. Okay, then isn't it? That's the problem, right? If the crime makes it so that you're not assimilated, a white person who has Anglo heritage,
this guy cries about fucking the Uyghur genocide, which I understand as far as the claims that are made about it is a little bit more than this, but then he's like literally arguing for government enforcement of assimilation. That is what he's arguing for right now. And yet, he'll fucking cry about China endlessly.
It's the crime. By definition, let me finish it. Because you know what you just did. You know what you said.
Yes. No. But the difference is that a white English person has 1,000 years of history in the country, so you can't deport them. By the same metric, the Australian High Court found that Indigenous Australians could never.
So I'm not saying that the China stuff's not bad or anything like that. But it's like this is obviously bad, and you should be against both. You shouldn't want to do like a little bit of forced assimilation. You know, you shouldn't want to just give the government a little power to punish people for not assimilating into the culture.
Be deported. Even
it's like, well, you shouldn't start down that road. You know,
if they're not Australian citizens, they can never ever be deported because of their history, their ancestry to the land. So I'm actually just clarifying. I'm actually taking the same standard of progressive Indigenous thought.
So if those Indigenous people started doing grooming gangs there, they should stay there.
Well, that's
and then at that point, it's not even about the criminality or the conduct that they've engaged in. It's just about this arbitrary connection to the land and ancestry.
This is actually a good point, though. People who are Indigenous,
let them rip.
No, but there is unfortunately it's really sad. It's a terrible situation. There's a lot of really brutal, horrible crime in Indigenous Australian communities. But the Australian High Court has actually found, even if you're not an Australian citizen, if you're, say, New Zealander. So in this case, there were 2 New Zealanders who had, I think they were a quarter Indigenous on their father's side or something like that. They migrated to Australia for 10 years, carried out crime, then the government wanted to deport them. The government said, no, if you have any Indigenous ancestry whatsoever, you can never be deported because you have 40,000 years
about this case, like the filibuster. I don't know why you're yapping about the case.
I'm just giving you an example, though. I'm giving you an example. By the same metric, a white English person who has 1,000 years of history in the country can't ever be deported because they're Indigenous to the country. They are Indigenous to the country at the end of the day. They are Indigenous to the country.
Yeah, but the
so
whole...
I do think indigeneity. I do think indigeneity is a big part of this. Of course it is.
So you're basically just saying, well, because it's legal.
Dude, holy fuck! What is this? Nick Fuentes' insane Shane Gillis rant just dropped. Shane Gillis is like the ironic mullet of comedy. Everything he does is so one-note and cheap. Nobody knows any WNBA players. Yeah, I remember that joke from 7th grade. Haven't we been there? His entire persona is like a tribute act for chuds who say things like, they could never make a show like South Park today. He's a character actor playing mentally raped but disgruntled male normie. And there's this phenomenon of so many young white men self-inserting and seeing him as their avatar, the fat, vulgar, horny doofus. A generation of low self-esteem men who see themselves as physically revolting, mentally retarded, disgruntled against a wokeified culture, but opting to chirp about it in a passive-aggressive way instead of choosing radicalism. The difference between Shane and Norm is that Norm was actually a genius, was brilliant, wasn't afraid to be articulate and profound. He was an actual joke writer. I don't think I've ever heard Shane tell a joke without leaning on politically incorrect tropes, edgelording, or his physicality. He's really more like a clown than a comedian. The joke is that his physical appearance looks stupid and silly. People seem to like the humour for the same reason liberals liked Hannah Gadsby, because it's important. It's more of a political statement. In the absence of liberals to react or be triggered, it isn't very funny. It keeps going. This isn't the end. This is not the end of the rant. He plays the caricature of the white male that was created by liberals where I'm white is synonymous with I'm vulgar, odious, repulsive, and insensitive. Shane Gillis is a sympathetic portrayal of a white chud seen through the eyes of Ezra Klein. His character is as if he was looking at himself through the eyes of a contemptuous liberal bitch. A white men who are deeply self-conscious and physically affected by the suffocating matriarchal culture we live in seem to identify with this. They're grasping for some image of a masculine white male. And what they've settled on is semi-problematic, harmless, self-hating doofus whose identity seems to be wrapped up and edgy and based at his job. Keeps going. Shane seems to mirror Louis C.K. Louis played a similar character in the same way, in the sense that he also played an odious, fat, self-hating white male who was proud of masturbating. Except Louis' portrayal was seen as was an apologetic white liberal aware of his own awkwardness. Shane's is an emboldened slob who is pleased with how he offends. My rebellion as a white man is radicalism and to threaten the system by being resourceful and competent. Like Trump, Andrew Tate, I would argue even many of the white nationalists. The Shane Gillis rebellion is ironic detachment and offending the system by embracing the slovenliness and being based at the water cooler. White men need to use their real voice, not the Homer Simpson voice. Don't be a cad. Try to be sophisticated. Don't embrace being a big ugly slob. Try to be aesthetic. I'm so sick of these dude bros and wiggers. Okay, man.
in, and because the law
It
defines.
was kind of based until the end here. Once he starts going like, my rebellion is a white man, it's like, okay, dude. I agree with a lot of points about Shane Gillis just being kind of unfunny, and the joke is just he's a fat retard. I do kind of agree with a lot of that.
It as such in Australia, therefore that justifies it. But I'm telling you,
no, I'm not just referring. So, I'm not just referring to that law case. I'm saying
it's an appeal to the law. It's an appeal to the law.
No, but I'm actually saying the philosophical concept, the moral argument that somebody who has indigeneity can never be deported. I actually agree.
Well, it's not a moral argument. You're appealing to a legal body.
No, but I'm not appealing. I'm pointing to the Australian High Court decision, but I'm not saying it's only right because the Australian High Court said that. I'm not saying even if the Australian High Court had not said that, I would still believe this. I still think.
Then why bringing them up?
It's clear.
Okay. All right. Okay. Sure. So let's get back to Zoran. I think we're looping a little bit. Okay. So you did seem to say that like America had a different culture, just like Australia, of immigration, where there isn't this kind of inherent connection to bloodlines as perhaps there would be in a place like Poland, a place.
Sorry,
like
can you say that again? I missed that.
Yeah, I saw Drew Pavlou is now calling Nick Diorio an anti-Semite.
Yeah, sure. So while we were talking about this, it sounded like you were saying that unlike cultures like in Poland, cultures like in UK, that America, Australia, these are places where immigration is more wound up in the fabric of what makes that country the country.
Yeah,
and so
I agree with that.
If that's the case, what's your issue with Zoran?
And I want to make clear, I think Zoran's fully American. I think he's an assimilated American. I hate his politics. I do think he's an assimilated American. So yeah, there's no. I'm not saying I'm definitely against the MAGA people who like deport Zoran. That's not my view at all. I'm against that. I've actually got a Substack article. I know you loved smashing my Substack article, Pisco. I've got a Substack article coming out in a couple of days where I'm actually going to be arguing that if you look at Zoran's politics and his personality, he's actually fully assimilated. But the culture he's assimilated to in America is a very unique culture. It's white self-hating leftism. So
Mr. Branda, thank you for the sub.
Views, and I think he's got toxic racial views, but he is assimilated.
Aaron.
What's up?
Oh, never mind. Okay. Well, my response to that, Drew, is let's talk about the alternative, the actual voting decision. Okay. So you've outlined, I think.
Can I just need to? Can I have 20 seconds? I got to blow my nose. I've got a cold.
Go for it.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
One thing.
Hope you feel better, man.
No, it's not cocaine. I'm blowing my nose because I've got a cold. It's a weird.
Now I think it's cocaine.
When he gets.
Okay, we're gonna skip a bit. That was like one of the funny moments from earlier.
But would you accept that? Obviously,
way further ahead than that in the debate.
In the culture, it's frowned upon marital rape. Of course, it's frowned upon in America.
But you tied it back to like criminality.
So they get onto whether marital rape is compatible with American culture.
He had a life, and it was on like just like.
Okay, but
you know what I mean?
Seriously, okay. Like I literally went through every single one of his tweets from 2013 to 2019, and I'm telling you,
that doesn't. Okay.
I didn't say that he had third worldist policies. I said that he's.
So yeah, now they get back onto Zoran, and they start talking about whether Zoran has a third worldist approach to politics, okay? Whether Zoran is basically trying to undermine America and the West to create multipolarity, okay? As New York mayor.
I said his political worldview for 10 plus years has been third worldist.
And that's because he put the middle finger to the Christopher Columbus statue, because he favorably cited or paid homage to a rap group that like shouted out Muhammad Atta. So there's a degree of separation there.
He was never proud to call himself American until like literally November last year when he started running for mayor.
How do you know that?
That's actually fact.
He's been here since he was 7.
I know, but he had a pretty.
Before Twitter, he had a life, and it was on like just like.
Okay, but
you know what I mean?
Seriously, okay. Like I literally went through every single.
Okay, that didn't get read out by the TTS, so I'm not reading it out. But thank you for the $10, Kilo. Huge appreciated. Glad to see you think so highly of Pisco. That's great news, Kilo. Thank you for the $10.
One of his tweets from 2013 to 2019, and I'm telling you
that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Somebody's allegiance or patriotism isn't based off of whether or not they have a Twitter account or whether or not they virtue signal on it.
Tweets like you, groups. I don't know tweets like you with your fucking hyper national, like fucking pro Western shit.
No, but I'm literally more patriotic American than Zoran.
Bullshit. No, you're
not.
Fact check true.
No, you're not.
Fact check true. Fact check true.
No.
You're wrong.
Truth, Nick. I'm actually more patriotic American than Zoran.
Oh no, it's not
That's
true.
actually true. That's true.
It's actually not true.
I want America to be.
He's literally here arguing for like denaturalizing citizens if they're like considered anti-American or whatever. Like that is in itself anti-American. Like that goes against some like pretty like core ideas of what makes up America.
The great hope for the world. Okay, Zoran doesn't want that.
Change America. You want to get rid of. So this is what you want to do. You want to change the 14th Amendment. You want to get rid of that part of the Constitution. You want to make the First Amendment. You want to make it so the First Amendment doesn't matter.
He doesn't know what that is, Pisco.
No.
You basically want to turn America into like where there's a bunch of hate speech laws. I'm sure where you're like trying to say that anti-Semitism is illegal.
Please.
Just like you want to do. I'm sure.
If we had Drew take a citizenship test right now, do we think he'd pass?
Nope.
Yes, 100%. I've literally read I read through the entire Oxford history on the United States. Okay, like I love America. I've been obsessed with America since I was a kid. Okay, so yes, I'd easily pass. I know all these facts about America.
He's actually an America boo, dude. It's like disgusting, and he's got no like appreciation for the principles. It's just like so gross, man. Just like so fucking weird.
Okay, obviously, Pisco.
Constitution.
You have to give me. Obviously, you're putting me on you're frazzling me. You're putting me on the. But we should do a stream. We should literally do a stream where you give me the U.S. citizenship, and I'll literally try and answer it. Give me a couple days to prepare. I'll literally.
No. I bet she's looking at it right now. Oh, you're not okay.
No. I'm saying he shouldn't get 3 days. I'm saying you should do it right now because you just said that you're more American than Zoran.
No, let's fucking find an American citizenship test.
But Zoran did it. Zoran took his citizenship test in 2018. He prepared for it. So give me a couple days.
But you made the claim that you're already more American than he is. So if that's true, let's put it to the test and do it.
No. I didn't say I was more American than him. I said I'm more patriotic about it.
You said no. You literally said.
You literally said you're more American. Fact check true. Truth bomb. That's what you said.
I said I'm more patriotic. I said I'm more patriotic than American. And that's true. I love America. Zoran can't say that America is a good country without qualifying by saying we've got a fucked up history. That's fact check true. That's his tweet.
Wait, Australia does that. Australia, they say we have a history that like, and you guys do your whatever to nation.
I don't agree. I don't agree. Yeah, but I don't agree with the stuff. Like I acknowledge that terrible stuff did happen, but I don't agree with like in Australia it gets too ridiculous. Like
it's just such a warped view of patriotism to think that it's like uncritical, total, like just glazing of everything about the country and its history. Like a patriotic American would an actually patriotic American would not like fetishize the Confederacy or something, for instance. But Drew seems to think that like, oh, that's the sort of thing. It's like, oh, that's part of American history. Oh, how can you be so against all that stuff? Like, no, there are things that might go against like the core values of the country or core principles behind the country and the culture that you would look on, that you would recognize, but look on in like shame. You would think like, yeah, that was a bad time in history. That was like a bad thing happened. Like Germans obviously don't celebrate the fucking Holocaust. That would be insane. And like they wouldn't build statues to Hitler, for instance. But Drew seems to think that no, Germany should be building statues to Hitler. It's just like the most warped, retarded view ever. I know Zoran could be totally patriotic and still want to qualify discussions of America with saying it's got a bad history. And you can very easily argue that's even more patriotic. He's using his free speech. So that is part of being an American, is being able to be critical of your country. That is one of the core things that differentiates America from a lot of other places, is being able to be super critical of the country, of the government. So just the idea that patriotism, especially patriotism in an American sense, has to be just complete fucking glazing of everything about everything that's ever happened in the country. It's just so dumb.
every single time you land, you go on a plane, right? You go on a plane from Sydney to Melbourne. You land, and then the pilots, the first things that the pilot says on the phone is like, "We are landing on stolen land. We acknowledge the stolen land is never ceded."
I think coupling a love for your country with a land acknowledgement, which is a virtue signal, is still different than saying this country has a fucked up history, but I still love it.
Dude, I'm not even kidding. In Australia, they do land acknowledgements every single. Like,
I know it's a virtue signal, but I wouldn't say that they're less patriotic or because they do that.
They're white leftists. I'm not even kidding. They're white leftists. Like they'll try to sleep with an art hoe, like an e-girl, and they'll literally do a land acknowledgement before they fucking have sex. I'm not even kidding. It's that bad in Australia. The land acknowledgement shit is so far in Australia that people are literally doing land acknowledgements.
Well, I mean, the reason that's the mindset of some Americans, I think, is because liberals and lefties did kind of just let themselves lose the patriotism ground. Like, they did kind of, just for about, 10, 15 years. It was basically just, libs and lefties would basically just say, yeah, no, I do hate my country. Yeah, like, fuck my country. It's like, why would you don't even think that. You don't actually even think that. You don't want to live anywhere else. So for some reason, they just totally gave that ground up.
Before they fucking nut. It's too much, okay? It's too much in Australia. So I'm patriotic.
Let's do this test. It's an oral exam.
Let's take a couple. We'll do a couple questions, all right? What is the supreme law of the land?
Yeah, a lot of it is probably tied to the Iraq War.
I'm telling you, give me a couple days. I'm going to prepare for the U.S. citizenship there, and I'm going to go to
the idea of self-governance is in the first 3 words of the Constitution. What are the first 3 words of the Constitution?
Pisco.
You don't even know that? Are you serious?
We're going to do it. You're frazzled with me, okay? You're fucking frazzled with me because I'm in the middle of a 2-hour call. I've got a fucking cold. I'm not fucking prepared to do the U.S. citizenship this second.
You don't know We the People.
I'll do it.
So are you willing to say that at this moment?
I know We the People. Of course we know.
You did not fucking know that. You did not know that.
I've gone to the Lincoln Memorial. I've seen these things on the...
So what?
I know the Gettysburg Address. Okay, so...
do it.
No, I'm not doing it. No, because I'm frazzled.
We'll both do it.
I'm frazzled right now. Give it. 4 scores and 20. But anyway,
how do you think immigrants feel when they're given this exam? You think they don't feel fucking frazzled?
Give me a fucking couple days, and I'm gonna do it. Zoran.
You know, some immigrants, when they go to take this test, they actually get ambushed by ICE officers and deported by surprise without due process.
I was allowed to have months to prepare for a citizenship test. I should be allowed
He was here since he was 7, not just months. He wasn't even studying. He was just existing in this country.
You're more American than he is.
I accept that he's American. I know that he's American, but I'm not saying that
he's
more American.
No, he's more American than you.
I'm saying I'm more patriotic than he is.
Bullshit.
You changed the claim.
It's true. It's true. Okay, let me give you an example, right? You know, remember when there was that video? And he was eating with his hands, and everyone was attacking him for that.
Oh my god.
Yes, okay.
Soy out about the fucking hand thing.
No, I'm not gonna. That's not my point. I'm not going into the hand thing. The reason I bring that up though is, do you know who did that interview with him?
Oh, he lives in Australia. He lives in Australia.
Channel called Uncivilized. If you go to the YouTube channel Uncivilized, this is the guy he granted his first interview to after he got elected. The Uncivilized YouTube channel has all these top videos going like, the American Empire will fall. It will be beautiful. It will fucking fall. He doesn't like. These are the people that he hangs out with. He loves people. All these people who fucking hate America.
Just like fucking Adams hung out with Sneeko, who's an anti-Semite, right?
Yeah, and that's bad. That's bad as well. I don't think that's good. I think it's fucked up. I criticize him for that.
Yeah. Okay. So, gun to your head. Who are you voting for if you could vote, Adams or Mamdani?
I'd shoot myself in the fucking head.
No, you can't do that.
No, I'd commit suicide. I'd commit seppuku. I get my fucking Japanese.
You have to pick one. You have to pick one.
No, seppuku. I'd stab myself in the fucking.
Promise? Do you promise, Drew? Drew, is that a promise?
You're dodging. Come on, you have to make.
Drew, don't get my hurt.
You're talking on the ground. I bleed out on the ground like fucking Mishima. Like Yukio Mishima. I bleed out on the fucking ground after seppuku.
Sorry, I should be laughing at you because this is dangerous. What you're doing is dangerous because you're basically interfering with our election. You're a foreigner interfering with our election.
I'm not a foreigner interfering your election. I'm literally American.
You don't even know.
American. I'm spiritually American. I'm spiritually American. I'm not a foreigner to America. My brother lives in New York City. He's lived in New York City for 5 years. I'm allowed to talk about American politics. I'm not a foreigner to America.
You're a foreigner.
I love America. I love America.
You know, this is the exact opposite of the argument that you made in the first half of this debate, right?
Yes. It looks like the exact opposite. That's so delicious. I didn't even make that connection.
Literally the exact opposite. It's an idea. It's philosophical. It's a mindset.
That's so
welcome, brother. Yes.
I'm gonna explain.
You don't need to have an ethnic tie or ancestral tie to this country to be American. Very true.
Let me explain. Okay. I think that my personal policy, right, is there should be open borders for me as an individual and no open borders for anybody else. So I'm Drew Pavlou. I'm somebody who follows the law. I'm fucking smart. I'm intellectual. I'm educated.
Special rule for
I should be able to migrate anywhere I want to go in the world. And no, that's fine. I'm allowed to have one rule for me and one rule for other people.
Fuck you, dude. Interfering with
It's
my
true.
election.
It's true. It's literally true, dude. It's literally fucking true. It's literally a truth, Nick. It's literally a truth, Nick. I could literally migrate to America tomorrow, and I'd be a perfect assimilated citizen. Because I love America. I've read hundreds of books on America since I was a fucking kid. I grew up with a fucking American flag.
But he couldn't name We the People.
Okay? So I could move to America tomorrow and be assimilated.
People, you're a foreign agent. I want to say something. Wait, Drew.
No, you know what? No. This is the difference, though, right? This is the difference. This is the like. Obviously, I was shitposting before when I said like one rule for me and one rule for the other. But the actual difference, my actual intellectual reasoning for this is this, right? Compared to other migrants who wouldn't like the country and think America is this like evil racist empire that has always been racist from birth and should barely exist as a country. I love America, okay? I fucking love America. So that's the difference. I actually like the country. That's what I think. I think patriotism is like literally the number one thing.
So if you do the grooming gang, but you also love the country still, then it's fine.
No, if you do a grooming gang, you by definition you're not
don't love the country.
Okay?
No.
Okay, by
It's just so dumb. It's just like literally, a worldview that is like purely constructed in response to like Twitter memes. It's just like so dumb. It's just like, oh, those grooming gangs in the UK are really bad. They should deport them. It's so, okay. Why don't you think that through like 5 minutes where you like try and argue it for 2 hours?
Okay, tell me, what patriot would be fucking carrying out a grooming gang? Of course not.
Somebody from the UK who participated in this that didn't have, was it like a migrant or a naturalized citizen? You're telling me that none of them?
They're not patriotic.
None of them were people that were natural-born citizens of the UK that participated?
A key plank of oh, fuck, sorry, I got distracted by my chat. Sorry, say that again. Sorry.
You said, I'm saying that you're telling me in all these instances of the grooming gangs, and you said there's new data or whatever that's comprehensively looked through all these examples, that there wasn't a single perpetrator that was a natural-born UK citizen that participated.
Okay, I'll explain what I said. I'll explain what I mean.
Because you said just doing it means like it's inherently anti.
Let me explain. I think that a core part of patriotism is following the law of the land. So by definition, if you're not following the law of the land, you're not a patriot. And let me say this, right? One of the reasons why I should be allowed into America, I was fucking there in a past life. I was fucking reincarnated. I was there by Malcolm. I was standing next to Malcolm X.
Okay, speaking of Malcolm X and speaking of civil rights icons, was Rosa Parks not patriotic because she broke the law when she sat at the back of the fucking bus to protest segregation?
No, she was a patriot. No, she was a great patriotic. No,
why? She broke the law. She broke American domestic civil law.
Okay.
She's not a patriot by your definition.
Are you seriously comparing the legitimacy of the Jim Crow legal system?
No,
I have to because I'm using your logic. So yes, I have to do it.
He's using your logic. You set out a test.
Let me explain. I don't think there's any moral equivalence between defying Jim Crow colored rules.
You said by definition.
You just said.
You said by definition if it was illegal. Just by the way, Aaron could have picked a harder example. Aaron could have picked a harder example. She gave you an easy example.
No. Obviously, I don't think that Jim Crow laws are legitimate in the same way that laws against the rape of children are legitimate. Of course, the laws against the rape of children are legitimate.
The states that had them on the books and enforced them did think they were legitimate.
I believe in natural law. I believe in natural law. I don't believe in a lawyer.
That's very convenient.
Yeah, it's very good. So you have natural law philosophy. So now everything that you say is against the law in a universal sense so you don't have to actually listen to the law of the country. And so now all this thing about it being country specific goes away because it's just natural law. Drew's natural law.
No, yes, true natural law. Do you actually think I honestly support Jim Crow legal system?
No, that's
No.
not what she said.
No.
She didn't say you support it. She said using your logic. Using your logic.
Let me explain my actual view. Clearly, a law passed by the British legal system, passed by the British Parliament against child rape is a legitimate law in the same way that a law for Jim Crow segregation.
For a law to be legitimate, it just needs to have been approved by that democratic body, signed into law, and then enforced.
I don't believe in that. I think some laws can be fundamentally evil and immoral.
I'm descriptively explaining to you.
Illegitimate how? How would it be illegitimate just because it's morally wrong? How would that be an illegitimate law? No, it could be legitimately passed through a democratic process, approved by the government, in accordance with whatever other agreements the country has. It could be totally legitimate and still be absolutely wrong, right? These are two different concepts, I feel like. Legitimacy. Legitimacy is like... I don't want you to look up a definition, but you would usually... Legitimacy is usually like, it's some... It's like a... Like something is more legitimate when it aligns with the pre-established processes and is supported by the people. And it's like some estimation of like that and a few other factors, I feel like. And then that's when something's like legitimate. Is like it's more legitimate the more it's approved of by the people, gone through the proper processes, aligns with whatever other agreements the country has. Legitimate if it can be enforced. Would I say that's legitimacy? The enforcement? I feel like there are things that are like almost unenforceable that we would still think are like legitimate laws. A lot of piracy laws are borderline unenforceable. But they're like legitimate laws, right? Yeah, okay, we're gonna Google. I've tried defining it myself. If I'm totally wrong, I can look retarded. What is legitimacy in politics? The AI overview. Let's read this. In politics, legitimacy refers to the public's perception that a political regime or authority has the right to exercise power and govern. It's the belief that the existing political institutions are the most appropriate proper ones for society. Okay, so, well, kind of. But I think, yeah, that's roughly, I feel like it's leaning. Oh, wait, we've got... Legitimacy is the belief that government does things in terms of policy and lawmaking that are acceptable to the citizens of the state. The people give authority to those in power and can take it away should the government stray from what is acceptable to them. Governments thus have to be careful not to make unpopular decisions, particularly those that are not in the manifesto elected. Okay, yeah, so it's legitimacy if you're... Something is legitimate when it is honestly presented, like accurately and honestly presented, agreed on by the populace, and in accordance with the laws.
How law functions.
I know.
Immoral laws get passed all the time.
I know.
And democratically.
But I'm also clearly talking about normal, like, I'm talking about laws that nobody would morally contest, like the law for...
You're talking about arbitrary moral values.
No, so you think...
Why even have laws, honestly? Like, are you, like... You said you're a Christian?
Yeah. Okay, let me explain. Let me ask you this, right? Do you think a law prohibiting the rape of children is just only on the books because it's been passed by the parliament? That there's no such thing as, there's no moral content to the law. It's just a wishy-washy law, the same as laws that were passed by Alabama in the Jim Crow era.
I'm saying its legitimacy is granted by that the nation state and the democratic body that passed it, but the motivation for making it illegal, like you could argue, is grounded in a moral principle to do so. But that's it's a separate argument.
During that time, black people couldn't vote in the South of the United States. So of course, these were not democratically passed laws. They were immoral as well. They were Jim Crow.
Okay, but that's the whole ticket, right? Because in this discussion, we're like inherently talking about who's part of the club, who's part of the citizenship club. Yes. And in the case of like, right, you were basically saying that, well, the Pakistani British people, they should never have been given like British citizenship at all.
No, I didn't say that. That wasn't my exact argument. I said that Britain should have taken in higher quality immigrants from Pakistan, people who more educated, not people from the poorest parts of Pakistan, as they actually did.
Okay.
So there's no high quality people from the poor parts of Pakistan?
Well, like they obviously had a massive problem with the quality of the migrants they took in, considering there was massive systematic rape gangs that involved tens of thousands, not tens of thousands, but thousands of men, at least thousands of Pakistani men in Britain over many decades, and it was very widespread and it was very well known in the Pakistani community of Britain, and no one stopped it.
So you should never be judged as an individual. You should it should always factor in like broad statistical data and population stats.
But it's obviously a disaster. Like. If there were if you take in migrants from a specific part of a specific country, and then those migrants from that specific part of that specific country then end up on average being 20 times or like multiple dozens of times more likely than native Britons to participate in this heinous form of crime, one of the worst forms of crime imaginable. And there were thousands of men doing this, and it was really widely known in the Pakistani community. It was also widely known at multiple levels of the British government and widely known by the British police. And no one stopped it for decades because they were scared that it would be considered racist. That's a disaster. That's a fucking massive national disaster for Britain.
And there's supposed to be collective.
Okay, yes. That was a big issue. Yes, no one's denying it wasn't a big problem. And also, he's totally simplifying it because it wasn't just that no one stopped it because it would be seen as racist. That's like something that comes from a couple of fucking police officers. The issue was more with data collection that was going to be seen as racist, and they were worried about inflaming racial tensions and stuff like that. That's a quote from like one or two police or some shit in like one report years ago. That was not representative of why it was not enforced. There was not good policing across the board. A lot of it was more to do with the lack of integration because these people were collecting in like enclaves and not cooperating with local governments outside of that. Entire foster care homes would be like staffed and populated by Pakistanis or Muslims. There's a big culture of silence, obviously. They were in like kebab shops and owned taxis and had a lot of things, abilities to pry young girls, and there weren't other people in safeguarding positions from outside of the culture that could speak out about it. There's a whole bunch of issues that went into it. It wasn't just police didn't want to be seen as racist, so they didn't arrest anyone. And that is a big problem, obviously, that all happened. But you're disagreeing about the solutions right now, not the problem. Yeah, police dismissed victims a lot as well because they were just like, oh, these are just like vagrant teenagers that are getting drunk and shit like that. But yeah. It was a big problem, but they're disagreeing about solutions, not the problem right now. And obviously, just stripping people of their citizenship isn't really a good solution. The better solution would be improving the policing, improving integration, and improving stuff going forward. You can't really go back and fix it. You can't just strip these people out. Like it's less of an issue as time has gone on. So it just doesn't seem like sending all these people home, that's just not the solution. And it's insane power to give the government.
Collective guilt for like Pakistanis for that? Should there be collective guilt for white men because there's an issue with white boys going to schools and doing school shootings?
But this is the difference. This is the difference. We're talking about who is indigenous to Britain. We're talking about so clearly, if you're not indigenous to Britain and you're carrying out these crimes, then that's a particularly heinous crime against the native indigenous population of Britain.
So what do you call it when the indigenous white boys do school shootings here?
It's fucked up and horrible and evil. Obviously horrible and evil.
Okay.
But because there's nowhere to deport them to, they get to stay.
They get to stay.
They're indigenous. They're indigenous.
The white boys are indigenous to America.
Dude,
white boys summer. Let them rape.
They are come on, Pisco, that's fucking retarded. Obviously, I think the groups that are indigenous to America, right, have more than 100+ years of history in the country.
Shouldn't you find common cause with Zoran Mamdani? If tomorrow he came out and he was like, I'm really big into like land back indigenous rights movements or whatever, and they want to kick out all the fucking white people, shouldn't you be like, hell yeah, Zoran, because indigenous people...
No, Drew conveniently stops this line of thinking exactly where white people would be on top if you stop it, okay? Drew stops all of his lines of thinking about assimilation and ethnic heritage and all this stuff exactly at the points in history where white people and Jews are on top the most and can dominate everything.
People were the ones that were genocided. It was their country first.
No, that's not my view either, though. That's not my view either. Because I'm saying, according to my view, white people can also be indigenous.
But yeah, exactly, dude.
think white people are indigenous.
What do you think about Israel's plan to ethnically cleanse Gaza?
Bad. I'm against it.
So
I criticize the state of Israel's attacks on Syria yesterday. So I actually frequently criticize.
Do you think Palestinians should have the right of return granted to them and recognized by Israel? They're indigenous to mandatory Palestine.
No, not within the borders of 1967, pre-1967 Israel.
Why not? They're from that land.
Because it will just that's only a recipe for endless war. It's only a recipe for endless war.
So now it's a pragmatic case against it.
No, I actually am trying to be pragmatic.
Okay,
yeah, but it's always pragmatism in favor of just your group, Drew. There's no principle here. There's no principle. It's just like whatever is most useful to my group. That's all he's saying. That's all he's saying. He's saying, basically, yeah, I draw the line with America like 100 years ago because then all the white people get to be on top and we get to win and we don't have to give anything back. Yeah, I draw the line with Israel in 1967 because then Jews get to be on top and they get to win and it's not going to be a problem and then Westerners get to win as well. It's like everywhere it goes, any case, he will always draw the line exactly where it's just benefiting his group because there is no principle underlying it. It's just like, how can I be based on right wing while still claiming to be a liberal on Twitter?
I think there should be two states. I think there should be two states: one Palestinian state, one Israeli state. The Palestinian state should be the West Bank and Gaza, and I don't think that the right of return is realistic because it will lead to endless warfare.
Grant that. Question for you, Drew. It was a disaster to import Jewish individuals pre-World War II into mandatory Palestine. Yes or no?
No.
Why not?
Because they were also indigenous to the land.
But wait a second. Hang on. That was thousands of years ago.
I don't care. They still have ancestry in the land. Of course they do.
So, so to be 100% clear.
Wait, so, okay. So, he says on principle, the Jews should be able to go to mandate Palestine. But there's no pragmatic concern there. Zero pragmatic concern. Palestinians now want to go back to Israel. Oh, well, we can't possibly do that. That's just a recipe for endless war. Well, what was importing a bunch of fucking Jews in the early 20th century if the whole recipe for endless fucking war, you retard. Dude. Oh, my God.
Because Jewish people had a right to return to Israel. Of course they did.
But Palestinians don't have a right of return.
It's so crazy.
Well, we're just trying to be pragmatic about the current situation in the world.
Exactly.
They have a right to a Palestinian state. They have a Palestinian state. They have a Palestinian state in the West Bank and Gaza. I don't believe in destroying Israel. Okay, that's a very pragmatic view. Do you really think that endless warfare, jihad for the destruction of Israel is going to lead to anything good for anybody? No, it hasn't. For the past 80 years,
I find it convenient. All I'm saying is, I'm doing an internal critique of your kind of philosophy. It sounds like blood and soil matters until it doesn't, and it doesn't matter when it's pragmatic. And then you're willing to abide by all sorts of things that go against the native population.
The difference is, when it came to the foundation of Israel, what I would have fundamentally supported is the UN partition plan, which called for two states for two different peoples. Okay,
we're talking about the decision. We're talking about the decision to import. We're talking about the decision to import Jews into.
Let me explain. The difference here is I would be a hypocrite if I said no. If I was somebody who believed in like Greater Israel and the West Bank is Israel and stuff like that, then I would be a hypocrite because of course then that's full displacement of the original people. But that's not my view. My view is two states for two different people. So I'm not a hypocrite on this point.
But we're talking even the decision to push for under the Balfour Declaration, under the British mandatory rule, and under the decisions even for example, you could include I guess the Ottoman Empire in abiding by some amount of Jewish immigration. That was a disaster. Right? They shouldn't have done that because it was displacing the native peoples there.
I disagree. No, I disagree.
Why?
No, it ultimately saved millions of people's lives from the Holocaust.
Okay, so if wait.
They couldn't have known. Wait.
It saved hundreds of thousands of lives. It saved
they couldn't have known that. They couldn't have known that at the time that was going to happen.
No, we could have because it was at that time there were massive pogroms against Russia. Are you familiar with what form? Do you know how Zionism started? Do you know how Zionism started? It started because of massive pogroms in Eastern Europe. It started because of massive pogroms in Eastern Europe.
Yeah, there were massive pogroms in Eastern Europe, but they couldn't have known there was going to be you said the Holocaust. They couldn't have known that.
Yes.
And they didn't have to send them. They didn't have to send them to Palestine. They didn't have to go there.
No. Well, that was their ancestral land, so of course they had a right to live in Palestine.
okay, but you're fine displacing. Yeah.
Explain to me why you're fine with Arab supremacy in Palestine, where they were never allowed to go. They're never. For example, here's a good point, Pisco. Are you familiar with the Cave of the Patriarchs, which is where within the Jewish religion, it's a very holy place. This is where it's considered that Abraham is buried. Now, for 600 years, the local Arab caliphs basically banned all Jews from visiting the Cave of the Patriarchs. Why is that legitimate, dude? Why is that
not legitimate?
I don't think I said it was legitimate. I don't think it's legitimate to ban people from...
So if you're arguing that, like, again, persecution entitles you to do some amount
He literally can't engage with a line of questioning. Like, Pisco was trying to do, like, internal critique, and he just couldn't let it go through. He just completely spurged and pivoted.
Crimes to be able to establish a homeland for yourself. Then if Trump's plan is followed through and Gazans are ethnically cleansed and expelled from Gaza, could they go on to expel another population from their state to establish Palestine on top of it there?
The foundation of Israel was fundamentally not a crime. Of course it was not. If you buy into that view, you actually are buying into the view that the 7 million Israeli Jews that live on the land today should basically be genocided.
Well,
no, actually.
we're talking to...
No, of course you think. No, that's the logical view, though. If you think it's stolen land,
no. I'm asking you that I'm saying that...
internal critique.
Yeah, it's internal critique. If you're saying that, again, historical persecution can grant a people the ability to, or like the right to dispossess another population so they can establish a homeland, then do you acknowledge that the Nakba occurred or no?
No. No, the Nakba occurred.
Did they displace her? Yes or no? Did they displace? Yes or no? Did they displace?
I'm trying to explain to you.
Okay.
The 1947 war was fundamentally a war to annihilate the Jewish Holocaust survivors in Israel. If they had won, it would have been worse for the Nakba in a million different ways.
Why are you referencing 1967?
They would have killed every single.
But we're talking about the Nakba.
I'm talking about 1947. 1947, which is the Nakba. Sorry, the Nakba. Yeah. So that was fundamentally a war between two sides. The Palestinian side, the Arab invading armies, they wanted to ethnically cleanse all the Jews living there. Most of them were Holocaust. A lot of them, a substantial portion of them were Holocaust survivors, okay? So part of the Nakba is the catastrophe that they...
I'm not denying that. I'm saying, does that entitle a people to go on to persecute another population so that they can create their own homeland?
But I don't agree with expelling Palestinians from Gaza today. So that's not my view.
But if they were expelled, and there's a good chance that they could be, would you support if they did that to another nation?
No,
because they were persecuted.
I'm telling you right now. My view is that there should be a Palestinian state in the West Bank and Gaza, and I don't agree with attempts.
Dude, they're trying to get to the fucking principle, but obviously you don't have any. It's just like so fucking crazy. This guy's actually such a pathetic rat, man. Oh my, it's so disgusting.
Expel people from that.
It's Willie Mac's best friend.
But if that doesn't happen and they resort to doing that, would you support their movement for self-determination and expelling other populations to do it?
You're saying that
I'm not saying anything. I'm asking.
Would I support Israel expelling all the Palestinians from Gaza? No, I don't.
No, but they might do that. You know, you acknowledge that probably will happen, right?
I don't. This
Kuihman guy saying Drew Pavlou is my best friend. He's just writing parasocial fanfic about me. He's writing parasocial fanfic about me. To try and bait me onto his stream.
It's going to happen. I also think it's bad, and I don't want it to.
Okay, but if it does happen, hypothetically, then from there, do you support Palestinians dispossessing another group of people so they can establish a homeland because they were persecuted?
I fundamentally believe in a two-state solution, and that's my view.
You won't answer. Because you'd either have to grant that, or you'd have to say you don't agree with Zionism.
No, that's retarded. I'm not going to say that I don't agree with the expulsion of Palestinians from Gaza.
There literally is no way to reconcile saying like, oh yeah, there shouldn't be any Palestinian right of return now because pragmatic concerns, because it'll create endless war. But actually, it's really based for Jews to go into mandate Palestine in the early 20th century. That's actually really based on it, and that was a really good idea. And they had every right to do that. You're fucking retarded. Why the fuck do you think we're in the current endless war situation? Like...
My full view, that's my view, full stop. That's it. I'm not going to then engage in hypotheticals. Oh, then the Palestinians can go blah, blah, blah.
Do you think Zoran is anti-Semitic?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Dude.
But Eric Adams, no, even though he was just hanging out with Sneeko like 2 weeks ago smoking cigars on the front porch of fucking Gracie Mansion. You think it's bad, but do you think it's anti-Semitic?
Yes, it's anti-Semitic that Eric Adams hung out with Sneeko. Of course it is.
Okay.
But I do.
But that's an acceptable level of anti-Semitism to you, though.
No,
and it doesn't make him an anti-Semite because you said people you would consider voting for. You would vote for him over Zoran.
No. I didn't say it's an acceptable level of anti-Semitism. I think it's wrong what he did. I'm telling you though, Zoran's anti-Semitism is much more virulent. He said that the number one reason he got involved in politics, full stop, the number one issue was because of Palestine. His entire worldview is about trying to remove Israel from the land.
Why would being pro-Palestine mean being anti-Semitic?
No, it's not necessarily.
You just said that. You just said because he got into politics wanting to advocate for Palestinians that he's as an example of him being an anti-Semite.
No, but it's not that he just wanted to advocate for Palestinians. In general, just advocating for Palestinians theoretically, there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, it's that it's coupled with. Over many years, he was just disassembling when it came to Intifada. He refuses to condemn the claim that globalizing the Intifada is bad. We all know what the Intifada is. The Intifada was hundreds of suicide bombing attacks against Israelis, okay? And he can't say that Intifada is a bad thing. So therefore, he's anti-Semitic. Therefore, that's a hint. That's a hint that he thinks that Israel should be destroyed.
So you're okay with Americans that want to get involved with like public service and become like a politician, and their motivation being that they want because of Palestine. That's okay.
I want to make it clear as well. I think if an American politician said the number one reason I want to get involved in politics is Israel, I think it's fucked up as well.
Like Ted Cruz did. Like Ted Cruz
that was
did.
fucked up. I literally condemned that. I said that was fucking retarded and crazy. Of course it's bad.
Would you call him? But would you like call him like anti-Muslim because he said that?
I don't know. He's like Christian.
An Islamophobe.
So pathetic,
man. It comes from Christian dispensationalism. It's kind of like that American burger form of evangelical Christianity.
No, but Zoran can say something like it doesn't come from anti-Semitism. It comes from anti-colonialism or some other shit. You know?
Yeah, but he says that he basically says that America is a colonial state today. He thinks that all Western countries are essentially colonial states today, and that they should all be dismantled. So that's where there's that third world influence, and I think that's horrible.
I mean, part of that is just true. It doesn't follow that they should be dismantled, but part of it is true that we're a settler colony.
Okay, do you think that America is a settler colony today?
Yes, we were founded on being a settler colony.
Okay. So you two are both not American citizens. Instead, you're
don't lump Pisco in with what I just said. I'm just saying that's true.
Wait. What was your question? Is America what?
Okay, I asked, is America a settler colony today? And if it is, are you therefore a settler colonist rather than a citizen?
Well, if it was a settler colony, I mean, it's at what point does it stop being one? Right? At what point does it stop? Well, yeah, not to mention you have colonies still.
No, is America a settler colony today?
Are you asking if it's a colonialist or a colony?
Do you think that America is a settler colonial society in the year 2025?
Let me think.
Of course it's not.
I mean, the existence of America was founded on that. It wouldn't exist were it not for that. So its continued existence is kind of like it's always gonna be part of it.
Nations of all time, right?
Drew, I'm gonna give you an answer. I think while Puerto Rico and some of these other territories with the significant populations continue not to have full and equal rights, Guam,
Samoa, American Samoa,
then I would say to some extent yes, much less so than before. I think it's a spectrum. I don't have this kind of totalized view of it, but yeah.
I want to qualify. I wasn't even necessarily talking about the Pacific Island territories or Puerto Rico. I'm talking about like the actual claim that like it's a settler.
Does it have to be? I don't feel like it's a totalistic statement. Say it's like a settler colony. I don't feel like that's not like when you say that you're not saying like every aspect of this society is just built around settling, oppressing, controlling, expanding. Like that's not what you're necessarily saying. It's just it is a label that can be applied. It's like saying, you know, I can't think of an example. I can't think of a good analogy. Yeah, it's an aspect, and there are obviously gonna be there's gonna be a lot of variance between different countries that have that label. But that doesn't mean that some of them aren't and some of them are, or that you stop being one until that actually, just because it's not quite so bad anymore.
The colonist land because it's taken from Native Americans.
That's its heritage. But at this point, I think claims get stale over time. And again, I don't really take this view of history anyway, of like settler colonial and that it's like necessarily this or that. But if it does describe what occurred in America. That historically, that is what happened.
But that could still be the case, and you don't say that it should be dismantled. You could just say it should be improved and liberalized.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, but the difference is this is the difference, though, right? Like my wallet. Okay, my wallet last week was stolen. You might have seen my tweets crashing out.
Bro, I wish this guy would just shut the fuck up about his wallet, man. Holy shit.
Stolen?
My wallet was stolen in Australia the other day.
Was it an indigenous person?
No, I don't. No one knows who did it. No one knows who did it. Okay. Okay.
They were almost assimilated.
No one knows who did it, okay? I don't know who did it. Nobody has found the person yet, okay?
Yeah.
So my wallet got stolen from my car. I lost, they took my bank cards. $1,000 was taken. They took my beautiful copy of Robert Moses, the Power Broker, which I had bought from Amazon for like $60 and had shipped to Australia. I was so fucking pissed. I lost my wallet, which I had to buy a new wallet.
Philosophy.
I had to get a new driver's license. It cost me more than $1,000, right? They took 900 of my bank cards. So my wallet was stolen. When I say that my wallet was stolen, it implies that it was taken from me and it should be given back. Correct.
Bro, how broke is this guy that he is spending fucking 2 weeks crying about 900 Australian dollars being stolen from him? This is your, like, the worst thing that's ever. It's 900 Australian dollars. What's the parry tweet? I haven't seen the parry tweet.
I don't know that it does.
When you say that something's stolen from somebody, you're making an implicit moral claim that it should be returned.
No, it should be acknowledged, and then like ideally that would be like the best form of justice, right? But from there, if that can't be done, then it should be like it should be rectified in another way. You can settle it from there.
For example, with a voice.
I don't think the voice would have done anything anyway.
But you support this new anti-Semitism framework that's being considered in Australia?
I haven't read into it enough, but I've seen a lot of the retarded anti-Zionists have been saying,
"Oh my God, just watch the R word because just watch the R slur because of his TOS. I don't want to do that."
Oh, okay. I didn't even realize that.
Also, I don't think that that's necessarily what it means. Like, if I sue a company successfully for wrongful,
Pisco doesn't say retarded on his stream. What?
Termination. It's not guaranteed that I'm going to be hired back to the company. What's more likely to occur is that they will acknowledge that I was wrongfully terminated, but then from there I'm granted a settlement
on Twitch
based on that acknowledgement.
That's true. That's true, but it is also still the case that if you look at a lot of like the sort of post-colonial rhetoric from these people who talk about America being total islands, occupied nation, and stuff like that, a lot of them are saying that it should just basically.
Did Zoran say it? What has Zoran said?
Does Zoran want to unwind? Does he want to unwind the American government? Who wants to unwind?
He wants to be part of the American government.
I don't know, but if you look at Zoran's views, though, does he actually? What's his conception of America as a nation state?
He wants to be mayor of New York City. New York City, by the way, you know that there were a bunch of American Indian claims, because this was American Indian territory, New York, and it was
sold to the Dutch. It was sold to the Dutch.
And it was like a crazy abusive sale, crazy abusive process. There's a lot of sordid history there. Zoran is participated in that aspect of settler colonialism just by being and acknowledging the legitimacy of New York City. And there's no world in which he's going to try to give it back. I mean, that's just not going to happen.
Okay,
so you're fear-mongering on some bullshit that is not ever a realm of possibility.
Also, you don't just go off of what Zoran has said, because you already attributed to the fact that like him appearing on a YouTube channel meant that he probably endorsed everything that was on that YouTube channel, because you said they have crazy things. So then it doesn't even come down to what they've said and believed.
It wasn't even that YouTube channel in particular. I was pointing to dozens of tweets that he's made over the years where he basically expresses a lot of contempt for America. He expresses a lot of contempt for white Americans in particular. He expresses contempt for America.
No, but it's like you've opened the dam once you've said that speech that's not his can be attributed to him nonetheless because of a collaboration.
But he
Wait, what? Dude, no way he's posting Parry's video. What? I didn't see this. Bro, this guy is such a fucking lolcow, man. Holy shit. I fucking wish I'd fake getting robbed, because I would still have my fucking wallet. I'd be $1,000 better off. It's just Parry's video. Did Drew Pavlou fake getting robbed as political propaganda? Please rob me. Yeah, literally name searching himself on YouTube. Dude, this is insane. Perry, getting your views off him posting this? No, not really.
There's responsibility for the collaboration.
But let me just explain. That was just one data point among many that I was pointing to. The YouTube thing. That's one out of like 100 different data points. If you actually look
well, then if that's true, then within that argument, why did you have to say that it should be that speech should be attributed to him?
What I'm looking at, I'm just saying it's interesting who he chooses to associate with.
Interesting.
But what I'm really saying is, if you look at all the tweets that he's made over hundreds of different tweets, there's all these tweets where he's expressing cold contempt towards white people as inherently all of them are racist. He thinks that America should be demographically transformed. He doesn't think that borders are legitimate. Then all these. So then you ask, okay, what do you actually believe in? If you believe it, do you really believe in America's around? What's your conception of America as a state?
This is a crazy standard. Like if this was the standard, well, first of all, I'm going to apply the standard right now to Adams, and I'm going to say the following: Adams hates America. Adams is doing bribery and abusing his office when he was borough president for the benefit of Turkey, and then when he was mayor as well. I'm going to say he hates America. He did a corrupt deal with Donald Trump. Donald Trump, who hates America as well because of his anti-constitutional framework, saying he's going to support ICE, which right now is doing all this kind of like denial of due process, all that shit. So I think Adams hates America, what America stands for, and the choice really is between him, Cuomo, and Zoran. And between those three, who are you going to vote for?
Okay, I actually already said that I'd commit seppuku. I don't have to.
Wait. And also, if you're the company that you keep, how do you explain that Zoran Mamdani not only had support from Jewish constituents, but he also has Jewish people that are advisors to him?
So true.
Oh, nice space.
What? So those Jews don't count? Those Jews don't count?
The only Jews that he associates with are really hardcore anti-Zionists. That is literally factually true.
No. Brad Lander is a liberal Zionist.
You say that Brett Lane is a liberal Zionist, but he associates with people who say globalized intifada. So I don't think he's really a liberal Zionist. Oh my
god! So now you're doubting the sincerity of Brad Lander being a supporter of Israel?
I don't think. How is Lander a supporter of Israel? He's constantly supporting people who hate Israel and want to destroy Israel.
No,
so how's Lander a supporter of Israel?
He's a Zionist. He doesn't agree with the government of Israel, but just because you don't agree with the government of Israel doesn't mean you don't like Israel.
But it's not just Zoran. Like Lander has a history where he's over many years he's endorsed all these people who've said that Israel should actually be destroyed. So I don't think that Lander can be pointed to as like.
Who did Lander endorse that said that?
That said that Israel should be destroyed.
There were multiple other extremist Islamist type.
Okay, name one. Name one.
Off the top of my head, I'll take that question on notice. I'll take that question. If you want to give me a minute or two to research it, I can. But I'll take that question on notice. I do remember reading about it. Can't pull the name off the top of my head because I can't remember every single person's that Lander's ever endorsed, but I know that he did previously endorse.
And we know that he's a self-hating Jew. He's one of the bad ones.
I didn't say he was a self-hating Jew. I said that he has.
This is a good point from the solicitor.
But a fact-check true statement is that he actually did endorse people who have called for the destruction of Israel before. That is fact-check true. He has done.
How do you deal with this criticism from Blonde Philosophy? Zoran doesn't associate with any Zionists because associating with Zoran means that you're not a Zionist.
But it's not like he wants to make any like good faith attempt to reach out to Zionist Jews.
I mean, that is kind of basically what he's saying, and that was his reasoning for the denaturalization thing was about that circular too. So it is just I'm pretty sure his opinions are just made up to like farm Twitter engagement. Like he has just come up with the thing is that Twitter. It's really easy to get lots of likes on Twitter right now if you're super anti-immigration, if you're super worried about anti-Semitism, you're talking about Islam all the time. Like, it's all these things, and he has just picked them, and he's just coming up with whatever retarded, bitch, coward justification he can to say those things while still claiming to be like a left-leaning liberal. When he's just not. He's just not. It's just like pure... it does just feel like pure grifting.
What about Lander? He's a Zionist, but you're saying he's not because he associates with people like Mamdani.
But no. It's not. I'm not saying Lander's not a Zionist because he associates with Mamdani. I'm saying Lander has for many different years, like basically endorsed multiple candidates for government for like aldermen and all that sort of stuff at the New York City council level and stuff like that. People who have had really extremist views calling for the destruction of Israel. That is true. I'm going to research this actually.
And Eric Adams has hung out with Sneeko, who's a massive anti-Semite.
And I think Eric Adams is bad as well. I'm not endorsing everything Eric Adams said for.
I know, but you're like saying you're being a little bit of a I think that you're criticizing Mamdani definitely more on Twitter than you are Adams, and I think
on his record too, because it's not just like his actions; it's like his record and things that he's done.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. Okay, beautiful. Brad Lander has aided boycott movement against Israel. Beautiful. Like, there's all these incidents here. Like, he supports boycott, divestment, sanctions. He supported all these different things that basically aim to dismantle Israel as a state.
No, he doesn't. No, because they disagree with what Israel's doing, not because they disagree with Israel.
It's not that he just disagrees with what the government of Israel is doing. It's actually that he's actually supporting people who want to dismantle Israel as a state.
The whole point is to pressure Israel. The whole point of that is like pressure Israel to stop. Like they do they cite like the South Africa situation, right? As their I don't think that's legitimate. But dude,
the BDS movement even advocates boycotts on leftist Israelis who are anti-Netanyahu and anti-Israel. So it's literally at the end of the day a movement for the destruction of Israel. If you're not even willing to, that's a key difference between the BDS movement and South Africa. The global left were working with left-wing Afrikaners and left-wing white people who wanted to dismantle the apartheid state in South Africa. But instead, the BDS movement and the whole anti-Zionist movement is constantly saying every single Israeli is a settler colonist. Look at what Baden Panada did. I'm not saying that you support Baden Panada, obviously not. But if you look at like Hassan, okay, here I can.
I don't support Baden Panada, but you don't exactly when you're the guy crying about him, you make it hard. Okay.
Explain, right? Hassan Piker sits down with Baden Panada. Baden Panada is somebody who's repeatedly said even the people who were killed in the kibbutzim on October 7, the left-wing anti-Zionists, the people who were critical of the Netanyahu government, all of them are justified military targets because they were settler colonists. Right?
What's the point of this?
Hassan Piker sits down with Baden Panada, endorses all that, and then Zoran is.
So because you're sitting down with us, do you endorse everything that we believe?
But it's not that Zoran was doing a debate with Hassan Piker. They were doing it. They were sitting down together, friends, putting their hands around each other's shoulders, saying we're best mates. It's not like they were doing a debate.
I watched that whole conversation. It wasn't like that. He pushed back on him at different points.
But no, there were barely any pushback. They're obviously friends. They obviously like each other. It's so obvious.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so because I don't think so. He's watched him and stuff like that, but I'm saying that the difference is that Hassan went on to Noah Samson's channel and he didn't stay live on his own. He was not interested in platforming him. I think he only did it because he wanted to participate in the fundraiser for Palestine with Noah Samson.
Wait, you're talking about Baden Panada. No, Hassan has actually outright said that he agrees with Baden. He's actually fully endorsed Baden.
No, I just want to know that he's fully endorsing it. I'm sure that
No, he hasn't, dude. That's just not true at all. Hassan says he doesn't agree with everything Baden Panada does. That he's explicitly said that multiple times. He said he doesn't agree with the tactics, that he thinks they're on the same page in terms of the problem and severity of the situation, but that he doesn't agree with the tactics.
They agree on stuff because he's watched his videos and I'm sure he agreed with points that he made.
No, but Hassan's appeared with him, promoted his videos.
What I'm only challenging is this idea that just sitting down with somebody and not having like a very uncivil debate means you endorse everything that they say.
Dude, Baden Panada and Hassan, I watched their whole stream. They were literally joking about making my future son a janissary.
He makes it funnier. He makes it funnier when he cries about it. Drew Pavlou's firstborn son will be made a janissary. He will be Hassan's janissary. This will be happening. Yeah, they were making jokes about a child I don't have. They're participating in the CPS lie, okay? They're participating in the CPS lie against Drew right now.
The janissaries were basically Greek children and Balkan Christian children who were stolen from their parents in the Ottoman Empire and forced to be they were castrated, made soldier slaves to the Ottoman state. And they were laughing about this and ha 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 ha.
Yes, and then they said we shouldn't talk about this anymore because he's just going to stream about it for a bunch of hours and it's going to be the biggest day ever for him. And then you did that, I bet.
No, but I mean, you watched the whole thing. Therefore, you literally watched the whole thing.
Yeah, I did.
They were basically sucking each other's cocks. They were sucking each other off in that fucking debate. They loved each other. There was no pushback at all. They fucking loved each other.
No,
they sucked each other off.
There was the biggest point of contention was that Baden Panada doesn't give a fuck about including anti-Zionist Jews in the coalition because he says you're legitimizing the perspective that you need a Jewish alibi to validate the perspective. And Hassan was saying that he didn't see it that way, and he does think that they're an important part of the movement.
Yeah. Hassan's really willing to work with anti-Zionist Jews. That's so true. Even though he's literally endorsed the fucking Houthis. The Houthis, of course, literally have cursed the Jews in their fucking logo. So Hassan is somebody who's just got such a beautiful, open heart.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
I know. I'm just saying. Obviously, Baden Panada is a full-blown extremist. There were Haaretz writers. You know Haaretz, of course. Haaretz is the left-wing Israeli outlet that's very critical of the Netanyahu government. There was a Haaretz writer who, on October 7, was literally in a kibbutzim with his two kids who were like 2 years old and 3 years old, plus his wife. He was in one of these kibbutzim. Hamas guys were literally right outside that guy. This guy did an interview with 60 Minutes America where he talked about his experience. Baden and Panada tagged him on Twitter and said, "I hope next time you get fucking killed with your toddlers." Okay, and then Hassan sits down with Baden and Panada and they go, "Ha ha ha ha! Let's talk about how much we hate Israel." Blah blah blah. Oh yeah, you're 1% more extreme than me. Oh yeah, we have a 1% disagreement, but here's me sucking you off for 3 hours. And then Zoran sits down with Hassan and then they just have a buddy talk for 2 hours.
So it's got these really bad tweets, bro. No one cares.
So there's a fucking unbroken chain of causation where Zoran loves to hang out with people who are not just critical of Israel and human rights grounds.
So I'll give you an example.
Like, why would you, like, if you want to cry about Hassan associating Baden Panada because he's like a doxer and all this stuff, like, you can do all that, but I don't know why you would give a fuck about the mean tweets or the offensive tweets. Why is that what we're crying about?
Oh, okay, so Eric Adams, then by this definition, Eric Adams...
And then you know who Sneeko sat down with?
Eric Adams is bad. Eric Adams is bad for doing the Sneeko thing. He's bad for doing the Sneeko thing.
But you don't call him like an anti-Semite that needs to be kept away from public office. You think that people should vote for him over Zoran.
The difference is...
Drew, wait, 1 second. Wait, answer this question. Who did Sneeko sit down with and go buddy-buddy with?
Yes, Eric Adams, which is horrible, fucked up, should never happen.
No, because you did the Hassan to Baden Panada. Who did actually Sneeko sit down with and be buddy-buddy with? Not the candidate. Who's the third party?
Yeah, Eric Adams, and I'm not saying that Eric Adams, I literally...
His name is Nicholas... His name is Nicholas. His name is Nicholas. Wait, let me finish. You know where I'm going. Wait. You know, his name is Nicholas Fuentes, but you would never say, would you, that because Eric Adams sat down with Sneeko, that he endorses Nicholas Fuentes, correct?
Well, the difference, okay. It's wrong. It's absolutely horrible what Eric Adams did.
No, I asked the question.
At the end of the day, Eric Adams doesn't want to dismantle Israel, and 7 million people get marched into the sea.
Okay. I asked a specific question. I said, would you attribute to Eric Adams the policies and politics of Nick Fuentes? Would you?
Okay, tell me what the difference is.
Would you?
Dude, there is just like no engagement. This guy is such a bitch retard. It's so embarrassing.
Would you? Okay, tell me what the difference is. Would you? Okay. Let me ask you this, right?
Oh,
how big is the gulf? How big is the gulf between Zoran and Hassan Piker in terms of politics? Hassan Piker loves everything that Zoran is doing, and Hassan Piker has literally explicitly endorsed Hezbollah, Nasrallah, and the Houthis.
You're not answering. I asked you a question, which is, you wouldn't attribute, would you, the politics of Nick Fuentes to Mayor Adams because he sat down with Sneeko, who sat down with Nick Fuentes?
It's different. Very different.
Why?
The difference is that Hassan Piker is literally, I mean, fuck, dude. You know who's fucking Sneeko endorsed? Sneeko endorsed fucking Zoran.
Zoran, and then Zoran's campaign disavowed him and banned him from any event.
Okay, cool. That's great. They didn't disband. How come they didn't disband?
Okay, Eric Adams, when asked why he did that, he said he didn't know him, he didn't disavow him.
Yeah, the Hassan derangement is just so retarded, man. I don't understand how it got so fucking bad so quick. It feels like it used to be like... You know, Hassan used to be so popular, and it felt like you were just pissing in the wind trying to talk shit about Hassan. And now just everyone is just like totally deranged and thinks he like actually wants to murder Jews in the street. I don't know how it got so bad so quick.
Or anything like that.
Okay. I think that Hassan Piker is as anti-Semitic as Sneeko. Fact check true.
What? No.
Do you agree or disagree?
Disagree.
No, okay.
Sneeko is like a Holocaust denier.
Sneeko's a groiper.
Dude, what's the fundamental difference between the Groypers and the Hassanabiites? The Hassanabiites want to death march 7 million Israeli Jews into the sea.
If you said Hassan agrees with everything that Zoran Mamdani wants, then Zoran Mamdani has said, when asked the question, do you think Israel has a right to exist? He says, or as a Jewish state, he says, it has a right to exist, but not as a state based on ethnicity. So I favor equal rights for all...
No, they don't. No, they do, because they're anti-Zionist. They want the state of Israel to be dismantled, and that means that the Palestinians will have their right return, and they'll go and then they'll kill all Jews, okay? No, they do want to do that, but it's like 5 steps removed, and that's not actually what they're thinking, and you're not guaranteed to get the outcome anyway. Making inferences based on current situation.
Arabs and Jews in the region.
Yeah. We all know that Zoran is just saying that because he's running for election.
Convenient. And we all know that Eric Adams is just saying whatever he's saying just because he's running for election. And we all know.
No, Light in the Box did not convince me in that debate. No, I'm not sold on anti-Zionism being the same as anti, or whatever the fuck the argument. That basically felt like what it boiled down to be honest.
But apparently, Lander endorsed like an Islamist candidate, right?
Oh yeah, I found it. So like you've got photos of like Brett Lander with like Linda Sarsour, all these extremist people, all these really.
Oh my god. People. Okay. Well, can we get on?
Okay. Again, I just want to point out that Drew, who is saying that people should be able to be denaturalized, is calling somebody else an extremist. This is the guy who we're going to listen to define extremism. Everyone.
I'm an extremist because I think Pakistani gang rapists and British.
Oh yeah, I'm so glad I got Chud to play that fucking Asmongold clip from last night. I don't know if people were around for this, but dude, people cry endlessly about Hassan being an extremist. But Asmongold just says this on his stream.
It's insane. What politicians are... If it causes World War III, well, then they shouldn't have done it. See, what politicians are afraid of more than anything is people that have nothing left to lose. And you should always vote as if you have nothing left to lose. Never accept half measures. Never accept bullshit. You can choose, and by the way, this is the way that I vote and I make decisions. If you choose not to make decisions this way, that's totally fine. But my opinion is that I will vote for extremist, radical, psychotic candidates because I view these people as the most destructive to the system. And I think the system is problematic, and it's designed to be slowly destructive. And I think that to accelerate the process, I would want to vote for somebody that would be even more destructive. That's the way I see things. Lamau, another L.
This is the one time I have heard Asmongold lay out a full position on something, and it's him saying, yeah, I'm an accelerationist. I think society should be destroyed and a bunch of people should die so that we can restart everything. Wow. Awesome, Asmongold. Wow. Wow, crazy. And Hassan's the problem, I guess.
Okay, that's really.
You're so right, King. You're so true. Yep, that's what you said. That's what you said.
80% of people agree with me. You think 80% of the British population is extremist?
Yes. If they agree with you on that, then yes. If they agree with you that they should be denaturalized as citizens because they commit crimes, then yes, 80% of the British public is extremists.
Can I ask you, why is the hill that you want to die on the citizenship of Pakistani gang rapists in Britain? Why is that the #1 issue for you in politics? It doesn't fucking make sense.
Why did they make them citizens?
You're framing.
It was a disaster. It was obviously a fucking mistake. It was obviously a mistake if they carried out gang rapes.
Yeah, it's a very mistake it's obviously a mistake to naturalize brown people is what you're saying, right?
No, I said specifically the people who carried out gang rapes.
No, but they were naturalized before they carried out gang rape.
Dude,
we're gonna loop.
If it was Greek Cypriots, literally my ethnicity. If it was Greek Cypriots doing this in Britain, I would say the same thing.
Okay. I want to move on now. So you're saying that you wouldn't make a decision on who to vote for in the mayoral. You have critiques of everybody, right?
I said I'd get a sword, I'd get a samurai sword, and stab myself in the fucking chest, and just wait until I fucking bleed out. Like,
you know, if you don't endorse another candidate, Zoran might end up winning, right? If you really want him to not win, you have to advocate that people vote against him and vote for another candidate. So who are they going to vote for?
I'll lay down my life for Eric Adams then. Even though I think Eric Adams.
Oh my God! Even though Eric Adams is corrupt,
sits down with anti-Semites.
Listen, Pisco. Listen, Pisco. I didn't say I agree with everything he's ever done. As I said previously, my family in Greek Cyprus.
As you said previously, it doesn't matter because if you speak positively of them, or if you compliment them, or if you associate with them, then you basically endorse everything that they've ever said or done. That's your standard. That's your standard for what counts as endorsement.
I said to you that fuck, sorry, I got distracted by my chat. What I said to you is this. Say it again. Sorry, I got distracted by the chat.
You said you're trying to distance yourself from Adams' most pernicious views and behaviors, but I'm saying it doesn't work that way because by the standard that you've laid out in this conversation, it doesn't matter that you haven't explicitly endorsed those things, because if you're throwing material support behind them, if you're endorsing them, if you're saying people ought to vote for them, if you've spoken positively of them, then you're endorsing everything that they've ever said or done.
Two things. Okay. One, the Turkish corruption stuff is bad. Look, my family was
Can you guys hear that? Okay, is that all good?
Dhimmis for many years under the Ottoman yoke. So I understand sometimes when the Turks are fucking around, you have to fucking bend the rules to fucking survive, okay? It's not perfect.
Okay. I'm gonna try to...
Perfect. We don't want to have to do that, but look, we all know sometimes you have to fucking make deals with the Turks. Okay, that's number one. Number two.
Fuck you. He was accepting bribes, and then he did a corrupt deal with the Trump administration, and he hung out with the anti-Semite. He hung out with two anti-Semites. Two. Count them, two. And those people hung out with. Wait a second. And those people
perfect.
Oh, okay. So just not, yeah, he's not perfect. He just hangs out with neo-Nazis. That's your definition of a lack of perfection?
I think Hassan hangs out with... Hassan is a neo-Nazi, essentially. Hassan...
you wanted to say Hassan hangs out with neo-Nazis, but you know that he doesn't do that.
Hassan Piker, after October 7, he couldn't say that babies were not military settlers and therefore not military targets.
Yo, thank you for the membership. Thank you.
Hassan Piker, in his heart of hearts, wants to see all Israelis ethnically cleansed from the population. That's the difference between Eric Adams and fucking Hassan and Zoran.
Then why does he endorse Zoran, who says, again, equal rights for all citizens? That's not ethnic cleansing.
I don't believe in what he says that. I don't believe in what he says that. I genuinely believe in my heart of hearts that Zoran, in his heart of hearts, would want to see Israel dismantled.
So if Zoran's lying about his platform, then why are you scared of him instituting national grocery stores or trying to raise the minimum wage? Because it's all a lie.
I'm not scared about that. I don't even give a fuck about the grocery stores. I don't understand if you've heard what I've said. My issue...
You're just signaling. You're just virtue signaling. You don't give a fuck about New York City, and you want to saddle us with a fucking corrupt mayor because of fucking Hassan.
No, let me explain. I actually like his policies. I like free buses. I like public transport, all this stuff. I'm literally a social democrat. I grew up as a Bernie Sanders supporter. I literally support all the economic stuff. I almost support all the economic stuff. If you just cut out the hatred for white people and the race communism and the hatred for like fucking Western civilization, then I'd support Zoran, okay?
Okay, should Hassan be denaturalized?
Oh yeah, should he?
No, I don't think that. I think he's an
American. Why not? Why not? He's Turkish.
Wait, what do you mean?
You just said that he endorsed Hezbollah, that he endorses Hamas, that he wants to destroy Israel.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about Zoran. Yes, Hassan should be denaturalized. 100%.
Hassan Piker should be denaturalized and deported.
Yeah,
to Turkey.
Yeah, Hassan Piker is not an American. He hates America. He wants to kill Americans. He celebrated 9/11. He's not an American. Fact check true. Truth nuke. Clip this up and post it around. Clip it up and post it around.
Fuck it, dude.
We will. So who does Farrakhan lead? What's his organization?
Farrakhan lead. Sorry.
Louis Farrakhan. He leads an organization.
Yeah, Nation of Islam fucked up.
You guys, I know that he was born here, but he doesn't know that.
Support the Nation of Islam.
Let me explain. That's retarded. It's fucking psycho. But I don't think that at the end of the day
supports the Nation of Islam.
Let me explain. That's fucked up and psycho. I think Louis Farrakhan is fucked up and psycho. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, I don't think Eric Adams wants to kill all Jews in Israel. And I think that Zoran ultimately...
He just supports people that do. He just hangs out with people that do.
No. Zoran hangs out with people who want to kill all Israelis. Like, Hassan wants to kill all Israelis.
Wait. You think Hassan wants to kill all Israelis?
Yes. Or not killed, maybe ethnically cleansed, march them into the sea, death marches, all that sort of stuff. A lot of them would be killed. Probably, if Hassan Piker had his way, they probably wouldn't kill all 7 million Israelis. They'd probably kill like 1 million, and then 6 million would be forced to flee.
You want to kill all Palestinians?
Me? No, of course not. I want a two-state solution.
Do you support Israel?
I support a two-state solution.
Do you support the state of Israel right now?
I support the state of Israel's right to exist. I don't support all their policies, of course not.
So do you think that Israel should stop doing what they're doing right now?
Yes, I think that the war in Gaza should end at a negotiated settlement. I do think that.
Let's touch real quick on Superman. But let's not touch on spoilers.
We haven't even got to Superman.
So no spoilers, all right? Let's not touch on spoilers that much, okay? this was a ironic article, right? Because you have a lot of shit posting done. This was irony, right?
No, but it's
hilarious.
No, I genuinely believe it's funny. Obviously, I employ humor in my argument style and my writing, but I do genuinely believe it is an anti-Semitic film. Yes, absolutely. And I'll explain it to you.
Okay, I'm
very clearly. He's going to explain it very clearly.
Very clear. Don't get into actual plot points. Just get into like the.
Okay, I'll try keep it to the themes. Okay. Keeping it to the themes. The vast majority of people who watch the film are going to understand that the evil U.S. ally in the film is supposed to represent Israel. They're fighting a war in the Middle East. They're an American ally fighting a war in the Middle East. It literally is a Middle Eastern context. The civilians that they're assaulting are very clearly depicted as Arab Muslim. Most of the women are wearing hijabs. I remember I was watching in scenes in the film. Most of the women that they were assaulting were wearing Arab headscarves, hijab. So
it was an Eastern European country.
This is where they. Sorry, I understand the backstory in Superman. Moravia was first invented decades ago in the Superman universe.
Yes.
But this is the thing, they obviously rewrote it significantly. Because, let me explain this to you, right? Moravia is supposed to Moravia is a neighboring state to Jahanpur, correct?
Yes.
Okay. We see them massing on the border. It's a desert setting, correct?
I guess. It looks like
yes.
It looks like
is Eastern Europe? Are there deserts in Eastern Europe?
Wait, the game's loud? Oh, fuck.
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure this shit is canon. He didn't come up with those states or shit or anything like that.
Well, I don't know.
Wait, 1 minute.
Is Kazakhstan? Does Kazakhstan have deserts?
Wait 1 minute.
Not Middle Eastern style deserts. And there's sand dunes, dude. You can see. You can watch the movie. It's literally. It looks like Iraq. It's sand dunes.
I'm just gonna look up. Are there deserts in Eastern Europe? I don't actually know this, so maybe you're right.
So wait.
There are no sand dune deserts in Eastern Europe.
I think I should now.
So Drew,
it's grassland. It's steppe. It's
Drew.
Steppe, dude.
In that scene where the soldier points a gun at like a child's head, did that remind you of Israel or what?
It's supposed to be Israel. It's based off all the it's based off all the worst.
Okay.
It's based off all the
If you care about Israel, you probably should not say that. You probably should not say you're reminded of Jews, of Semitism,
can you guys share the game?
of Israel, of Zionism, when you see a soldier pointing a gun at the head of a small brown child.
Let me explain to you.
Serbia has deserts.
Should not be able to hear the game now.
It says here.
Oh my god, you both are being so fucking stupid right now. Okay, one, there's no deserts in fucking Eastern Europe, Pisco. Stop being fucking retarded. We all know there's no deserts in the Eastern Europe.
It's all sand. It's a large sand area covering 120 square meters.
He's gonna stop. You know what he's thinking when he thinks fucking desert. He literally means like the pyramids and shit, a sphinx and sand. That's what he means.
Oh my god, dude. Yes, we all know there are great sandy deserts in Eastern Europe. So fucking true. Okay, that's number one.
No, you don't care about like the actual definition of desert. You just have this. You have like literally a caricature in your head.
Oh my god, this is so. Dude, by the same definition that you're using of a desert, tundra can be considered desert. Fucking ice steppe can be considered desert.
Yes.
Okay. Am I
because that is the definition of desert.
No, it's not. My god, this is so stupid. Are you kidding me, dude? Are you kidding me? When you're let me ask you this. When you see a photo of fucking Antarctica, do you look at that and you're like, this looks like the Middle East?
Oh, that's a different claim. I don't look at it and think the Middle East. I'm saying it's a desert.
Oh my god.
It qualifies as a fucking desert.
Oh my god. Fucking, it's a fucking desert. It's a fucking desert with sand.
Editor, when you do the edit right now in this part, I want you to put all of the deserts right here, in Europe, okay? And we can compare, and then put right next to them.
Europe.
Drew is like a pharaoh. Drew is like a pharaoh. Pisco is like a sphinx.
I want you to put the Moravia Jahanpur desert, and I want you to compare the most similar desert in Europe. Okay, I want you to put them right there, and we can see
This is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
Where was it filmed? Whoa, where the fuck was it filmed? We need to find this out, guys. Where was Jahanpur filmed? Jahanpur. Oh, if it was filmed in Europe, you're fucked. I really
it's not
hope
filmed in Europe. There's no fucking deserts in Europe, Pisco.
Wait. Pisco, you said it was about Kazakhstan? There's like deserts in Kazakhstan or where?
Oh, Serbia. They said Serbia.
In Serbia.
There's some.
I'm gonna kill myself. We're actually trying to pretend that there are deserts in Europe. I'm gonna kill myself. This is fucking ridiculous.
Where was Jazimpur filmed? We need to figure this out, guys. We need to figure this out.
I'm looking it up too.
Oh, primarily at the studios in Atlanta, Georgia. Are there deserts? I guess there's deserts in Atlanta, Georgia. Filming also began in Norway. Is Norway in Europe?
The desert scenes aren't set in fucking Norway, dude. Are you kidding me?
And I'm just trying.
These are kind of dumb arguments. James Gunn literally said that the film was written before the conflict even started, and he wasn't thinking about the Middle East and shit.
People are saying there are deserts in Europe.
Can you get a photo of a desert and put it up on the screen just so people can fucking
He's using the colloquial understanding of desert. That's what he means.
Okay.
Sand, camels, pyramids. That's what he means. Brown people.
With hijab.
With hijabs, yes.
Wait.
Cactus.
It's a desert setting. The women are wearing hijabs. Everybody looks Middle Eastern. It's Middle Eastern. It's so obvious. If you have to pretend that's actually, I don't know, like that's actually.
Can we move to a different point? The geographic location is hardly just the thing that's making you think that this is supposed to be like anti-Semitic or whatever.
Wait, Aaron,
I'm trying to. Okay, that was the first part of my argument. My first part of the argument is that it's so obviously supposed to be Israel. And you said, oh my God, when you see somebody point a gun at a small brown child, you immediately think of Israel. That's not my argument at all. That's not what I was thinking. Instead,
no, I asked you if you thought that.
Aaron,
I'm familiar. Let me explain. I'm familiar with all the narratives about how Israel is evil. I'm familiar with all the left-wing narratives because I'm on Twitter. I see it every single day, right? So if I'm familiar with like the way Hassan Piker sees Israel, which is that the average Israeli just picks up brown people every day and just eats them for lunch, then that's how the film presents it, okay? It's supposed to be the worst possible narrative of Israel.
I think it's a self-report. By the way, I'm looking at a desert from.
It's literally not.
I'm looking at a desert from Russia, and it's looking pretty desert-y. I'm just saying, it looks like a desert.
Yeah, because you're looking at like Central Asia. Are you familiar with the fact that Russia has parts of Central Asia in it? Of course.
Okay, but it's a Slavic nation.
You know that there's a European part to Russia and there's an Asian part to Russia, dude.
But Spain has a desert, they say. Okay, but can we agree that the main villain is in Moravia? It's Lex Luthor, and it's not like Moravia's in control. It's Lex Luthor.
But this is my whole point, right? The entire film shows Lex Luthor doing everything he possibly can for Moravia. No, he says at the end
the exact opposite.
Yes.
The exact.
Okay.
Wait. Sorry.
Okay. No.
Quick spoilers.
One line.
Wait. Guys. Real quick spoilers for the next minute.
No,
I'll wave my hands like this when the spoilers are over. Okay, I'll wave my hands like this.
Stop.
Maybe.
We know that in the canon. It's supposed to be Eastern Europe. We very clearly see that it's not an Eastern European setting that they're invading. It's so clearly not Eastern Europe. It's how Hollywood typically, conventionally Okay, you know the stereotype.
Wait,
of how
what?
Hollywood portrays.
Landlocked.
Wait. Stereotypically portrays what?
No, it's C. There's C.
No.
No,
it's Markovia. Wait, no. Okay, Aaron, I want you to show this. Can you share the screen, Aaron?
Yeah, link it.
Okay. Aaron, I'm showing this to you.
Remember when Israel manipulated Lex Luthor?
Dude, they are portrayed as being part of a cosmic scale conspiracy.
Okay, I know.
Of humanity.
I know.
They are. That's how the film portrays it.
Are you sharing screen, Aaron?
Oh, wait, that's what you want me to do. Hold on.
Yeah, do you mind?
Hold on. I'm trying to fucking... Why is it doing that?
Fuck.
There we go. Give me a second.
Yeah, okay. I think it's literally landlocked, dude. I think you're fucked. I think you're actually fucked.
Dude,
shit.
Dude, if it's Eastern Europe, why is it in a fucking?
Yeah, no, but I think you're fucked because I think it's literally landlocked.
Hang on.
I'm sharing it.
It's Markovia to the north. That's not a sea.
No, go to my Substack. I got a better picture of this. 100% better picture.
No, but look at this picture, right? This is from the movie. This is from the fucking movie.
Okay, but I took a photo in the cinema. I actually had my camera.
I know. But do you acknowledge this is from the fucking movie?
Okay.
This is from the movie.
I can't see. Where?
Go to share. So
I shared my screen on Discord. Check Discord.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Go.
It's landlocked.
Please. Okay. Go, please.
This is from the movie, right? Wait, I know, but this is from the movie.
Okay. It's interesting that they portrayed the landlocked with the color of the blue sea.
No, I just can't play Patapon while watching a video.
It's true.
What?
That's fucking true.
No
That's fucking true. It looks like the sea. You can easily mistake it.
I did switch to the PSP version though.
It's an easy mistake.
No
It's an
way
easy
you're
mistake.
gonna-
Make the fucking color blue.
It's landlocked. No, it's landlocked. Your whole argument was.
They made the color blue.
Listen to me. You are not.
It looks like the sea. It looks like the sea.
Come on, you're saying that now because
Go to my sunlight. Look at the photo I took. From my perspective, it looks like the sea. In the camera, the cinema, it looks like the sea.
Dude, wait a second. So your whole argument was the.
But it looks like the sea. It looks like the sea. Bisco, you could so easily mistake it for the sea because it's fucking blue. It's fucking blue, dude.
He can't read a fucking fictional map.
Please come. It's blue. Why? When you make a map, why make the adjoining countries blue? Unless you want to make it confusing.
Because it's fiction.
It's blue. It's blue.
They made it blue. It looks so. If you mistook the blue country to the north as the sea, it looks the exact same as the fucking Eastern Mediterranean coastline. For fuck's sake.
Luthuria is also in blue. There's two countries in blue, so it can't just be that they're trying to.
It's designed to be confusing. It's designed to be confusing.
Dude, what?
This is.
That's a self. I think that's a self-report. Only to Zionists is it confusing.
If the movie is in Eastern Europe, why is it in the fucking desert?
Your argument was about the curve of the Mediterranean, and we just found out that Jaranpur is
okay. I thought it was the. Dude, it's because they put the fucking country blue. They put the country north of Jahanpur blue, so it looks like the fucking sea according to the map.
Okay, Drew, I watched your video.
Go to my subsite.
I watched your video reviewing this.
Look at this photo. Look at the photo. Please look at the photo that I took from my perspective, from my seat in the cinema. It looks like a fucking sea. Fuck's sake.
Drew, what are your top 3 movies? What are your top 3 movies?
Tree of Life by Terrence Malick, Mishima, The Four Seasons. What else? What else? Let me check my letterboxd.
Drew's got a letterbox. Let's go, man.
Okay.
It looks like Gaza because of the curve of the Mediterranean. Oops, wait, it's just because
it looks like it looks like it. It looks like it. Okay, it looks like it. Fuck, dude, why make it blue? Why make it fucking blue? Why make it fucking blue? It's so Go to my article and look at the photo that I took from my seat in the cinema. It looked like the fucking sea. So sick of this, man. Oh, the other one, No Country for Old Men. That's a fucking great film.
Okay.
Great film.
Do you like any movies with political themes?
Yeah, I do, of course.
Okay, well, why did you say in your Superman review that you didn't want any politics in your movies because you're just trying to enjoy a story?
Because it's fucking Superman. It's a fucking slop movie, okay? It's not.
You're a massive hypocrite. You're a massive hypocrite. You're a massive hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite.
It's not an art house film. It's not an art house film. It's a slop movie. It's a slop movie. I don't like Marvel and shit like that anyway. Look, go down. Look, okay.
You used the same picture, Drew. You used the same picture.
No, I took that
You covered up the country line. You covered up the country line.
I'm gonna get it off my phone. Hang on. Fuck's sake, man. This is actually fucking torture.
This is amazing.
Dude, this guy is like next
Nobody
level of tolerance.
understands me.
It's totally
It doesn't
shameful.
look at all like Gaza, dude. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
Dude,
Also, why did you say this? My guess for what it's worth, it's that the script probably originally called for Moravia to represent Russia, with Moravia's leader representing Vladimir Putin. Why are you arguing this so hard then? If you literally have an alternative hypothesis for what it's supposed to be.
See, that's just the sign of my intellectual honesty that I could actually entertain an alternative hypothesis. I do think that they probably when they were producing the film like 3-4 years ago, they probably started out saying, let's make it about Russia, Ukraine. But then over time, obviously the themes, it's obviously a very politically charged message.
Dude, where am I supposed to go here?
You both know how Hollywood portrays the Middle East very stereotypically. There's sand, there's hijab, there's the.
That would suggest that they're actually bigoted against Muslims, not Jews. It's the opposite of your point.
You think that the film is bigoted against Muslims and portrays Muslims?
No. You just said that Hollywood depicts Muslim, like the Middle Eastern people, like Muslims in Middle Eastern areas, stereotypically using desert, sands, brown people, or whatever. That speaks to a bias against Muslims and against like Islam, not against Jews.
No, but the film's not biased against Muslims and Islam. It's not at all.
It's a hybrid of Ukraine and Gaza, hence the blue.
Okay, from where I was sitting in the cinema, okay, and I took the fucking photo, they made a deliberate choice to make the country directly north of Moravia on the fucking map blue, so it looks like the fucking sea, okay, Pisco? Okay, explain this to me, right? If it's not supposed to be Israel, why is it this is the most cartoonish part of the whole film. Okay, Pisco, you can wave your hands again for plot spoilers or whatever. Okay.
Oh,
yeah, please go back to my Substack for a second.
Shut up,
please.
man.
That is so on the
No. What you just said is so. What you just said is so. You said because some people might view it as Israel. It's anti-Semitic for the director to have this choice because some people might view it.
Therefore, it could be. It is.
It's a dog whistle, dude. It's a dog whistle. It's literally a dog whistle. It's literally a dog whistle.
I don't get it. How is it a dog whistle?
How is it a dog whistle? The character representing Israel that 90% of viewers will perceive to be Israel, like stands there while Lex Luthor abducts a random Arab streetcar vendor off the streets of New York City and then shoots him in the head, and then they laugh. How is that not the most on the nose, like Goebbels tier?
True. This would be like somebody arguing that depicting Hamas in a fictional story is anti-Palestinian. Come on, man.
No, but dude, you've literally got the stand-in for Israel in the film. They just abduct a random streetcar vendor who's Arab, and then they just kill him because they hate Arabs. That's the most obvious. It's so fucking on the nose, dude. It's so on the nose. Come on, let's say the roles reversed. Imagine the evil person in the film is dressed up with a keffiyeh on the whole time, and then they pick a random Jewish guy off the streets of New York City who's dressed as a Hasidic Jew, and they just shoot him in the head. Would you say that's anti-Palestinian?
Okay, but at that point, you just linked it to a keffiyeh, but there's no sorts of there's no like Jewish or even Israeli like symbols or imagery in this movie.
He has the exact same accent as Netanyahu. He's got wild shock of hair.
No.
It's a thick Eastern Mediterranean accent.
Slavic accent.
Have you heard Netanyahu speak? He has a
unfortunately.
Times. Yes, we have. No, they're different.
Voice. Gurkov in the film has a gravelly voice. It sounds so similar.
So now making somebody sound like Bibi Netanyahu and their evil is anti-Semitic. You must only portray Bibi Netanyahu favorably in good light, otherwise you're a fucking anti-Semite.
So you're admitting it's supposed to be Netanyahu, and then I'm picks up an Arab guy off the street and just shoots him. Okay, this is a real serious question. If the leader of the evil country in the film was wearing a keffiyeh or was portrayed as an Arab Middle Eastern man, and then in the film they picked up a random Jew off the street who's portrayed as a good guy, and they pick up this guy who's dressed as a Jew and he looks like a Jewish guy, and then they just shoot him in the head while cackling and laugh, would you say, oh, this film has a bit of Islamophobic undertones, it's portraying brown and Middle Eastern people as evil? You would say that. 100% you'd say that.
Know that I would.
No,
I think it would depend on the.
It would depend. It would depend on how it was used in the story.
Yeah, I would. I mean, Muslims are portrayed as villains a lot of the time. I don't really give a shit.
As if you don't give
wait, you said as what? I don't. No, wait. There's a difference between a Palestinian or a minority being portrayed as a villain versus a criminal. When they consistently depict them as criminals and criminals only, and that's the start and end of their character development, it usually gets into like bigoted territory, very, very stereotypical territory, very, very quickly. When you have a complex villain, and they happen to have similarities between these things that is not always, then that's different.
Thank you for making my point for me. Is the character development of the evil villains in this film played out at all? No, it's not. It's literally like the evil.
That's against you. No, but that's against you. Yeah, it's against you because
it's just fully cartoonish. It's fully cartoonish.
You just fucked yourself because you just said that they don't spend a lot of time dealing with the Barovian motivations. That should go to against your point. The notion that they're behind everything.
It doesn't because they're just portrayed as the generic avatar of all evil.
No, Lex Luthor is portrayed.
If they're generic, how is it anti-Semitic?
Superman.
Moravia is tied in to Lex Luthor the entire time. You can't just say
Lex is running the show. Lex is running the show.
Okay, you can't just have the movie for 2 hours portray Lex Luthor working hand in glove with the Baravians, and then right at the end it goes, "Oh, actually, they're not in charge at all. I'm the one in charge."
No,
bullshit.
No, they set that up the whole time, right? They because there's this question like, why would they do this just for the gun deals? He doesn't need these $1 billion. So throughout the movie, they're embedding this like question, this mystery, like, how is he involved in here? Would it just be for money? And then they literally say it's all set up. This is set up throughout the movie to say it's Lex behind everything, and it's not the Baravians. It's set up.
They say in the movie that he wants the land because it has all these beautiful resource deposits.
But then they find out that is like that's not a good explanation. They actually question that explanation, like that doesn't really make much sense. And this is a literal part of the dialogue. And if you missed it, I'm sorry. You were furiously taking notes because you went into this movie with the notion that it was already anti-Semitic because you had already seen the lefties that you hate. You admit this at the start of your fucking piece, by the way. You at the start of the piece, you go, I thought I was already going to hate this, but literal first sentence. Yeah, go up to that.
I went into the film with low expectations because I saw various mentally ill leftist figures on social media crow about the film as a total cultural war victory against Israel, America, and the West.
I took like 2,000 words of notes. I literally took.
Yeah, so maybe you didn't hear. So maybe you didn't hear. Maybe you didn't hear when they were like, "Huh, that doesn't really make sense to go to minerals." Yeah, and then they were like, "This is a side deal for him." They literally say that in the build-up. They set it up. Yeah, they do.
That's not realistic. It's not. It cuts across the entire thrust of the film. The entire thrust of the film is that the Baravians are part of this basically interdimensional conspiracy to enslave the Americans.
No, that's not what's happening in the movie.
They're part of like a universal conspiracy against them. Yes.
No, it's Lex. Lex is the one who's, by the way, you're saying like the Baravians are the ones putting people in prison. It's Lex either A, putting his fucking ex-girlfriends and all these people who are opposing him and other political prisoners that he's being outsourced to put in this dimension. It's his portal. It's his people running the portals.
But it's supposed to be Seacott because they say that line. They literally say that line.
It's supposed to be Seacott?
It is. When they say that line, all the bad governments of the world farm out political prisoners there. It's very obvious.
No, oh my god.
Drew,
dude, I don't think Seacott was even in discourse when this film was being made.
Me saying it was like ICE when he got arrested. It is supposed to be like
it's like the last 3 months.
It's not supposed to be like ICE. How is it supposed to be like ICE?
It's so obvious, dude. It's all these evil government agents rounding up brown guy and alien and invading and putting him away, and he has no laws, he has no rights. They actually say that a Supreme Court decision said that he has no rights.
No. I think the immigration connection is there, but I don't think the Seacott connection is there. I don't think they're necessarily ICE. I mean, he submits himself to the Department of Justice, and they get outsourced to Lex. But that's like a common theme in the Superman movie is like Lex gets outsourced, and Lex is like embedded with the government. So like that's not any indication to me that they're like trying to have commentary on Seacott. And again, this movie was written before Trump won the election. This movie was written.
I think they can make a lot of changes in post. You know that. You know that films can change over time. Of course they do. Of course they do. It's so obvious, dude. It's literally so obvious.
Drew, would you say cartoonishly evil depictions of Nazis are anti-German?
No.
Why not?
Because like German, like the Nazis are not the inherent repository of all German people ever.
Neither is Israel. Neither is fucking Israel.
No.
Neither is Israel.
But anti-Semites all see Israel as the avatar of the Jews. That is true. That is fact check.
That's a separate point, though. That's a separate point from what you just said.
No. Every single anti-Semite in the world thinks that Israel is like the main manifestation of the Jews in the world.
Fuck.
So yes, it's obvious when there's a film that cartoonishly depicts Israelis just like eating brown people. Of course, it's fucking anti-Semitic, dude. It's very fucking clear. Blood libel.
Blood libel? Blood libel.
Can you tell me why if I'm so schizo and I've invented all this, why is it that Hassan Parker said this is all the best movie? It's literally 2 hours and 10 minutes of fuck Israel. Tell me why.
No, because Hassan is schizo right now and he's wrong about it. But also here's another.
And you're schizo right now. You're like, if I'm
because
so
it benefits Hassan to make it about
Hassan
Israel.
Out of nowhere, what?
So Hassan is being schizo, but also there's another I think argument, and I think it might be a good one that betrays both what Hassan is thinking and what you're thinking is that Hassan sees the values of Superman. Superman is kind. Superman wants to save all life, and maybe what Israel's doing right now isn't consistent with.
Well, that's the thing. I'll go further and grant. Let's say it's a perfect parallel between Israel and Gaza or whatever. That still wouldn't make it anti-Semitic to me.
Even though the Israeli characters are presented as basically being part of a galactic conspiracy.
In a comic book movie. A fictional comic book movie. Yeah.
It's the same. It's the same narrative as Zog. They basically betrayed the Americans as the slaves of them. It's true.
No, they don't.
It's Lex Luthor in charge.
Dude, if you look at how the media was portrayed, the media is portrayed as basically being like the dupes. It's like all this propaganda, brainwashing by the Israelis. That's how the film presents it.
And here's so for example, Aaron, can you scroll down to where there's like a so keep scrolling down. There's a picture of like buildings being destroyed. And go down.
Oh my god, I'm fucking up so bad.
So in there, you're saying that these skyscrapers are being blown up by Israel. Bravia doesn't care about destroying. Wait, let me finish.
You for the bits.
Bravia, first of all, it's not. Bravia doesn't care about Metropolis being destroyed. That's all part of Lex's plan to get Superman and entrap him. Right? Bravia has no. All Bravia cares about is invading Jahanpur. They have no role, and they don't care about destroying Metropolis. That's all part of Lex's plan to draw Superman out, to kill Superman. So would you agree? At least this is dishonest what you're doing right here. That's dishonest because that's not the plan.
No. We see the Baravian supervillain. You know, I forget the name of the guy. You know the guy at the very start of the film, and he's got the laser eyes.
Ultraman, right? That's Ultraman, Baravian Hammer. Yes.
Baravian Hammer, right? Yeah. So this Baravian Hammer, Baravia.
No, but
which is the Israel Senate.
That's Lex Luthor doing a false flag. Lex Luthor is doing a false flag to undermine Superman, right? That's why he's doing the false flag, because Superman just went and resolved the conflict, and Lex Luthor, being smart, he's trying to have blowback so the people, and they do turn against Superman a little bit, and publicly, and they talk about this, and so it's all Lex Luthor's machinations to make it more apt for the people to turn against Superman. That's why he does the false flag for Lex's ends, not for Baravians.
The Baravians are victims then. The Baravians are victims then. They're victims of Lex Luthor.
No. They're in cahoots, but Lex is running the show. Lex is the one. Lex is running the show.
Dude, they're in cahoots, dude.
Lex is in cahoots. Okay, but
Baravian Hammer.
For Lex's purposes.
Okay.
You know you're wrong. That's why you're laughing. You know you're wrong. You know I'm right.
No. Pisco. There is a false flag terrorist attack that's attributed to Israel with red laser eyes in New York City.
No, but that's for Lex's purposes. Lex is doing that to undermine Superman in the public eye, and to fuck with Superman, and also to find out where Superman lives, and to take and fuck with his shit. That's literally the plot, right? He's using the false flag, and everyone high fives the false flag, not because, oh, we're gonna help out Baravia. It's because, oh, we found out where Superman lives. We're turning the public against Superman. That's the whole point.
Okay, are you familiar with the fact that there are a lot of anti-Semites, like for example Sneeko, who say that 9/11 was done by the Jews?
You can't address my point. Yes, I know they say that.
I'm trying. Yes, they say that. And then in the film, there is a false flag attack involved with the Israelis blowing up skyscrapers in New York City. Do you not think
you can't assume? Wait. You can't assume that they're Israeli. No, you can't assume. You're trying to prove that it's Israeli. So you can't assume they're Israeli as part of your proof that they are trying to show Israeli. You understand? You're trying to prove that these people represent Israel, and part of your proof is they're showing them in the Zog narrative. That's what you're saying. But you can't, as part of your proof that they're doing the Zog narrative, assume that Israel is Baravia when that's the whole thing you're trying to prove.
There is a U.S. ally. There's a U.S. ally that's portrayed as evil and is invading a country in the Middle East for no reason. As that's the common narrative among anti-Zionists.
But you need to concede. You need to concede that it's Lex running the show. You need to concede it's Lex running the show. That this whole destroying buildings, that's for Lex and Lex's plan. You have to concede that.
He's working in conjunction with them the whole time. When they're destroying the buildings, he's opened up the portal to the universe, and he's opened up that portal to the universe to stop Superman from intervening, to stop the Baravians in Gaza.
Why don't they just let it
Baravians in Gaza
go north? Go north to the blue country.
Let me explain. Right? In the film, they want to stop Superman from intervening and saving Jahanpur from the Israeli stand-in. Okay.
Think about that. Lex doesn't give a fuck about that. Lex wants to kill Superman. That's what he wants to do.
But in the film, to stop Superman from intervening in Gaza, they are open. They're willing to do a black hole to destroy the universe, which is so similar to the anti-Zionist, the anti-Semitic anti-Zionist narratives that say Jews are part of intergalactic conspiracies that are
No. You're just wrong about that, right? Because that's not the plan, right? The plan isn't to let the black hole do it so that you can stop the intervention in Baravia. The plan is essentially to trap
this is like
Superman
all spoilers. It's fucked up.
Kill Superman. That's what.
Why?
You got raped.
No reason.
Tell her to go back to China.
No, that's for you. You have to be based. Do you want? Can I raid into you? For
I just think that if she did a grooming gang, that it would be right to denaturalize her and send her back to China. Only for Lindy Lee am I using the Drew Pavlou standard.
My highlights. Okay, my number one highlight is obviously the landlocked Jaharmpur. That's number one. Number two is him saying that Rishi Sunak is almost fully assimilated, even though he was Prime Minister of the UK and leader of the Tories. That
him
was,
saying I'm spiritually American after making all these blood and soil arguments is the most fucking insane. Doesn't know we the people.
That was so good from you. That was so good from you. Because I didn't even think of that, but it was really, really good.
It's incoherent. It's just whatever. Like, and again, he gets so triggered, so he can't have this conversation. But again, America, Australia, these are like white settler colonies in their formation, okay? So if you have this sort of blood and soil understanding of like nationalism and how people like ethno-states effectively, it's always going to be that white people can stay in the settler colony. And it's always, but everybody else, all like indigenous and brown people have to go back to where they're originally from. There's like no protections for them. With the exception of the like the indigenous in Australia or whatever.
And of course, it all goes away once you talk about Israel, because then it's all about practicalities and it's all about
nuance
and like, and obviously we have to.
His only retort to my hypothetical about like, okay, so Ben Gvir says that like from like now on, like citizenship for Mizrahi Jews is pretty much conditional.
He's Mizrahi or
he was like he wouldn't do that because he's this or whatever. It's like, dude, somebody wants to like. Ted Cruz advocates to get rid of birthright citizenship, even though he had a Canadian citizenship because of where he was fucking born. It's not incompatible that you could have people that do it, because I guarantee you Ben Gvir would just say, oh, well, it's only for people that break the law. I would never break the law, so I don't have to worry about getting deported.
Also, it's just a hypo, so he should have just bit the bullet there. And the Adams shit is crazy. I mean, every standard that he set up for himself, he just got like hoisted by his own petard. Aaron, I'm going to raid into you so you can do a little decompress for like 20 minutes.
Okay.
Is that okay? All right.
Okay.
So I'm going to do that. But thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. And we'll do this again next week, probably on Tuesday. Today was Wednesday. We delayed it because of something, but we'll talk soon. Okay.
Okay. Bye.
All right. See you later. Wait. I'm raiding into you. Raiding in. I have to actually click the raid button. You guys ask Straight Raid all your questions. Make sure to follow her on Twitch and YouTube. You know, follow me if you want. But okay, we're raiding in, and YouTube is done and good. All right, bye.
All right, bye. All right, guys. Disconnecting. Reconnecting. Elsewhere.
Wow.
How are we doing?